Ah, it has happened. You've collected every last treasure. I am so pleased I asked you to assist with this endeavor that I might cry. Here, please, you must accept these. Thanks to you, as the treasure catalog is now complete, I'm so grateful. I'm tempted to give you all the raw materials. Right, let's have a read. But follow my Andrew, we contribute to treasure descriptions to my treasure catalog. I cannot be more thrilled. They each have such a unique perspective. You really should read their entries not just once, but 2 or even 3 times. View treasures. Perusing the treasure catalog is one of the great joys at night. Feel free to take your time as you look. Right. First scene in the secluded courtyard, series of rubber cutie series. Have you ever laid eyes on something more adorable? I, for one, have not. Gazing upon its features fills me with, is it admiration? Or, well, whatever it is, I recommend everyone open their eyes and their hearts to this sublime and squeaky being. The first time I laid eyes on this treasure, I thought it was a giant aquatic monster. It took me a few paralyzing seconds to realize that it's just a statue. What a relief. If such an attractive creature were to attack me, I'd be too chance to run away. That thing is huge. I'm going to take a whole day to eat it in its entirety. Look at these adorable features and daring proportions. This creature may be rather medium in size, but that does not mean it's a medium amount of cuteness. No, I'm quite certain it possesses enough cuteness to charm an entire planet. Has well proportioned facial features and a smooth exterior. Its hollow interior allows it to float on water. I thought long and hard about what creature inspired this treasure, and before I knew it, I was petting its beak. I'm powerless in the face of cuteness. Still not sure if it's edible. Also not sure if something can taste as handsome as it looks. Ah, fret not, stately rubber cutie. Yes, you may be smallish in size, but that does not matter. Cute is cute. Oh. Ah, fret not, stately rubber cutie. Yes, you may be smallish in size, but that does not matter. Cute is cute. In fact, it's quite possible. You're even more cute because of your smallness. Yes, I do believe you are. Compared to the other treasures found, this sculpture is tiny, yet with its beak turned courageously upward and its round eyes brimming with the spirit of adventure, cannot but admire its gallant image. Beauty really can be found around any corner. This seems like the right portion size for me. Ah, just look at this fellow, just impressed in all black. I'm impressed, I most certainly am, and so impressed I can't stop staring. I do hope you forgive me. It's just hard to act normal around someone so dapper. It truly is. When I was a kid, I coveted a black leather jacket that hung in a shop window. It was so cool. I begged my parents to buy it for me, but they just scoffed in my face. So I saved up my pocket change for months and finally bought it myself. It turns out wearing a leather jacket during the peak of a hot potato summer is a shortcut to getting a heat stroke. That was the last time I ever tried to be cool. I like this colour. It gives off a chill aura. Ah, what a sweet stick this is. Quite literally, this stick here is made of candy from top to bottom. This unexpected combination makes it quite the handy thing to have around. You can use it as a walking stick to prevent yourself from stumbling while hiking or exploring an unfamiliar terrain. When all that exertion makes you hungry, you'll find sustenance right there in your hand. A useful invention, to be sure. A gigantic, brightly coloured stick of candy adorned with a ribbon. My guess is that it was meant to be a gift for a child, or maybe a great souvenir to bring back to my own kids. You need to keep a close eye on the spaceship's temperature to prevent it melting during transport. Licking it is fun, but it tastes much better if you bite right into it. Be warned, if you take a bite of this doughy raft, you'll quickly find yourself washed into a river of sweet cream. Your only choice is to eat as quickly as you can. If you can't keep up, ask someone to throw you a life preserver before it's too late. I heard this item was discovered in a bright and open area, like other caves I've encountered. What's more, it was presented on a large silver plate. I wonder why it was there. Is it a form of entertainment for visiting guests, or maybe we are the guests? It's near impossible to eat this without losing a drop of cream in the process. A challenge I gladly accept. This treasure takes a sophisticated palate to appreciate. First, a salty sweet sauce is put atop some kind of white food stuff. It's then fried on top of a thin like layer of paper. It sounds awful, but it tastes wonderful. Surprising in the best way. It's sweet, but not too sweet. Salty, but not overly so. It tastes like something a more refined palate would appreciate, perhaps belonging to someone whose taste was developed over the course of many years. A crunchy and uncomplicated treat. Someone went to great lengths to first nibble this cookie into a perfect circle, and then to nibble a perfect circle out of the middle of the cookie. The cookie craftsmanship exhibited here, it's mind-boggling, really. Stealing a bite of food before it's been served is quite rude, but I understand the impulse. My son and I are always waiting outside the kitchen, itching to try whatever my wife's been cooking. Thankfully finds it charming, or we'd have to curtail the habit. If the missing part is out there somewhere, then I'll find it and I'll eat it too. It says the 2 colours in this cookie bring good luck to one's family and to one's business. In fact, it was a tradition here for families to gather around a cookie and eat it together. There's even a saying about it. The family that eats a cookie together gets rich together. This pattern always reminds me of our family game nights. We like to play board games, but it would be even more enjoyable if we could eat the boards after. I was curious to know if the flavour was as playful as designed, so I took a bite. Tastes normal. It's like an optical illusion. If I keep alternating bites by colour, would I ever make it to the last morsel? It is possible for a cookie to be too delicious. It seems it is. Or is it? This very cookie is so incredibly tasty it vanishes almost as soon as it appears. Where it goes, nobody knows, but if you ever want to taste it, you have to move fast. Sweets don't simply disappear of their own accord. There has to be some sort of scientific explanation. To test my theory, I laid the cookies out and waiting. Normally I'd have given in to my urge to eat them, but I must stay strong. There's something about this flavour that makes it impossible to stop eating. Not that I've tried very hard. Do they love me? Do they love me not? These are the questions we have asked ourselves at one time or another, and this cookie has the answer. Simply eat each tasty petal and you ask your question. What will the answer be? The final bite will tell. Before we got married, my wife took a compatibility test to assess our relationship. It was all for a laugh, but we got 120%, indicating we'd be eternally happy together. I don't really believe in all that fortune-telling stuff, but the test got that right. At least the test got it right. There's only one way to eat this. First lick up the jam, then eat the buttery petals until all remains are crumbs, then eat the crumbs. The shape of this treasure represents perhaps the most important things there are in the universe. Life and love. If you pour your heart into this cookie and give it to someone you care about, it's sure to have a powerful effect on them. In my line of work, encountering tough situations and feeling like your life is in danger is all part of the job. But something about this cookie makes me feel as if the strength to make it through, like I have an extra heart if my first one runs out. If you break it in half first, it's much easier to eat. Even a slight touch will make this treasure jiggle and wiggle in the most wonderful way. If all the seismic stresses, it never collapses. Still, what's even more entrancing since it jiggles wiggle is its taste. The sweetness will make you tremble. Children are fascinated by jiggling objects such as this. I know my kids would lose their mind if they encountered this gelatinous tower. I consider myself a mature adult, but even I'm fighting urge to climb to the top of this jiggling hill. The creamy base is delectable, but alternate each bite with a brown topping for a more savoury experience. This spaceship is clearly starting to look like a cake with fruit atop it. I suspect it was specifically designed for couples heading to space on their honeymoon. Goodness, I hope no one tries to eat it. This ship might crash in some strange locale, hardly the idyllic vacation newlyweds dream of. At our wedding, our friends gave my wife and I a spaceship-shaped cake that looked like this one. It wasn't as big, but it resonated with my dreams of exploring space. Of course, my dreams are slightly different now. I'm happy to have my wife by my side. Very filling. What a refreshing aroma. What charming decorations. And that gorgeous colour too. Popular with the young crowd, this spaceship wakes you up as it whisks you away to a minty fresh journey to another planet. Just don't take a bite out of it or you'll never make it back. One whiff of this brings me back to the long days of summer, eating ice cream with my kids. This fragrance smells like their favourite flavour, bright and refreshing. First I didn't want to try it, but my children insisted. Now it's my favourite ice cream flavour too. A strange way to serve toothpaste. It was this adorable ship's yummy smell that lured me in, and suddenly I was taking a bite. Lo and behold, I found the ship to be edible. In fact, it's chocolate flavoured. I'm still not sure what to make of this discovery. All I know is it's a delicious one. My wife and I have been together for a long while, but our relationship has never been as perfectly poised as this cake. Maybe it's because I'm always flying around space and she's at home trying to keep things together. We really are due for a date night. A touch of bitterness makes it that much easier to eat. A hoop topped by a stone made of the hardest substance in the universe, a perfect gift to give when making an unbreakable promise, though I am told this stone can in fact be broken. Perhaps then it's meant as a reminder that a promise is truly unbreakable? It's a common practice to present an expensive gift you intended when you propose. I don't have the means to do so when my wife and I became engaged, but I've always regretted that fact. At least I still love her as much as I did then. I slipped myself right into the metal archway and took a nice cozy nap. This shiny table is used in a ceremony meant to bring good luck with money. It works like this. Jump over the table once and make a profit. Jump over it twice and make a fortune. Jump over it thrice and the sky opens and money rains down on you, one so hopes. Anyway. Apparently, if you can jump over this, you'll be blessed with great wealth. I'm a little superstitious type, but I'm tempted to give it a try. I could use the extra cash. The only thing standing in my way are my poor middle-aged hip joints. I bet this would bring in the big bucks. You can't see the artistry at work here with your eyes, but take a deep breath and your nose will behold the power and beauty at once. One whiff and your heart will light up. Surely this gorgeous olfactory sculpture belongs in an art gallery. It's a multi-sensory art experience. You've got the flicker of the flame, the texture of the body, and that glorious scent that just melts into your surroundings. It's so soothing and calming and a little bit sleepy. Here, is it a sleep? I set it on fire and it melted. It smells yummy, but unfortunately it's inedible. It's said the king gave this orb to his beloved daughter that it contains all the wisdom the princess would need as next ruler of the land. Notice it's not especially flashy. One can assume that's because good leadership is not about flash, but about substance. My daughter's loved shiny jewels and trinkets for as long as I can remember. She used to be happy enough with pretty stones and pieces of sea glass, but now she wants the more illustrious items like this. That doesn't bode well for my wallet's future. This would be a great gift for Nana. She could use something shiny. Not only is this glimmering gem quite beautiful, but the mineral it's composed of is notable for being highly sticky. Often given as a present to a loved one, it represents a bond that is truly adhesive. This gemstone is large but looks kind of cheap. I only just started to accept that one day someone might propose my own daughter with a gift like this. They should probably give that person a warm welcome, but I already don't like them. I'm pretty sure this jewel is a fake. Step through this glowing blue hoop and you'll feel its healing effects almost at once. Exhaustion is gone. Elements of the heart and the body banished. You have but to make the choice to step through it. I read somewhere that some colours can have certain effects on your body. This colour seems to calm my mind and help me recover my composure when I'm feeling frazzled in the field. It has an almost healing effect. I stepped inside the circle and spun it all around me. Is this relationship missing the spark it once had, or you're stuck in a rut with the one you love? This hoop can help. Step through the glowing pink light and feel the passion return. This warmth is shined upon you is sure to remind you of the day you met. The science of colours intrigues me. For example, I can feel my instincts sharpen and my zest for life intensify when I gaze upon this hue. What would happen if I were to walk through this ring with my wife? Perhaps his powers could reignite the spark between us. It seems viable for a ring toss. Do you ever wish you had good luck? With this hoop, you immediately wish. Step through its glowing yellow centre and good fortune is sure to follow. Of course, for this to work, It helps if you believed it was going to work in the first place. People tend together with those who are like-minded. Eventually, they become friends and partners. If you want to build a circle of good friends, you must be the kind of person whose company you enjoy. Then you find companionship with yourself as well. Maybe walking through it brings you good luck. Exercise is good for many things. It not only makes us stronger, it also helps us live healthier lives. So grab each of these exercise machines, handles, and squeeze as every muscle strains its effort. Take comfort knowing you're adding good things to your life. I'm no longer trying to catch anyone's eye, but it's the sole breadwinner. I need to prioritise my health so I can support my family for years to come. Problem is, I'm so busy supporting them, there's not a lot of time left for push-ups. We'll see how it all turns out. My partner should be able to lift this pretty easy, but I gave up after my first try. Put your hands on the surface of this sphere and you won't be surprised if you find yourself awash in waves of fuzzy imagery. The surface texture will cause the warmth of a fall sweater. It's a feel of grass on a summer day, and the prickly thrill of a hard-fought victory. Growing up, I wasn't one for chasing balls or shedding tears over a win or a loss, but my passions were equally absorbing. I wonder why this giant fuzzy sphere has me thinking of more youthful days and what they were like for the inhabitants of this planet. I like to imagine I'm petting a soft little green creature. This communication sphere has fallen from its place orbiting the planet. Note how the bumpy surface was designed to maximize transmissions. A pity it is no longer functioning. Perhaps a blow with a large stick could launch it back into orbit. Its hard shell could withstand severe environments. The inside appears to be unexpectedly soft. The geological layers are breathtaking. If I had to guess, I'd say it's a scale model of a celestial body, but I can't quite explain why I want to hit it with a stick. Hold it tightly between your arms and roll. Feels amazing. There's something about this orb that makes me want to hit it with a stick in a moment of joyful abandon. Of course, such behaviour is sure to spell trouble. I can see it now. The orb sent flying through the air and it crashed through the window of a neighbouring home. Zen's neighbour falling to appreciate the gleeful innocence of the moment, unleashing a good old-fashioned tirade. No matter how fun it may seem, do not send this orb sailing through the air. I can verify that there are 108 stitches on this ball. I counted them myself. The process took me all night to complete. As an explorer, it's important to question things in order to survive. But I should be careful not to overdo it. I can smell the salty remnants of sweat and tears on this thing from a mile away. The spine-tingling snap created by this object stimulates feelings of greed within anyone in earshot. The reasons behind this are unknown. Perhaps it awakens a primal sensation hidden in the depths of our hearts, but this is mere conjecture. When I hear the sound this makes, the word paycheck immediately comes to mind. It's followed quickly by the image of my wife's face and her voice reciting our monthly household budget in full. Food, tuition, medical bills, the list goes on and on. What a pleasant rattling sound. I can listen to it all day. Do not be fooled by its silence. You are in the presence of the most intelligent life form in the known universe. Based on its appearance, it's clear this creature can exude feelings of joy and delight. It was likely the centre of many social gatherings long ago. Whenever I hear a joyful song, I'm transported back to family celebrations with live music and dancing. I see my family dressed to the nines, looking at me with silly expressions on their faces. I hope I get to witness that again one day soon. I can't help but wonder why this isn't a rice cracker. Better keep an eye out for when in close proximity to this sentient disc. Apparently it's a bit of an anger management problem. Further details about its tendency to lash out have been lost to time. It makes it all the more intimidating, doesn't it? A few years ago, my wife suspected I betrayed her in some way or another and was furious with me. She was so enraged she could have turned the whole world upside down. It was terrifying yet comforting to know I still ignited such passion within her. Getting angry is a good way to spare your appetite. In moments of sorrow, this may be helpful to consult with this unusually intelligent life form. Empathy is one of its high-end forms of intelligence, so this disc surely has more than enough to share with you. You may be able to hear its wisdom, but you will feel it. What is the purpose of emotions? They give our lives meaning and balance. One cannot survive a life of pure sorrow, so we must find delight in things. A life of pleasure would become monotonous, so we should appreciate the bad as much as the good. Suddenly I miss Nana, and I'm overcome by all these sad feelings. Sometimes you wake up and decide that the day will be unlike any other standard issue day. Today you tell yourself you'll be filled with fun and amusement. And what could be more amusing than dancing? Why, nothing. On days like this, simply grab this disc and get your groove on. Swing around with abandon. Yes, soon enough you'll have to return to life as usual, but I promise it's okay to let your inner rhythm take you away on occasion. I may not be the most graceful dancer, but who really cares? I'd like to let the music take over and allow my body to go with the flow. Sometimes my wife and I'll be freestyling. Looks like so much fun that kids forget to be embarrassed and can't help but join in. Riding dogs is fun. Should you ever find yourself stunned beyond words, this wise creature will be a true friend to you. Let its waves of knowledge wash over you and bring about a deep inner calm. Indeed, there's something soothing about simply being in its presence. My son is a known prankster who likes to catch my wife and me by surprise. One time he leapt out from behind a garden gnome and my wife jumped so high in surprise she threw out her back. Since then we've established a strict household no surprises policy. First time I was licked by a dog, I thought it was going to eat me. Store your valuables in this bag for guaranteed peace of mind. Of course, as easier said than done. Its defences makes it impregnable and virtually impossible to break. But that's only a problem if you never want to see your possessions ever again. If you ever want to see them again. How many times have I heard my family complain about a jar that won't open or a door that won't open? And now I am saying, just run it under hot water or push, don't pull. However, I've tried both from this bag and it literally cannot be opened. I've had to guess there's something really valuable hidden inside. Feeling down, then simply stakes your stick as a dormant tree, and its flowers will immediately come to life. You may ask how this is possible, but mysterious and ancient technology is beyond our comprehension. Simply put, it's magic. Let's just leave it at that, shall we? When a flower blooms on a dead tree, it's nothing short of phenomenal. I've also witnessed flowers blooming on a Pikmin's head after they drink nectar. I suspect this stick shares the same rejuvenating property exhibited by other life forms on this planet. Proved very useful and I stuck it in the ground to mark a spot I wish to return to. This item would have been placed between two objects and used to connect them. It's not clear what these objects might have been, but something such as this would have done the job gently and aptly. At least that's my best guess. This one time when I was a kid, my parents had a big fight and refused to speak to each other. They went back and forth, mediating until the argument was resolved. I'd like to say it was for the sake of their love, but I was just tired of waiting for dinner. Could be useful for playing food, the holes might be a problem, but otherwise it's perfect. What you see here is a cover used to disguise as a pit or trap. Probably as a way to catch small animals. The people of this planet hunted in groups and used their cunning to deliver this system. Another proud example of civilization is its infinite wisdom. I found this planet is riddled with underground caverns and passageways. I love to explore this place, but it feels like I'm in constant danger of falling into a hole. This lid must have been used to warn previous inhabitants of nearby pitfalls. I think this might be money. Hopefully I'll be able to collect some more. A round raft meant for a single occupant. It's float using the water's surface tension. The holes in the middle allow the passengers a delightful glimpse of the water below. Then again, one may consider plugging these holes when one worried about the raft taking on water. I'd equip the inside of this raft with floats so it hovers above the water's surface, making it possible to sail it without sinking. Then I'd plug the holes with magnifying lenses so I could pierce it underwater safely. The more I lick it, the tastier it gets. Dogs have been our dear and most faithful companions since the dawn of civilization. This necklace represents that ancient and honourable bond, both physically and spiritually. A well-worn necklace such as this is the mark of a friendship like no other. The lovely pattern on this piece is evidence of a deep bond with his dog and its companion. A dog never truly forgets their owner, and an owner will remember their dog for life. Eternal truths such as this transcend all times and galaxies. The spikes give it that extra little something. I bet this dog is a comfy form of transport. This is where the mystery begins. See, it's a fragment of something bigger. Yes, a massive photo panel now broken into pieces, but fie! The only way to find out is to put the pieces together again. The clues here tell me this belonged in the top left corner. The vastness of space and the unknown it contains is a solvable puzzle. At the start of each voyage, I set out to unravel every mystery and discover great truths. I always find myself returning with more questions than answers. Nana always told me you should build something from the outside in. This is merely one part of a much larger picture. As for why this image is broken into pieces, well, I suspect it's because they need to be safely transported, perhaps to an art gallery. Once assembled, I won't be surprised to find a masterpiece. At Octatape Freight, we often divide up our cargo in order to use the ship's space more efficiently. Big companies have huge transporters to fill up, but that also means a lot less flexibility. They're still filling up their gigantic ships while we're out making deliveries. It reminds me of a meal I once had. Now I'm drooling. Surely there's a reason this image is broken into fragments. Could it be a treasure map? Did someone split this map into pieces and hide the bits? Is today the day I strike it rich? Perhaps I shouldn't count my fortune before it's found. As a boy, I would spend days drawing elaborate treasure maps. The buried treasure may have been junk to most, but to me it was precious. It was precious. Is this a fragment of a treasure map? I doubt it, but the subject of this drawing is probably a treasure to the artist. Soup. At least it looks like soup. This mysterious fragment appears to be the top right part of a giant photo. It could be a picture of a precious moment in time. But why would such a thing be broken into pieces? Was someone trying to hide something? I must see all the pieces. I must know. I understand the instinct to hide something precious to you, though the word protect is probably more apt. I feel similarly about my family. I do everything in my power to give them a safe, happy life. It's a simple desire, but it motivates me to carry on. Wouldn't want to hit your head on an edge as sharp as this. Do I see a face in this picture fragment, or is that part of a smile I see? No, it couldn't be. Or could it? Oh my, I feel like I'm going to see whatever it is in my dreams. This looks like the kind of pictures you get when you let a kid play with a camera. Blurry and too close up to see anything. And to do all these pictures my kids took to free up memory space, and I wish I hadn't. Imperfect memories can be the most precious. I'm getting strong chocolate vibes. Such a wise eye staring out at me. Yes, it certainly looks like the face of a deeply intelligent creature, and it's the strangest thing. I feel like I know this animal well, even though I've never seen it before. Hope I get some answers from all the pieces I found. This makes me think of my dog, Bulby, back at home. I'm away for work quite a bit, so we've gone long periods without seeing each other. Yet every time I come home, he treats me as if I never left. He would be the wisest and most loving member of the family. Reminds me of a dog. I'd like to take it for a ride. That dark pupil staring at me as if I can see right through me. Though anything and anyone, surely it's its power to know my deepest secrets. A good thing I don't really have anything to hide. No, really, I don't. Okay, stop looking at me like that. The unknown organism bears a strong resemblance to the dogs on my planet. I'm amazed that such a similar species could exist in the far reaches of outer space. I've heard that organic components can travel through space on meteorites and comets. Could there be a connection between my planet and this one? It looks a lot like a dog. I'm not sure how comfortable it would be to ride. What do I see here? Is it nothing? Is it everything? I feel like it could be anything. Maybe this fragment is part of a ceremony in which the participants break up a photo of a beloved deity so they can better share it with one another. Yes, that must be it. As a young boy, I collected vox and shiny objects that I held quite dear. My parents always wanted me to get rid of them, but I refused. I can't even remember where I found them all. Probably picked up most of them right in my own backyard. Still not sure why I was so attached to a bunch of gravel, but they shone like diamonds to me. No idea what this is. It's definitely an edible. Two flat sides at a corner. Could this fragment belong in the bottom left position, or does it go up above in the top right spot? No, my gut instinct says bottom left. Sometimes your gut is all you have to go on, and go you must. As a child, though, many times I'd come across something unknown to me and intuitively investigate without hesitation. Worked out well for me, as I believe. As an adult, I often overthink matters, so maybe I need to recapture that daring spirit of my youth. Licked it but didn't get a lot of flavour. I guess it's not a cracker. We can ask ourselves why this photo is broken into small indiscernible fragments, but perhaps the answer is that is a no answer. It pains me to say that for those of us who try to make sense of the world, this sort of thing keeps us up at night. Why are things the way they are? The answer can be surprisingly simple. For example, my kids will often dismantle a clock or a chair or tear up a piece of bread just because they can. Maybe there's no significant reason this picture's in pieces either. I fit my head into one of the little opens. Fit better than expected, or felt better than expected. Take a look at this strange treasure. Notice the gaps and protrusions. I'm certain they mesh well with something similar, yet different. Maybe there's some sort of key that opens up something you can find the piece that makes a hole. Exciting? The little bump at the end makes this look like it has a nose. Maybe it makes me think of my... Noses make me think of my son when he was a baby. He often forgot my face after I've been gone for long stints of work and cry when I get home. Once he knew the distinctive shape of my nose, he recognised me right away. I fit my head into one of the little openings. It was underwhelming. I'm always sad one could use his knobs and curves to connect this fragment with other fragments, but why? What would one accomplish by doing such a thing? Quite puzzling, no? Perhaps the partial picture seen here would become more clear with more fragments. Yes, that must be it. How clever. I know this big picture here remains unclear. The activity itself is clearly quite fun. Did I dream of becoming a glorified delivery man? Was adventure always my true goal? Given my current circumstances, who knows? I'm proud to say I've achieved both, but the president might see it differently. I'm worried about my annual bonus. Hold on to one of the knobs and swing to create a gentle breeze. The sweet flavour of the sunseed berry has been condensed and placed into the bottle for safekeeping. So clever, so delicious. But imagine the squabble that breaks out. Every time this jar is opened, something that's sure yummy would be the envy of everyone at the table. The scent is dangerously sweet and brings to mind concentrated memories of my wife's adorable smile. But one can't subsist on sweetness alone. You also need solid qualities like trust and patience. Having those is like a big hearty breakfast for the soul. Open the lid for a peek and fell right in. Never tasted better. Flaky layer upon flaky layer of buttery, mouth-watering, melting dough baked to golden perfection. Indeed, this is temptation in bread form. You'll try to eat a reasonable amount, but some strange force has hold of your taste buds, and this reasonable has no meaning. Devastatingly delicious. This is extremely dangerous food. Its light and airy appearance barely leaves a rich and indulgent interior. Before you finish one, you're already reaching for the next. Is it even possible to design such temptation, and do I even want to? It can be toasted, stuffed with all kinds of fillings and slathered in jam, but it tastes best as is. Do you know this lumpy cake doubles as a cushion? What a clever idea. No, it's just the right amount of softness and firmness for sitting on, and when you grow hungry, you just take a bite. What a sweet treat it is, too. Who knew a cushion could be so satisfying? I nap in the pilot seat sometimes, but a cushion like this would make a great alternative. The only weird part is it's edible. Does that mean something or someone could eat right from out from a menu? That's a major drawback. For eating, drinking, and napping. Just set it on the ground, fill the pockets with juice, lay down, and enjoy. This snack not only satisfies hunger, but intellectual curiosity, too. How do the arms of this snack intertwine like that? Get some friends together and take it over while you nibble away on the problem itself. You're sure to arrive at a tasty answer eventually. Its shape is mesmerizing. I only wish I could understand how it was sculpted. The more I think about it, the hungrier I get. Thankfully, the salty and sweet pillowy interior is as re-energizing as it is delicious, but then I start thinking again, the cycle continues. Slightly salty, dip in something sweet to enhance the flavour. I had said this Sacred Sphere has the power to make the most deeply held desires come true, more so than any other orb in the Sacred Sphere series. Oh, what greedy wishes must have been wished upon it. Surely the maker of this orb wanted something near unattainable. But who among us hasn't felt such avarice? There's nothing in the universe more interesting than the universe itself. A curious and inquisitive mind will never be satisfied. No matter how much you explore, I hope that I feel this way as long as I can. It's important to stay interested in your work. I'll save this to drop in a hole sometime. This sphere is believed to be the patron of families. Parents often employ it to help their children flourish. And who can blame them? Parents treasure their children, who then treasure their own children, and on it goes. Such endless love is a beautiful thing. It's often said you don't realise how much your parents have done for you until it's too late to thank them. I try to show my gratitude and keep in touch as much as I can with video calls, but as soon as my kids pop on screen, my parents forget I'm there. I like how round and smooth it is, so I can't stop touching it. It's said there's nothing more difficult to understand than the ways of the heart. So said the sphere gives the one who holds it the power to read the heart of the one they love. But is that a good idea? I'm not so sure it is. I know it's impossible to read minds, but I'm particularly clueless when it comes to relationships. When we first started dating, my wife was gracious enough to explain how she found in great detail. I'm still awkward, but any social skills I do have are thanks to her. I'd like to have a whole collection of balls like this. They look so nice all lined up. When I stare at the sacred sphere, phrases like fresh start, new life, and clean slate float from my eyes. The sphere of beginnings is revered for its power to open doors and spark fresh opportunities. It reminds us that a new chapter is always just a page away. Never minded having to start over and pick up my life at the flip of a switch. My environment and those in my social circle might change, but as long as I have my family with me, I'll still be me. They always call me out when I'm acting totally weird. Fun to roll. Like those of us today, the ancient civilizations had prized good health, but it's hard to come by in the olden times. This all became a powerful charm for bringing vitality to young and old alike. Even now I feel more alive just looking at it. It's become painfully obvious to me that the mind and body are closely linked. Spending so much time away from my family is hard on my mental health, and it's visibly taking a toll on my body. But even when I eat healthy and exercise, I really miss them. What's the most exhilarating sound? Well, it makes the most exhilarating sound when it knocks into something. This sphere is painstakingly polished and then hand-painted in the most calming colour possible. The deep green here is meant to bring in a mind of a lush forest, and in doing so, shoo away the stresses of the day. Go on, gaze upon it. As stress disappears, allow a sense of well-being to take its place. It just occurred to me that I haven't had a checkup in, I'm embarrassed to say how long. You're supposed to do it once a year, but I keep putting it off. Lately I was making an odd clicking sound every time I move it. I should get it checked out eventually. Would make a nice gift for Nana. She always likes pretty things like this. The simple painting of the surface of this sphere is believed to bring good luck. The inhabitants here were known to rub the orb before beginning a journey or new undertaking. Does this ritual actually bring them good luck? We should never know, but let us hope it at least brought them comfort. Getting lost in space is as good as death sentence. The newest ships have technology that can locate the closest planet and initiate an emergency landing. Here they still haven't built a navigation system that can detect and avoid incoming meteorites and space trash. Could I stand a balance on the ball or would I just fall? I must find out. The inhabitants use this treasure in ancient ceremonies as a way to foster trust in their deities as well as in their family and friends. Knowing that trust is so important to them as it was to us makes me think that perhaps we aren't so different after all. It's easy to lose someone's trust, despite the fact it takes so long to build it in the first place. But once you have that trust and support, it's much easier to achieve your goals. I'd rather be able to count on someone I trust than leave it all up to chance. It just looks cool, but totally doesn't know it. This sphere is quite unique, that is, it represents the very core, the pillar at the centre of every living being, and to keep our pillars strong, this all bids us to do one simple thing, support one another. What a message! One for the ages and the whole universe. I never considered myself to be strong, someone with a lot of inner strength or fortitude, but my wife seems to disagree. I'm just playing it too cool when we're together. Looks lonely. It's kind of ball that's at home in the middle of a crowd. Behold the sublime sphere. Sphere this flaws does not exist in nature, and so since ancient times, this orb is unlikely to have been treated as sacred by the civilization here. Each sphere has its own meaning. This one represents truth of the deepest kind. This ball is meant to represent truth, but the truth is never really black or white. It's both subjective and objective, and extremely tricky. I think the colour grey would make more sense with this object, or maybe that hideous brown you get when you mix all the paint colours together. I should draw the boss's face in this and roll it far, far away. No matter how down you may be, these tasty bursts of joy are almost sure to turn your mood around. That's because the happiness of fruit form, as the name implies, they're plant seeds of sunny warmth in the middle of your heart, and there they grow like an invasive species of happiness. The scent of this fruit tickles my heart for some reason. It makes me think back of summer memories, my wife smiling me in the sunlight. She'd probably have a good laugh if she ever read this, but that wouldn't be so bad. I happen to love that sound. Eat them as is, or eat with a dollop of cream. The sweetest juice is concentrated at the tip. A fruit both powerful and delicate. Reminds me of something I once read. Fate's tapestry is unravelled. Tomorrow weeps, romance has fallen, love is madness. To mend the rift between two crossed lovers, this is the ultimate weapon in Cupid's arsenal. What a perplexing plant. It appears to be carrying two different types of berries. There must be a rare species of fruit. Both have odd traits. One seems to be a suppressant, while the other is a stimulant. It's not easy to tell which is which. The balance between sweet and sour is almost addictive. I just want one more bite. Try eating this fruit when it's green and unripe and end up with a mouthful of acidic burning. But give it some time to ripen and not only taste sweet on the tongue, but have a story of energy and give you the endurance to realise great ambitions. In my youth, I used to power through long night shifts by sucking on sour fruit candy, and somehow it energised me and it kept me wide awake. Couldn't do that now, even with the candy, but it's an example of how sometimes things turning sour can work out for the best. My face scrunches up into a little prune every time I eat this fruit, just like Nana's does. Might be genetic. This fruit's a treat for the senses. Not only is it bright, tear-shaped form, pretty to look at, its soft surface is slightly velvety to the touch. Yes, two senses delighted by one fruit, or as they say, two birds, one stone. Oh dear, sleeping stones do not eat the seeds. They're quite poisonous. When my first child was born, my wife and I would sit outside in the warm spring summer and take turns rocking him in her arms. Those days were filled with endless joy. The sunlight bouncing off his downy hair looked just like this. Whenever I dig into one of these that is full of big seeds, feels like nature pulling another classic bait and switch. It takes a fine palate to appreciate all this fruit has to offer, as it wants sweet, sour, bitter, and even spicy, but those capable of pushing through the complex, slightly painful taste experience will find themselves greatly rewarded. The night after I ate this fruit, I had a dream in which I saw lots of them growing clustered together on one tree. If I were able to grow and harvest that many, we'd never run out of food. I suppose we won't know what's possible until I plant the first seed. Perfect at the moment when all that will satisfy you is a mouthful of bitterness. From its artistic, created exterior to its delicately sweet interior, the wayward moon is elegant in fruit form, mild and aromatic. It would make a wonderful gift for a friend or for someone who just needs a little pick-me-up. Picking the right get-well-soon gift is notoriously tricky. You're supposed to choose something you think the recipient would enjoy and ignore your own preferences. That's easier said than done. When I can't think of anything good, I usually default to some sort of food like this fruit. I know I'm always hungry when I'm sick. Scoop out the flesh and pour syrup into the shell to make a pool. Add fruit back into the syrup and marinate for at least an hour. Then dive into the sticky juices and devour. It's both a snack and a workout. Right, I just want to see how far. "21 things left to go. How many have I done already?" One, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Okay. It's true, the rounded surface of this fruit is smooth as a baby's bottom. Meanwhile, the pale yellow flesh inside offers a refreshing flavour profile that is at least at once sweet and also sour. Really, this fruit skirt has much to offer. One whiff of this fruit will leave your mouth watering, but the taste itself is sour and slightly disappointing. However, you can't let results like this keep you from trying new things. There's no greater quality than an adventurous spirit. Cut the fruit into smaller pieces and crush, squeezing out the juice. Add gelatin to the juice, pour into moulds and refrigerate for half a day. Remove jellies from mould and devour. Not devour, because that's how it is. What's most impressive about this fruit is the way it's sweet in both flavour and aroma. Meanwhile, its pretty pinkish orange colouring is lovely to behold. Of course, one cannot know the shapely curves reminiscent of good manners dictate I say no more. Suffice it to say, the mock bottom is quite a sensory experience. Extremely sweet, almost too sweet. The flavour makes you feel drowsy and with joy and make you want to soak in those joyful juices forever and ever. I maybe need to limit my intake when it comes to this fruit. To enjoy this fruit, all you need to do is take a big bite and let the sweet juices flood your taste buds. It's difficult to say which aspect of this fruit is more charming. It's pretty animal kummer how easy it is to share with friends. Thankfully, you don't have to choose. Simply gaze upon the gorgeous green hue as you share as many orbs as a party. This fruit comes in bunches, so you can keep eating them and never run out. A single berry satisfies my appetite, but I'm grateful to live in a universe with such natural abundance. Don't waste your time peeling these. The texture of the fruit is soft and plump, but the skin adds a nice crunch. Stare at the deep dark orbs of this fruit, you might fall into a hypnotic trance. But not to worry, the minute you take a bite, you'll be snapped from your reverie by a powerful blast of sweet juice. What a journey it takes you on, you may never want to return. I've noticed that the skin contains a substance with antioxidant properties. That's probably why I feel so fresh and invigorated after I eat one. One day I'll feel after eating two. If eating these raw, you want to remove the skin to avoid a bitter aftertaste. Make a juice, leave skins on and mash the fruit with your feet. Great for working up pent-up aggression. This thing is enormous. It's the size of an asteroid with hard, striped skin. It's not very inviting, so what a surprise it was to find that its insides are bursted with crimson juice. And seeds, too. Plant these in the garden and maybe more tasty asteroids will grow. I look at this fruit and I'm instantly overcome by the urge to split it into a million pieces. Close my eyes to avoid the thought, but the impulse just got stronger. I may be holding on to a deep desire to take on and defeat a giant spherical obstacle. Sprinkle with a hint of salt to enhance its sweetness. What a charming fruit this is. If it had a personality, it would say, cute and bubbly. Such a vibrant and passionate colour too. There's just so much to love here, but like love itself, this fruit is delicate, so treat it with care. Numerous pockets of juice cluster around a hollow interior, much like memories, both sweet and sour, that burst with meaning yet still cannot fill the empty place in one's heart. Gazing upon this fruit always fills me with regret. Pull off juice pockets one by one and sip their contents. Macerate the remaining fruit with sugar and enjoy on top of ice cream or yogurt. A number of fruits look quite similar to this one, but this one may be rather regrettable in appearance. Its refreshing fragrance will live in your memory forever. Those with a mature palate should also sample its bitter taste, a zesty experience indeed. It seems to be a citrus lump, but younger and very green. Inexperience is usually perceived as a weakness, but its power should not be underestimated. Maybe an organisation has been proved by newcomers' creativity and untamed energy. Squeeze the juice of fish or meat if you want to diffuse their odour. Eat this fruit before it's ripe and you'll never do it a second time. Yuck and blech. But you mustn't get angry. No, let this be a lesson in patience. For you see, those with the discipline to wait until the perfect time to eat the delectable bouquet, they'll be greatly rewarded. While observing the plant bear fruit, I was unable to work out where and when the flowers bloomed. I was so frustrated that I couldn't figure out basic botany, but all those annoying fadings faded away as soon as I bit into the fruit's sweet flesh. Not just a snack, but a cleansing opportunity for your whole body. Try them dried for a chewy treat. This fruit gets its colour by soaking up the rays of each sunset, and though it's quite bitter during its youth, it grows increasingly sweet with age until it's close to perfect as it falls off the branch. Let's remind us all to look forward to our sunset years. This fruit reminds me of a particular sunset I witnessed years ago. My son and I were walking home together one evening, and the sun was getting across our path, or setting right across our path. I remember it like it was yesterday. It wasn't spectacular in the least, but I'll never forget it. It takes forever to ripen and only a few seconds to eat, one of life's great tragedies. The flavour here is mellow and sweet, while the aroma is pure elegance. Speaking of aroma, please observe the shape. Does this fruit not resemble a nose? It's quite uncanny, I say. One wonders if it can smell its own deliciously romantic self. There's an elegance about this fruit. Its greatness, graceful curves and subtle flavour bring to mind images of ornate ballrooms, overflowing with cultured guests and blossoming flowers. The simple act of eating it makes it feel a little fancier. Makes me feel a little fancier. Hard. It's too much text for my brain. It's sort of mushing itself into paste. It smells divine. Gently press the flesh near the stem to determine ripeness. If it's soft, then it's ready to eat. If it's still hard, you have to exercise some patience. The amount of moisture contained inside this fruit is quite shocking. Underestimated, you might bite down and find yourself washed in a sea of juice. Be sure to have a snorkel ready when eating one of these. This fruit has a high water content. Its skin is so thin you can bite right through it. It would be the most perfect snack to keep in your pack on a long hike through the desert. If only it didn't bruise so easily. I consider this more of a drink than a fruit. It's a miracle anyone tried to eat this unpleasant-looking fruit the very first time. You'd think it was a hairy exterior that scared them off. Yet eat it they did, and we should all be grateful for what a tasty treat it is. Further proof that luck favours the bold. The fruit in this palette is astonishingly large. If we could cultivate these sample fruits on Hocotate, no one would ever go hungry again. Sadly, I don't know anything about agriculture. Maybe I should have listened to my wife and shown me to do yard work. The black seeds are a delight and have a satisfying, grainy mouthfeel, but I don't recommend eating the fuzzy exterior. Is the blonde imposter simply a disguised delicacy in disguise? You might you might ask? Not at all. It's very much its own fruit. It's juicy and sweet, and it has even more the beautifying vitamin Pikmin U than its green cousin. Imposter? Psh, it's as real as it gets. My wife went through a phase where she talked about was Pikmin, its nutritious value. She charted Pikmin U percentages, and then there was A and P. I never really understood what she was talking about. She was so passionate about it, I couldn't help but listen. I bet she really likes to try this fruit. It has fewer seeds and tastes a hint sweeter than its green counterpart. Squeeze, squeeze. Had enough? No? Well, let's squeeze some more. Ruthless, savage heart beats inside this machine, yet indeed no giant fruit can retain its juice in the face of device's relentless ringing. But if it's the very last drop you seek, then the merciless extractor is for you. When I look at the company president, I can't see myself climbing the corporate ladder. To be a manager, it seems like you have to be an inhuman, heartless villain. These treats allow them to squeeze their dedicated workers without mercy and sleep at night. I fear that some merciless cruelty radiating from this metallic altar. I wonder if it's once used for dark, unspeakable ceremonies, or perhaps it was once the desk of a corporate boss. We'll never know. Used for extracting fruit juices, but could serve as a cup if necessary. It's worth noting this tasty fruit's near perfect round shape, which is not unlike the face of a shrewd friend. Meanwhile, the thick skin suggests it's a survivor. It's seen things, it's been there. So let's look at this way. Look at it this way. As with that friend of ours, it might take us some effort to get to the good stuff, but oh, what a reward once we do. This fruit is so shiny and round, it reminds me of a beach ball whenever I see it. Yet it's so yummy, I can't help but get cravings for it and end up eating it all the time. The only drawback is that I'm constantly disappointed I'm not on vacation. Don't throw away all that stringy white stuff. It's full of nutrients and has excellent texture to a smoothie. This heart-squeezing excitement one feels upon falling in love the first time is not so different from the jaw-clenching salivation that occurs when one takes their first taste of this fruit. I dare say both experiences are thrilling, if just a touch painful. The love between my wife and I is captured in all sorts of romantic memories, as sweet and sour as this fruit. It's fun to return to those memories and feel what I felt then. Sometimes I wonder how my kids would feel the first time they fall in love. Too sour to eat on its own, but squeeze the juice over fried chicken to add a refreshing hint of flavour. Children love this fruit for its adorable shape. See how it looks for all the women like a jolly orange... see how it looks for all the world, like a jolly orange snowman. But this pocked airhead is more than just a cute character. Its taste is sweet and its strange, lumpy skin is easy to peel. There's so much to love about this citrus snowman. Some people may like to peel this fruit from the top, but I prefer to attack it from the bottom instead. Whenever I go from the top, I get this tingly feeling around my belly button. I find it very unnerving. Save the peel and use it to add to a citrusy aroma to your bath. Drop it in the warm water and relax. This fruit is a member of the plant family Bugetidinae, I think. As its name implies, the insect condo is a popular abode host for a number of insects, and who can blame the bugs for taking residence here? The food is not just homey, but also quite delicious. This fruit could be hiding more than a tasty interior. On more than a few occasions, I've found bugs munching their way through the sweet flesh, presumably enjoying a snack of their own. It's funny to think I share the same taste in fruit as a worm. Crispy yet juicy, yet hearty. Always check for worms before taking a big bite. If you find one, it's a sign of good luck. Right, okay, I'll be back in a minute. I've got to eat some food. I'll be back. Swap the box. I'm never going to swap the box, man. Okay, I'm back. It looks for all the world like this fruit is wearing a jaunty hat. But the dapper blob's attire is besides the... Right, that's fucking Rusty's voice. Schnaps is German. It looks for all the world that this fruit is wearing a jaunty hat. But the dapper blob's attire is besides the point. It's the juicy flesh inside. Deeply sweet yet delightfully bitter too. That's the real star of the show here. A fruit fit for royalty. Don't ask me how I know, but if you draw a face on this fruit, it bears an uncanny resemblance to my wife wearing a hat. It even emits the same stylish and judgmental aura. Funny how the doodle version of her is just as intimidating as the real thing. Peeling this fruit is a sure way to dye your fingers purple, and it'll be a while before they go back to normal. It's a food, and yet it resembles some kind of scaly beast. Let's agree that the initial impression is not a good one, and yet inside awaits a rich, creamy culinary delight. Oh, you scaly custard, you. Many have judged you harshly, and for that I am truly sorry. The hard, scaly shell that covers this fruit gets softer and darker as it ripens, so determining the optimal time to peel and eat it can be difficult. It's as if the fruit is actively trying to sabotage your enjoyment of it. I've never known produce to be so sneaky. Tastes rich and satisfying, so but we can almost confuse it with the real thing, almost. There's no other way to say it. The inside of the seed hive is quite grotesque, that knot of black orbs in its belly. Yuck! But many seeds have many cultivation opportunities, and there's no reason to turn our noses up at that. I always thought it was better to eat fruit when it's ripe, but this one is just as enjoyable as nutritious when it's green. The same can be said about creatures like us. Many think maturity is superior, but inexperience and youth are what provide fresh perspectives. Packed with seeds, don't stare at them for too long or you might start to feel a bit dizzy. Is this a fruit or shooting stars that have fallen into the ground? One taste and the answer is yours, yet cut this down into slices and enjoy yourself a fruity constellation. How heavenly! To look at a cross-section of this fruit, you'd think it was a drawing of a star, like one my son would make. Stars don't actually look like that, so why do we draw them this way? Maybe the secret to the universe is hidden within those 5 points. It always looks like a sea cucumber when you slice it open, then you're basically staring at a starfish. When you lay eyes upon the elegant tear shape of this fruit, it may just bring a tear to your own eyes. The perfection of it makes everything else in life seem somehow less perfect. Then when you taste how perfectly sweet it is, prepare to weep with joy. Peeling this fruit is arduous due to its soft skin, so when I tried to eat it without first removing the peel, of ash developed around my mouth. I had better success when I slipped grid-like cuts into the skin and flapped it inside out. The results were delicious. Its meat has a subtle sweetness and it's almost creamy. If I close my eyes while eating, I'm transported to a tropical locale. Clearly this fruit was designed to be sent on outings for children. Notes a built-in wrapper that's easy to remove, but children mustn't toss the wrapper on the ground. Someone is sure to slip on it and land on their behind. Hilarious? Maybe. Painful? Definitely. I must confess, I once slipped and fell on a peel that I thoughtlessly discarded on the floor after eating the fruit inside. I'm really too old to be making mistakes like that. I can even hear my own voice scolding myself. Don't forget to clean up your trash. The taste of healthy yet unremarkable choices. Despite its wild and intimidating outer appearance, this fruit looks quite fancy and refined on the inside. Tiny black specks decorate white flesh. All in all, it looks like an egg from the nest of some fire-breathing half-animal, half-plant beast. Throughout my life, I've met people who seem flashy or fancier, but were actually quite down to earth. I've also met people who were as arrogant as they looked. The same lesson should be applied to this fruit. It looks pretty intimidating, but what's on the inside? Despite its intimidating exterior, the inside is surprisingly sweet. If you eat the red ones, you'll be in for a more colourful surprise and you relieve yourself the next day. If it's a good night's sleep you're seeking, this bed can help. Not only is it quite spacious and comfortable, but if you flip it over, it'll cover you in a fine cloud of dust that's said to encourage sweet dreams. But bring a lint roller for when you're done sleeping. I've heard this mattress possesses miraculous relaxation properties that promise the most restless sleeper a good night can sleep. The most restless sleeper a good night of sleep. I was curious to know how this would affect me, who can literally sleep anywhere. Would I ever wake up again? Thankfully, I did. I jumped to know I was engulfed by a cloud of white smoke. This giant jog-safe bed is the perfect spot for a canine companion to sleep on. It is quite thick and good at absorbing slumber if your favourite pooch friend is prone to such things. Also, a dog sleeping on a dog-shaped mattress, what could be cuter? My beloved dog Bobby has the impressive ability to fall asleep anywhere he wants. Here we have that in common. This habit is also one of my wife's biggest pet peeves. Perhaps if Bobby had a designated bed, it would create a bit more harmony at home. It smells like soap. Maybe I wouldn't need to shower anymore if I slept on it. Birds have long been a symbol of freedom and good luck. In fact, if one appears in your dreams at night, then good fortune is sure to visit you during the day. With that in mind, sleep on this bed and you are guaranteed to find birds flocking to your dreams. Research has shown that sound waves created by a chirping bird are naturally comforting and induce sleep. Now, I don't have any strong preferences when it comes to bedding, but if this makes me feel like I'm sleeping on the forest floor, it could be worth a try. Unless for sleeping, its shape keeps making my mouth water. Or useless for sleeping, its shape keeps making my mouth water, and I can never fall asleep hungry. It's said that life first came from the sea, so it's no surprise that we are so deeply connected to water. Thus, this bed with its fish-shaped design is meant to lull one to sleep with visions of floating. Just lay down and let the dreams wash over you. This thing reminds me of one of the time I was fixing the hull of the SS Dolphin. The combination of the sun and zero gravity created an illusion. It was as if I was a fish floating in the open sea. But in fact, I was just me, floating in a sea of space debris. A bit to the subject while half asleep, I was completely devoid of flavour. Now, as this poor separated family, I know they're only dolls, but it's still sad this grandchild was discovered inside a deep, dark, damp cave. Did she wander off? How did she find herself in such an unsuitable place? She must have been so lonely. What relief then when she was rescued from such an unfortunate fate. I look forward to one day looking upon the face of my grandchild, if it's as cute as this one. Couldn't help but dote on them, but it doesn't really matter what they look like or if they resemble me or anyone else in my family. I've always thought that grandchildren are meant to be spoiled. Cute hat, but makes it hard to see. It's hard to see a family separated even if they are just dolls. Dolls or not, they clearly want to be together. This doll torso looks like it's in the shape of a vase. Perhaps it's a good place to put gifts to have the wayward dolls get by until they're reunited, and they will be reunited. I used to know a guy who would never give in to his kids when they begged him for something. He had one look from his grandkids and he'd given them anything they wanted. It seems that a grandchild possesses immense powers of persuasion, or it's just magic. Flip it upside down, crawl underneath, you've got yourself an instant thought. This doll inherited a wise look from her mother. She's lucky to be part of 3 generations that have handed down only their best traits. Of course, in reality, children often inherit our very worst traits. Whose fault is that? The answer? It's complicated. Children often exhibit both the positive and negative qualities of their parents. I think that's why we feel for them so much. What's more, we want them to keep improving and even exceed the expectations we set for ourselves. It's hard work being a kid. I'm finding the urge to have nose hairs or a moustache. Oh, angry eyebrows. Children mooch off their parents all the time. Don't try to deny it, but to be fair, parents love to be needed, so perhaps they actually like it a bit when the child comes to them with their hand out. Anywho, this looks like a good place to store mooched items. I've worked hard so I wouldn't be a financial burden on my parents, and I don't want my kids to be dependent on me when they grow up. A parent's job is to raise independent children, but not too independent. You still want them to come for home for the holidays. Probably used to take baths al fresco. The woody smell is quite soothing. You want to see the face of a parent? Well, here it is. It's a commanding visage, you know? And yet somehow still warm and inviting. This doll, in her infinite wisdom, knows she must strike the perfect balance between strict expectations and eternal love. As a parent, you need to be able to hide some emotions from your children. It's harder than you think. I remember telling my parents about my career goals and seeing the disappointment in their eyes. It hurt, but I'm glad to see it didn't put me off. I'm glad it didn't put me off my path. If I put this on my head, I look just like Nana. Look at this enormous vase, like a parent who's given too much to a child. It's completely empty. Is this all that remains of a sad story? Maybe, maybe not. But only that parent can say whether giving so much brought them disappointment or the greatest joy. Once you have children, money starts disappearing faster than you can save it. My wife always says if it's for the children, it's worth it. I admire her enormous heart. Still, every year it seems that the children get more and more expensive. Working on the rim of this object is a thrilling yet difficult challenge. I wouldn't normally think to call a meat majestic, but look at this thing, large and imposing, and demands a certain respect for all who consider eating it. I must hear it now. You think you can eat me whole, do you? Bah, I dare you to do your worst. I never expected to find such an appetizing cut of meat in a dark underground lair. Why was it there? How was it made? And is there a reason for its large size? Imagine it was an offering to some great figure. I shall pay my respects later as well. Big enough that no one will notice if I slice off a bit to sample the flavour. After subsisting on the blandest of spacefaring food, I was not prepared for the symphony of flavours this dish unleashed on my tongue. The sublime melding of the top and bottom flavours. Surely a culinary maestro orchestrated this masterpiece. I'm not sure why you'd want to eat raw fish. Maybe cookery on this planet advanced so far they were able to recreate the essence of the original ingredients. It'd be easier to eat if I could cut it down to smaller pieces, but that might be insulting to the chef. Perfect for dipping, the right sauce can bring out all kinds of unexpected flavours and aromatics. This food item looks forward to the world like a wearing a belt around the middle. Fashion choices aside, it tastes like heaven. The yellow part, whatever it may be, is surprisingly sweet and delicious. Maybe more of our food stuff should wear a belt. I understand the white granular parts on the bottom to be fish eggs. One time when I went fishing with my son, we caught a fish who was carrying eggs like these. It was a revelatory moment for him to see how life can differ from species to species. A more sophisticated palate will appreciate the notes of umami in the yellow sponge-like layer. As far as I can tell, this is some sort of fish atop some sort of white stuff. The specifics don't matter as much as the taste, which is good. Nothing too fancy or ostentatious, but just the kind of back-to-basics flavour profile I will crave now and again. One of my favourite birthday gifts as a child is a book I received called 20,000 Millimeters Under the Sea. I believe I owe my adventurous spirit to that novel. How funny that a piece of seafood from a different planet could remind me of my childhood self. An excellent palate cleanser, put you in the mood for a strong cup of tea. This dish was inspired by the legend of the four grill brothers. Two brothers felt that only meat was fit for a grill, the other brothers that only veggies belonged. A sword fight erupted among them, and they skewed each other, but ended up creating this skewer instead. I can't tell if I can tell it'd give me tons of power and stamina. I'm not athletic, but if I ate this whole thing, I'm sure I could work for 3 days straight without a wink of sleep. Now that I think about it, I don't want the president to hear about this and get any ideas. An unpredictable culinary experience. It's up to the eater to decide which part to eat first. Is this clan-like sound generator is all natural? The purity of its percussive tone is irresistible. Clack clack! My taste in music is highly refined, but my wife and kids have no taste at all. For example, when I ask my family if they want to go out for karaoke, they twist their faces and give me a nasty look. They don't know what they're missing. First, I mistook it for a giant clam. My stomach growls every time I tap it. Do you have one of those spouses who love to play pranks on you? For example, one who gets a laugh from sneaking up and stalling you with a boo. Well, put this on your prank-pulling partner, you'll always know when they're approaching. It's a must-have item for the spouse who wants to have the last laugh. Sometimes I miss my carefree bachelor days. Once you have a family, those days are history. I like spending time with my wife, but sometimes I just want to be alone. Could it be a fruit? It looks like there's some kind of seed on the inside, but the husk is inedible. This warning device born by ancient guardian deities would be rung loudly before to whom when a villager committed a wrongdoing. Anyone who heard it would then immediately fall to the ground, clearing the way for the guardians to pass. When I was a kid, I set off the alarm system at my primary school just to see what would happen. As predicted, I was scolded, but I have no regrets. We're naturally curious creatures. Why else would we be here? I still get the urge to set off alarms, but sadly I've gotten better at resisting those impulses. I made the mistake of entering the golden bowl and ringing it from within. The noise was deafening. This great bell has traditionally been rung at the end of each day, each month and each year. What a beautiful tone to mark the passage of time. Of course, once one counts up how many times he's rung this bell. That pretty jingle may turn into quite the startling jangle. How is it so that much time has flown by? Despite its solemn appearance, the sound emitted by this object is airy and bright. It reminds me of the innocence and wonder that lives in the heart of a young child. It's important never to lose that sense of childlike wonder. I know I haven't. Beware, it's easy to get stuck when you climb up into it. What striking tones do play as the wind passes through this silvery treasure. It's musical notes that flow from the holes announce the arrival of a breeze, and in doing so they weave a song both sweet and melancholy. It's a sentimental soundtrack, one best suited for a fall afternoon spent contemplating the passes of the seasons. When painted spaceships look a lot like this, shiny and ripe for adventure, as a kid I'd go down to the spaceship dock just to watch the ships being assembled. That's why I started to dream big. In reality, this is likely some kind of noisemaker. Despite its appearance, this is not a chocolate bar. I chipped a tooth when I tried to bite through the foil wrapper. It seems that something, or more likely some things, live within the integrity of this device. What were these things? Was their purpose? Were they forced to live together as a part of an experiment? Some things are destined to remain unknown. Based on its shape and where it was found, I've deduced this as a nest for some type of aquatic creature. An architect fish are known to use sunken buildings and objects like their own underwater apartments. I'm sure many a life flourished here. I put my face through one of the holes and smelled something odd. Bounce on the squishy bull them to an earth-shattering roar, the likes of which you've never heard. Large brass instruments such as these added volume to band performances just to stand in front of the horn, and if you like your eardrums. I'm not sure my eardrums ever recover from the thunderous noise emitted by this artifact. I can only imagine it played a role in many a naughty child's practical jokes. If I had one of these as a kid, I'm sure I would have been a terror. I can't wait to scare the boss with this thing. This device plays a beautiful melody that evoks feelings of nostalgia. There's something so familiar about it, and yet at the same time, it's completely unknown, mysterious to be sure. strange. Despite its calming terms, something about this melody makes my palms sweat and sends shivers up my spine, as if sending me to a warning about unexpected troubles in the future. This would be the perfect musical accompaniment to a cup of fruit juice. This song played on this device is intended to make the listener feel sleepy and terrified to fall asleep at the same time. How odd that a piece of music can make you feel like you're staring down a mouthful of razor-sharp teeth. There's a healing quality to this song, and I can't quite gravitate toward it. Perhaps it's a machine meant to lure prey for a stronger predator. The strong do have a disproportionate advantage on this planet. Wait, then does that make me the weaker prey? None used to sing me a special lullaby to put me at ease. I would instantly fall asleep. To feel the excitement of a grand adventure, all you need to do is play this device. It seems to sing of heroic tales and captured princesses. I hope one day I'll be able to sell these rare treasures to a hero as valiant as these dulcet tones. My son's always playing some sort of adventure game. He becomes the hero, defeats his arch nemesis, and saves the day at last. I admire heroic figures like that, but if given the choice, I'd choose my own life again and again. This song's positively invigorating, and I can't stop listening to it. Healing tones of old news will greet the new trends. Super sounds of awakening. Air passing through the inner chamber plays a high note that acts as an acoustic refreshment. When I blow air into this rock, it makes the hair on my neck stick straight up, but if I blow a little bit harder, the sound becomes crackly and soft. It's so pathetic. I can't help but burst into a fit of giggles whenever I hear it. The sound this makes would wake even a deep sleeper like Nana. Crying when you want to cry, laughing when you want to laugh, acting on your own impulse without worrying about the consequences. To be a baby again. This treasure delicious feelings of nostalgia for that time and memories of the love and joy a baby can bring. This object rattles when you move it. It sounds quite similar to the frequency emitted by baby goods on my home planet. I imagine this would work in a pinch if you had a crying baby you needed as a soothe. Reminds me of Nana. Your voice is weak, it does not carry, no one notices you. If this is true, then this item is for you. Starting today, you are a gym teacher, you'll never be ignored again. I wasn't surprised to discover this had been found inside of groovy long legs deep underground. It certainly gives off the same vibe as a creature made of inorganic and organic materials. On a separate note, every time I look at it, I want to dance. So fun to jump up and down on it. This massive scope allows two viewers to stand side by side to see how far into the distance. If there wasn't a person ever, it looks as if the design is based on dragon eyes. It's just a thing for a couple of adventurous explorers who hate taking turns. It's reminiscent of a telescope I had when I was a kid. My father and I would stare up at the skies together and talk about our discoveries. That telescope nurtured my adventurous spirit. I'd love to meet the adventurer who peeked into these lenses. When I looked through it from the bigger end, everything seemed tiny. I felt like a giant. This piece of technology doesn't work. There's no way to confirm it, but I believe in my heart of hearts that it's part of a time machine. A foolish belief, maybe, but I have faith that the future holds many great things. It's simply what a sign of what is to come. I was entranced by the longer needle as it spun round and round. The seconds are stuck. And I completely lost track of time. The object doesn't strike me as otherworldly, but whenever I look at it, it feels like I can feel the space-time continuum building around me. Or bending around me. The long stick ticks along a lot faster than the short one. If I had to pick, I'd choose the laid-back one. Yeah, it's definitely not working. It's fine. This astonishing device indicates which direction fate is flowing by reading the magnetic fields around our planets and living organisms alike. It can read one's fortune. The science is too complex to explain, but whether you go north or south, do heed its guidance. Yeah. The arrow-like object floating in the centre appears to move around at will, but it's actually pointing in the same direction. It could be trying to point me toward my destiny, but I'd rather figure that out on my own. Could be useful for food storage, just need to figure out how to open it. Surely this powerful viewing device was used by a brilliant professor trying to catch a glimpse of the truth hiding in the most fundamental level of the universe. When they looked through here, did they find that truth? And did the truth look bigger than a bit out of focus? Everything looks so much bigger when you peer through this lens. You can see the smallest of details and all the different components that make up a single object. That's the proper way to conduct a scientific investigation. As fun as it is to make the food appear larger, this object can actually increase the amount. Some people love to ride the rails because it reminds them of the past. Others ride the rails because they're excited about what lies in the future. I said train trip is more than just transportation. It's a limited possibility. Hop aboard and find out. Why is it that child's eyes always seem to light up at the sight of a train? My son was fascinated with them. It was the first toy he ever wanted. It was the same way as a kid. Even now I'm wishing I could hop on this train and go for a ride. Choo-choo! A very difficult and uncomfortable ride. As this tank car works hard, it carries heavy and difficult to handle loads. Yes, it's pulled along by its superior, but does a vital job connecting that lead to the cars behind it. It may be the middle management of rail cars, but there's nothing to be ashamed of. Long ago, railroads were the lifeblood of civilization. The power to transport people of supplies remains key to our survival. Someone's got to move the fuel, right? I like to think our company plays a similar role in space. It gives meaning to the daily grind. An enjoyable place to sit and play. Passenger cars like this aren't fancy, and yet there's something elegant about taking a ride in one. You simply recline in your seat and stare out the window as someone ferries you to where you need to go. This kind of leisure has a dignity about it, no? As a student, I once took a local train, a really slow one, on a journey to wherever it was going. I was the only passenger. The unchanging scenery stretched on and on. I felt like I was the only person in the world. Sounds a lot like space travel. Place your order on the right and pick it up at the left window. Beware, service is slow. This is a place where lives intersect in all sorts of ways. Some people come here for sad goodbyes, others come for happy hellos. Some people find themselves here wondering where they're going next. Is this a train or a stop or a life stop, or maybe both? During my first job, my parents would meet me at the train station when I got home from work. I always thought I'd do the same thing for my kids, but it's usually them waiting at the station for me now. It always warms my heart, but I wish I could return the favour. Comfy dig, so I wouldn't mind staying here for a while. This straight railroad track is perfect for the person who knows exactly where they want to go in life, from directly point A to point B. No twists, no turns, no turning back. It may not be the most adventurous route, but adventure is not for everyone. They say that following the straight and narrow path is a virtue. But I've learned firsthand that it doesn't always lead you to your destination. When I started working directly into the present of Archetype Freight, I thought it was an inevitable next step in my career. All it led to was piles and piles of paperwork. I'll be happy if my kids take a slightly twisted route in life as long as it helps them achieve their dreams. The colour makes me hungry for some delicious fruit. What a profound curve this track here exhibits. It's not so different from life. Sometimes you think you know where you're going, but then a curve in the track takes you for an unexpected ride. There's no getting off this train, so sit back and enjoy the surprise. I always slow down on sharp curves, but sometimes I crave the occasional thrill of speed. Maybe if I floored the accelerator while the parking brake was engaged, it would satisfy my desire. Sometimes the look around a window of civilization isn't simply the result of us all trying to satisfy our desires just enough to stay productive. I keep thinking the next time I jump into one of those holes, I'm going to fall to my doom. Sometimes in life you feel like a track down that seems straight as an arrow, but the fact is it's not straight, not at all. Follow that track and you can end back where you started. But don't let that get you down, maybe you're right back where you should be. I took my son to the zoo a few years ago and he suddenly started crying. To calm him, we walked him back and forth on the path of no exhibits. We didn't see any animals that day, but I learned sometimes the best solution is as simple as a change in direction. I got my head stuck in one of the gaps. My panic screaming loosened it so enough for me to get through. When a sharp turn catches you by surprise, what do? Slam on the brakes or throw open the throttle? No matter what choice you make, you're into a heart-pounding thrill ride. Best to grab for the seatbelt if you've got one. Some people think I don't like the concept of a set path or staying on the rails. That's not true at all. The only thing that matters to me is that I'm going in the right direction. How I get to my destination is irrelevant, much like the opinions of others. I'm settled by both the shape and the colour. Slip a coin into the mouth of this machine. In return, I'll tell you a joke, or so I'm told, but so far I've only returned silence for every coin I've put in. Perhaps it's broken, or perhaps the joke is on me. So the idea is you put your hand in the mouth and pretend to be a devourer of something inside this object. Maybe some people find that funny or even romantic, but it seems like a mediocre party gag to me. Shake it and you hear the unmistakable sound of money. What enormous creature could these teeth belong to, and how did it come to part with them? The mind reels to imagine it all, though this much we do know. The straightness and whiteness of the teeth yet had access to excellent dental care. I don't want to cross past the end of these teeth. Of course, given the height of these models, I'm guessing they're too big to have much in the way of physical agility. And that could work to my advantage if we did encounter one another. I could just run in frantic circles till they eventually gave up. Wish I could eat all the big things this big mouth could eat. Surely such a large breath could be used to scrub a great many things. The mind boggles with the possibilities. Of course, one must use such a powerful tool of cleansing wisely. Think carefully before you proceed. I'm reminded of a toothbrush I used when I was a kid. I always wanted to brush my own teeth, so my mum finally gave up helping me. It was a sweet victory. Unfortunately, that's when I started to get cavities. I guess that's the price of independence. I like to bury my face in the long, soft fur. The soft bristles of this brush, how good they feel when scrubbing one's own back. But how easy it is to lose yourself in the feeling. As they say, too much of a good thing is a bad thing. Don't be fooled by this brushing vice. Know when enough is enough. Brushing a child's teeth with them is hard work. Maybe worse, they are oblivious to the perils of tooth decay, so stop brushing our kids' teeth at times so they could learn for themselves. Though I did not go over too well with my wife. There's something soothing about the way it smells. What a surprise it is to find that this lollipop offers no flavour at all. The odd protuberance is neither sweet nor savoury, and yet mysteriously it lures one into sucking on it. Even more surprising, once you have a taste of this flavourless lollipop, you're almost certain to feel so soothed that hours fly by and a satisfied haze. English is hard. I look at this and I'm instantly overcome by thoughts of my mother and all the mothers out there. They represent the power of nature itself, cocooning the universe in love and fortifying with their strength since the dawn of time. Gave it a whiff. All I got was a nose full of nostalgia. This shape, it is once familiar and also comforting. Surely this sculpture was erected to remind us that mother's love is universal. The shape resembles a mammalian appendage, but I have no idea what it actually does. It's dripping with what can only be described as beast drool. I'm hesitant to touch it, but I've got a duty to my mission. Maybe it won't be so bad if I close my eyes. This reminds me of my mum and Nana. She used to feed me milk from this kind of thing. This bathing apparatus is sure to be the envy of all who see it. Though primarily used for delightfully refreshing cold plunges, it can also hold hot water if it's delivered. True, the sledges are slippery, but once you're in, it offers hours of carefree splashing. The bathtub we have at home is much smaller. If we had one like this, we could use it as a hot tub and relax together as a family. Then again, it's hard to unwind when surrounded by excited children, especially ones who like to splash you in the face. Perfect for catching critters big and small. Just leave a little bait in there and see what happens. Look at this robot. It's meant to command, to lead. The greatness is in its eyes and its horns, but how can one be a great leader, robot or otherwise, without followers? Likewise, what is a head without a body? Important questions for all of us to ask. I was in awe of modular robots when I was growing up. The strength and abilities impressed me to my core. I doubt anyone's ever admired me in such a way, but maybe that's not so bad. I find great satisfaction in being respected as an equal. The rotating action will work great for mincing garlic. The very heart of the robot, it all comes together right here. Separate parts joined to become one. Voila! A team is born. It takes determination and drive to pull everyone together, but that's what the heart of a team does, and that's how victory is won. Once I get started on something, I'm the type that can't help but keep piling on more and more for myself to do. If that's considered hard work, then I guess I like hard work. The only problem is the result of hard work isn't always good work. I wonder how much this would sell for if reassembled. Look at this robot arm. It's ready to seize victory in its steely fist. It fires its enemies not out of anger but out of necessity. It does what must be done and never flinches from that duty. Yes, that's what valor looks like, and it's a good look indeed. It's crucial to believe that you are capable of success, but just because you believe it doesn't guarantee it will happen. Then again, if you don't believe it, you're unlikely to succeed at all. That's why you have to clench your fists and remain strong in the face of every challenge. For me, the ultimate success will be returning home to my family. I believe I can. Perfect for tenderizing meat. If the right arm is all about valor and victory, and the left arm is all about love and peace, you could say that while one hand throws a punch, the other reaches out for a handshake. This symmetry is important. It keeps the whole body, nay, the whole universe, in balance. For me, love and protectiveness go hand in hand. When I think of my daughter, rambunctious, willful, and the bright spark of joy, both feelings come forth at once. I'd do anything to keep her spark from fading away mine has. If she read this now, she'd say, "Lighten up, Dad." They say peace and love go hand in hand. Neither seem to add much in terms of flavour. This robot's right leg is planted solidly on the ground. Its stance is firm. This posture says, you can do anything, only you have the courage and the conviction to do it. Inspiring, isn't it? Yes, it is. Now I, too, am ready to put my own foot down. Legs are some of the most important parts of a living organism. Not only are they used for walking and running, but the movement hurts circulate blood throughout the body. Some even call the legs the second heart. I wonder if my toes serve a second purpose as well. I've been looking for something like this for mashing potatoes. One can't afford to waffle on the battlefield, nor can one afford to rush in with half-baked plans. Yes, courage is required, but also calmness. Yes, if conviction is needed, but also composure. You can rest assured that its left leg will stride into battle, but only after careful consideration. Many people don't realise they've not had a dominant hand, but a dominant leg as well. That leg can even be more muscular or longer than its non-dominant counterpart. Too big of an imbalance between the legs can have staggering effects. If I have a dominant hand, does that mean I have a dominant foot? If so, which one is it? Red is red, of course, or is it? First, there are many shades of red, and second, even the same shade of red may different things to different individuals. For examples, for some, red is a painful fire. For others, it's a warm love. Maybe there's a one-of-a-kind red for us all. This is my favourite colour. I love how it imbues passion and emotion to everything it touches. Come to think of it, the first Pikmin I encountered were red. Perhaps that's why I instinctively trusted them. Colours can influence behaviour in all kinds of ways. I find the colour unsettling. This tube of decorative blue goo is sure to inspire creativity in anyone who comes upon it. It should also be a reminder to welcome new colours into your life now and then. Don't get stuck returning to the same hues over and over again. Go wild, unleash a new you! This colour is very similar to that of the blue Pikmin. I prefer red. My whole mouth turned blue after one lick, and some of the stuff kept coming out blue for the next few days. Probably won't eat it again, even if it is my favourite colour. In fortune-telling circles, this is the power of colour of illumination. It is the power to light the path before us, showing which way we're to go if we want a better luck in life, and specifically money-making endeavours. I hope the illumination goo will light my way. I heard the Pikmin of the same colour were found in the same location. Could there be a correlation? Some creatures change their appearance to match their environment. I'd like to observe what happens to those Pikmin who have been exposed to other environments. Makes me think of my favourite yellow foods. What a regal colour this is, noble and dignified in hue. It demands a solemn difference from all who gaze upon it. No wonder it's the colour of kings, queens, and other folks of high status. I confess I yearn to have a coat made of this colour myself. Found in a dark location. Luckily, it was just bright enough to be spotted in the vicinity of purple Pikmin. I never associated purple with strength, but I've since had to revise my thinking. Reminds me of the colour of almost frozen lips. Brrr. Some say this hue is the absence of all colour. Others say, in fact, it's all colours combined. I, for one, believe both are true. No, I do not know the whys and hows of it, but I do know this colour goes nicely with every other colour out there, and that must mean something. Discovered in an obscure locale alongside white Pikmin. Creatures with bright colours are usually more likely to be packing poison, while creatures with dull coloration are generally harmless. This doesn't apply to white Pikmin. In fact, they're dangerously poisonous. No doubt they use this to advantage. My teeth have been sparkling white since I used this to brush them. I wonder if it took care of my cavities too. A bit of white, a bit of black. This colour's made it halfway home between the two. Some say it's an ambiguous hue that refuses to paint its flag, but maybe it just enjoys living between two ends of the spectrum, enjoying the best of both worlds. The colour reminds me of rock Pikmin. When I first touched one, I was surprised by how cold it felt. It was a pleasant sensation. They didn't seem to mind my curiosity, much like this treasure. Rock Pikmin were found in a dark, chilly place. How appropriate. The boss likes to wear this colour. I guess it suits grown-ups. This colour, so charming. Anyone who lays eyes upon it found their mood improved. Needless to say, it's a go-to hue for painting cheeks and lips when one is in the mood to captivate. Would it work as well if I painted it on my arms? Perhaps I'll try. An attractive colour similar to that of the wing Pikmin I found in its vicinity. It mystifies me how such helpless creatures have survived so long. The bright colour makes it so easy for a predator to spot them. Needless to say, I find them to be particularly fascinating. I look like a ripe fruit when I cover my face with this stuff. It makes me even hungrier. This is neither the colour of the sky nor the colour of the sea, though it's nearly the colour of both. Now, as blue hues go, this one has a cool splash of water on your face, or like shaved ice on a summer day, or like the calm surface of the water of the swimming pool after my love swam away for the first time. Oh my, I fear I got swept away for a moment there. The colour reminds me of the ice submitted by the Sus Nivis Ventis. It is a coincidence that I count this treasure and ice Pikmin in the same area. It's no coincidence that ice Pikmin are called that. If I licked one, I'm sure my tongue would stick to it. I look at this colour and think about ice cubes. It doesn't matter how many I eat, it never fill me up. Like a neon sign blinking at night or a luminous bug flitting across a field at sunset, this colour grabs your eye and doesn't let go. But will you follow where it leads? Neon by its very nature will lure you toward adventure or danger. Who knows what a goo of this hue has in store for you? The same colours the glow Pikmin appear when exploring at night. Many think neon colours are artificial, but they're actually a result of certain materials reacting to short wavelengths of light. So really, they're quite natural, another example of how our perception can be unreliable. If I paint my whole body with this colour, will it disappear forever or never get lost? This lamp's the very definition of inspiring, with the figure of a proud woman holding a torch on high. not only lights up a room with this glow, it lights the spirits of those who gaze upon it. The statue seems to be imbued with the majesty of an ancient goddess. When I look up at her, I can't help but be mesmerised by her beauty, until my neck stops throbbing in pain. The right hand is holding a generous serving of soft-serve ice cream, chocolate if I had to guess. This charming creature beckons to all who pass by. Come to me, it says. I'm too adorable to resist. Decorated with opulent flourishes, it seems to promise not only friendship but good fortune as well. While looking at the statue, I found myself smiling and petting its head for no discernible reason. It must possess a magical ability to captivate people and convince them to do its bidding. How can something so devious and manipulative be so cute? All I'm getting are greedy vibes. On Rockettate, the ancient statue head is almost as popular as the gyroid bust. With her cool goggles and dramatic personality, the statue oozes a mysterious aura. So the competition between the two makes sense. What's even more mysterious is the figure's missing body. This looks a lot like a figurine my son learned about in school. I've always wondered why she wears goggles. What does she have to hide? Maybe a secret past with an ancient statue floating around out there. I look forward to discussing this with my son. There's no way I'd win in a staring contest against her. When one thinks upon this landmark, one can't help but contemplate many things. First, what is this figure contemplating? Moreover, what should I be contemplating? Open your mind to big questions like these, and you're sure to contemplate great things. Could I be related to the person who modelled for this statue? While examining it earlier, I found myself striking the same pose without even realising it. We do share the same genes. How do they end up on this side of space? Deciding what to eat next is a quandary that will forever thwart the mind. As soon as it's resolved, it begins anew. Many have wondered what the statue would have looked like if the artist had completed the work. Would the arms have been folded, held straight out? Might wings have been carved where arms belong? If only the artist had stopped at such a crucial juncture. What manner of calamities had befallen the planet at the time this statue was created? Apocalyptic catastrophes, extreme weather, the wrath of the gods? The questions that artifacts like these inspire what makes them truly valuable. This made a nice snack for someone. If there's any way to enjoy eating rocks, I'd like to know how. What a device! Push it over, lock it down, knock it aside, always bounces back. How it manages to do so remains a mystery. But if you're ever feeling discouraged, give this machine a shove and rejoice in its return to being upright. May this inspire you to do the same. I've never been the type to give up. No matter how many times I fall, I always get right back up. Again. At first I thought I could practice alongside this machine, but its stubby body reminds me too much of the president. One glance at it and I lose all motivation to continue. The shape itself is familiar, but that's it. This fossil is all the remains of a heroic giant from ancient times. He was known for sharing compassion to not only allies, but enemies. As we contemplate his revered visage, we should let this past benevolence act as a guide for our own behaviour today. Look upon this warrior's calming visage as a peaceful way to spend an hour. The eyes seem to see through everything, as if their gaze is freeing you from the darkness of your mind. Perhaps you've stumbled upon the sacred key to life's greatest questions. This bears a striking resemblance to something else. This clever contraption is meant to be used when you don't want to reveal your emotions. Stand behind it and will render any expression on your face unreadable. Its blank eyes and straight lips will keep your innermost feelings safe from prying eyes. I can't pinpoint the exact moment, but this reminds me of the face my wife made once I delivered a perfectly executed dad joke. It's been a long time since I've been face to face with such beauty. I can feel the heartbeat in my eardrums. This device not only stores but also displays images from the distant past. There's something about the image frozen on the screen now. The two friendly creatures pictured here are familiar somehow. Try as I might, I can't quite put my finger on it. What mysterious and fluffy creatures. I can't find evidence of them in any of the existing creature databases, but there's something familiar about them. It's almost as if I've met them before. I guess I'll chalk it up to an ancient memory that's been imprinted on my genome. I'd like to take a ride on either of these creatures. Touch the tips of this device to your cheek, and you'll find the number that appears there matches the warmth of your heart. When faced with stress or anger, they'll amplify the sense to your skin. Is the number higher? If so, it's time to focus on keeping you cool. I want to find the warmth in your heart. What a brilliant idea. The next time there's a mix-up between my wife and me, I can just show her the numerical value of my feelings for her. Then we could use it on her, and actually that part might backfire. I licked the smaller end. It was little bit salty. The rest was pretty unappetizing. This timepiece doesn't measure the passing of time in general, but the passing of time is felt by the one holding it. The user presses the top button once per second, but how fast or slow they press it depends on what the second feels like to them. Profound! Tasks in space require accurate timing. Docking a spaceship is a good example of that. If the monitors on my ship were to break, I'd need to measure time using my instincts alone. It's a perfect tool to help me develop an accurate sense of time. Could be handy for when you're collecting fruit and you're too tired to keep count. This enormous computing machine not only allows for complex number crunching, but assures these critical calculations can be completed whenever needed. Note the enormous cellular cell that powers it. Whoever built this marvel has harnessed the incandescent fury of the sun itself and used it for math. I may be able to embed this on the wall of the ship's computer room. It could be useful for making manual calculations should this ship's AI ever crash unexpectedly. Space pilots need to be prepared for any emergency, and I'll take all the help I can get. I'm not sure if I'm using this thing correctly. It looks like it has buttons, but they can't be pushed. This clever exercise machine combines all the joys of doing math with the thrill of physical exertion. When performing complex maths tasks, simply jump from key to key. I dare say finding solutions to math problems has never been so fun. This extremely sturdy calculator. I never thought sturdiness was a necessary quality for a calculator, but I do recall my wife recalculating her monthly budget multiple times after shopping trips with extreme vigour. And the calculators I've used for both life and work do have a tendency to get thrown around. I guess the craftsmen on this planet had the right idea. It's a nice place to learn and think about the day. The adjustable pads mould to your body shape. Alien invasion? No, it's just an octopus, or is it? There's something quite strange about this one. Could it be a new species? Perhaps. Well, whatever this thing is, its adorable beady eyes stare unblinkingly at me. It's almost certain it's communicating telepathically with me. A strange life form that mimics an octopus. We discovered other creatures that use mimicry, but in this case it's fairly unconvincing. I'm not even sure it is a life form. I intended to dissect it to investigate further, but first I'll try one tiny bite. The head and tails have the same flavour and texture. Tastes like fish. What a mysterious new species of fish. Its body is transparent, yet inside is full of black liquid. Give it a good squeeze and the liquid squishes right out. Its fluid is tasty, although quite salty to be honest. Surely that means it must come from the sea. Disturbing to see a mouth that can be removed like a cap. If it were reattached improperly, would the bodily fluid simply pour right out? I remember when a supposedly airtight container of mine once failed. My bag smelled like onion soup for a week. Just one splash of this creature's liquefied innards to improve the flavour of any dish. I'll never leave home without it. This is the fossil of an ancient sea creature. Sure, it looks like nothing but a brown blob from above, but flip it over and surprise, it sparkles like a gem lit from the inside. The iridescent pattern reminds me of water-driving newt found on my home planet. A fossil excavated at the beach. From its shape, I can deduce it was cast by an aquatic creature. That could indicate the current site of the beach was once the ocean floor. I only took one bite of charred space newt to straighten Nana's bad back. I wonder what mental surprise this might have. Clearly this is a fossil of a slipper bug. These creatures live in ancient times and always travelled in pairs. Quite often one would get separated from the other, no matter searching reunite them. Wait, am I thinking about real slippers? Discovered among a mountain stream, its shape reminds me of a type of footwear used when moving through shallow waters. Perhaps this creature will mimic the shoe prints of a planet's inhabitants as a way to hide in plain sight and steal their food. An excellent tool for mashing and grating fruit. In times of old, competitors face off against one another to see who could throw this enormous spear the furthest. It is said that the only way to take the winner's spot was to train as relentlessly as the spear flies. That is to say, competitors had to give their all to their spear training. Nothing less than total focus, total dedication, and total confidence would do. Those who gave their all found they could throw their spear very far indeed. The spear looks like a rocket from the early days of space exploration. It may even conceal some sort of high propulsion device within. But I hope it has a more romantic history in that it protected explorers as they sailed through space pursuing their dreams. Cold to the touch, but fun to climb. This treasure not only has two prongs with two personalities, that is, it's so beautifully designed a noble person might hang on their role as a decoration. At the same time, it's so fierce a warrior might use it as a weapon. Spear appreciated by rulers and warriors alike. That is a mighty spear indeed. My little girl has always been the princess of our household. If there was a miniature version of this, I'd love to present her as her own personal fork. I can imagine it now. She'd be so ecstatic, swinging it all around, wreaking havoc, scaring the dog. If two people work together, they could use it to drop fruit from a considerable height. What would you say if I told you this spear is capable of shattering everything from a single solid stone to an entire iceberg? Would you shake your head in disbelief? Well, it's the truth. In fact, it works so well, should you start using it to break things, you might find it hard to stop using it to break things. It's just so satisfying, of course, that's how one suddenly finds itself surrounded by nothing but rubble. Careful, the tool is very sharp. Its original owner must have wanted to pierce or crack things open at any cost. As a lover and preserver of unique objects, I'm not quite sure I understand the purpose or value of an item such as this. Think of all the hard-shelled snacks I could go open with this thing. This desk features a built-in display surely used to show important things such as maps and vital statistics. No doubt many heated discussions have taken place over the matters shown here. One hopes that those who worked and fought at this desk also took breaks for rest and frivolity. During slow days at work, I like to play this game where I use the zero gravity to float toy rockets from the ship's window. Then act out scenes from my favourite childhood TV show, which has a galactic war going in the distance. I should probably edit these notes before the president asks to review them. I jumped out of my skin the first time the display lit up. This disc vexes me greatly. I've analysed it, meditated over it, even given it a good whack or two, but I still can't decipher its purpose. But drawing upon my rather prodigious treasure knowledge, I surmise it's either a piece of equipment used for gathering solar energy, or it's a weapon capable of reflecting light to troublesome beasts to scare them off. Quite useful either way. I think this might be a tool for warding off predators. Perhaps if I attached it to my back, the creatures of the planet would be deterred from chasing me. I could test this theory on the Pikmin, of course. They might end up carrying me instead, treasure and all. Oh, it's so shiny, I can't understand them drawn to it, or should run in the opposite direction. This cross-shaped structure on this device not only satisfied to press up, down, and side to side, but also clearly moves something. Strange to say, but it almost feels as though it's controlling me. But who could be controlling me? I must know who it is. I like pressing the different directions of the mathematical symbol, but there's something captivating around the two round buttons. Can't help but want to push them over and over as fast as I can. Don't want to break them, but I don't want to stop either. Nothing and no one tells me what to eat. Spinning, spinning, spinning. These memories are spinning in my head, or are they memories of spinning itself? Wait, what is happening? I'm starting to believe this mysterious black plank actually contains someone else's memories. Dizzyingly strange. How interesting that the artist used a black plank as a canvas and how they chose to depict the pilot. They look like the type that works hard for their beloved family, though the design of the spaceship is all wrong. Good luck flying that thing through narrow meteor crevices. I've been looking for a tray like this to use at mealtimes. It looks pretty easy to carry too. No more meals will be lost to the poorly placed wall. This yellow plank, simply marvellous. The text upon it is indecipherable but somehow moving. Could it be some sort of a story? A masterpiece, I'm sure of it. How exasperating is it not to be able to read it as if it sits right there before me? It's a bit unusual to call something a masterpiece before you read it, but this one, I've got a good feeling about this one. I think it's meant for children, but is it about a boy or a girl? Hopefully both. It's been hard to please everyone in the audience at bedtime lately. The colour of this thing reminds me of a really delicious fruit. Do you believe in psychic powers? Your woman knows of this device's uncanny behaviour. That is, it vibrates all on its own. Surely this is proof of telekinesis, or yes, even psychokinesis exists. Did it just vibrate again? This machine is equipped with an advanced vibration feature. The vibrations seem to be communicating in a vacuum, perhaps trying to reach out to its corresponding system, which has likely been lost to time. Who knows what the machine is trying to say, but something's telling me about the sadness of an abandoned technology. Makes for a great back massager. This enigmatic object seems designed to connect to something, or maybe to make a connection between two things. What does it connect to, or whom does it connect? Well, we can all agree that something is better with a connection than without. Sharing is one of civilization's most important virtues. We share food, shelter, stories, and sometimes even checks. I really hope this belief is also held by the president of our company. I'd like to share in the form of a holiday bonus this year. Look at all those buttons and a rotating nub thing. I'm not letting anyone else touch. This is mine. Can you feel it? The creative energy that flows through this object is undeniable. The colour, the curvature, the smoothness to the touch. They light up the right side of the brain, that side that governs the arts. Infinite imagined possibilities await. I don't have a creative cell in my body, but my daughter somehow invaded this genetic deficiency. Avoided. When she's drawing, she becomes so absorbed by her art as if she can't hear a word I say, that or she's just ignoring me. I have no idea if what she draws is any good, but the ability to focus on something so deeply is talent enough. Either way, her future is bright. There's a ball hiding inside this thing for some reason. Take it out and you can't roll it anymore. Notice how resplendent the this slab is. It's called cobalt blue. The pigment is extracted from an ore renowned for honing one's intuition, intelligence, and reflexes. Yes, the more I gaze upon it, the more advanced I feel myself become. Space is a funny place. You can be using the latest in galaxy navigation technology and still find yourself lost in a sea of space trash. That's life, isn't it? If you want to advance, you've got to be flexible. This also applies to settling marital disagreements. It opens and then it closes. That's pretty fun. Beauty soars to new heights here. This magnificent sculpture captures the form of a white bird gliding through the air. But what does it mean? I'd say this is just about a bird. This is about freedom. Just look at it. It is freedom itself. I sort of see the winged aspect. Mostly it reminds me of a model spaceship I played with as a kid. The overall design is perfect for transcending all sorts of atmospheric barriers. Plus it looks so cool. See, it has two rotating knobs, but it's unclear which one I should play with. Technology built into these. Oh, this technology built into these specs is incredible. To begin, there's a filter in each lens in order to light at the quantum level. Dimensions are converted into process, and things you couldn't see that were right in front of you are revealed. Eye-opening. What your eyes might see is not an exact representation of reality. We can only see one part of the world within a narrow range of visible light. The magnificent device proves that theory. I'd like to show it to my kids one day. It would boggle their minds. These would enhance any video game experience. The implications of this technology are quite frightening. Not only does it broadcast music played by a musician, but pieces of the musician's own soul. We always knew that they put their hearts and souls into their songs. This takes it to a whole new level. I'm picky when it comes to music, but I'm fascinated by how a melody can perfectly capture a person's soul or even a specific feeling. I wonder what my song would be. I'd like to think it would sound bold and romantic and reflect my adventurous career. I climbed on top of the knobs. The middle one was the most comfortable. To use this mode of transportation, you must stand on the trolley and kick the ground to propel yourself forward. You can also sit on the trolley and push yourself along with your hands. It's more thrilling than riding a typical trolley, but also a lot more work. The ability to stay balanced is critical to exploration in space travel. It is okay to lose your balance as long as you can regain it right away. The tool is perfect for strengthening that skill. The only problem I've got is I can't get it to move forward when I'm on my back. Whee! So fun to ride. An incredible invention. These glasses block out things you don't want to see while letting you see the things you do want to see. This is a happy way to view the world. I'm not sure it is, but I'm also not here to judge. These shutters make it difficult to see clearly ahead, but I'm not sure why they'd be found in a dark cave. And there's not as if they can be used as a proper hiding place. They remind me of playing hide and seek with my kids and pretending not to see them. Oddly difficult to see through. I have no idea what's in front of me. I don't know what it is about this fruit, vegetable, whatever it is, but take one bite and your heart is sure to heat up. But no, mine does. It is love at first bite, or am I just imagining things? This tasty red snack isn't quite a fruit, but it does seem like a vegetable. It doesn't seem like a vegetable either. I've analysed it extensively, and whenever I think I've settled them out, I discover something new that calls it into question. This is why I'm not a scientist by trade. Exquisite balance of sweet and sour. The umami flavour almost doubles when cooked with meat. If a crush was a taste rather than a feeling, this fruit is where you'd go to experience it. The feeling starts small, and you take the first bite and think, I'm not so sure I like it, but then you take another bite and another. And you discover that you not only like it, but you come to love it. Suddenly you have a full-blown food crush on your hands. Just remember, many things in life are an acquired taste, so be sure to keep an open mind. When I was a student, a girl in my class asked me to go shopping with her. It would have been rude to refuse, so I went. My friends kept hassling me, saying it was a date, but it was so embarrassing. Come to think of it, my wife asked me out soon after that. I wonder if she was jealous. Yummy, but not very filling. This plant grows very fast, which makes it a joy to tend to for gardening enthusiasts. It also makes a great snack. Isn't it nice when a thing brings happiness to your life in more than one way? I say those are the sort of things worth keeping around. This plant grows so fast it reminds me of my own children. One day they were little babies in my arms. The next day they've sprouted up into fully fledged people. I have my wife to thank for that. She does so much while I'm so frequently away for work. These delights grow fast. These delights grow fast, but not faster than I can eat them. I'd be happy to prove it. This gold selling point is the diversity of ways it can be eaten. Boil it, bake it, or fry it. It all works. Added bonus when you stand it on the end with the stem up, it looks like a fellow with a crew cut. Ha! I once saw a prototype of a spaceship shaped a lot like this. Unfortunately, it didn't fly straight, just spun around in place. Examples like that are why I prefer a more traditional approach. Being original for the sake of originality is usually a waste of time. Stir fry over medium heat to get a melty inside and crunchy exterior. This plant sucks the good things out of the ground it grows in to get its lumpy round shape. No, it doesn't look all that exciting, but I suspect the nutritional value is quite high. During my explorations, I found vegetables like this. I've never seen anything like them. This dark-dwelling vegetable stores all of its nutritious energy in its roots. I think the name that's been given, Child of the Earth, is very fitting. When left unattended, its leftovers will begin to sprout. I may try burying it underground, see if it takes root. This vegetable was tended to with the utmost care, doted on, you might say. You can tell by its exceptional flavour and nutritional value. Yes, all the love given to it has turned into a sweet, savoury food treat, delicious and delightful. When my son was born, I was almost immediately worried about him, but it was different with my daughter. I sensed from the start that she was a strong-willed and sturdy, a sweeter version of her mother. This daughter of the earth reminds me of her. Bake in a hot oven until you can pierce the middle with a fork. Slather with butter while still warm. I understand that ancient literature from this planet tells of a noblewoman who used this fruit's rind as a carriage. Clever! Additional laws tells of some kind of midnight deadline of missing footwear. Literature is complicated. Large, and the size is right for retrofitting as some sort of vehicle, maybe a carriage, but then what do you do with the goopy insides? Flippantly throw them out the windows, you roll away in your fancy new transport? Never. I'm vehemently opposed to wasting food. Scoop out the flesh and bake to elicit a fruity, sweet flavour. I love how this stylish bean comes with its own hard wrapper, as if it was made to be carried around and snacked on at a convenient time. It smells quite yummy too. Funnily enough, to even think about having a bite makes me get quite thirsty. I don't need any special tools to pick them with a shell. The fruit inside is edible. Cracking these open is so satisfying I can find myself getting carried away and opening more than I could possibly eat. Note to self, work on moderation. Crack open the shell, snack on the crunchy nuts inside. Don't forget a drink, these make you thirsty. I'm told this strange fruit is called a foolish fruit, with its odd shape and silly hat. It doesn't have a rather goody air about it, so there's no need to make fun. It's perfect just how it is. The shape of this fruit looks like a lot like my grandpa's face. It was so similar that if I were to name it, I'd call it a grampy face fruit. My wife always thought my taste in names was catastrophically bad, just why she named both of our children, but I think this one has a certain ring to it. Can be grilled or sauteed, but I like it best when eaten raw. Right, how many we've got now? 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, we're almost done. Okay. Even the blast from a rocket leaving a planet can't penetrate this shield. Its protective powers are so robust that after years of use by a battle-worn shoulder, there's one small scratch on the surface. A fine piece of vintage armour, to be sure. The first time I rode in a spaceship, I was a student working part-time for an interspace transportation company. The excitement I felt during the first launch was unforgettable. The iconic rocket engraved on this shield reminds me of that moment. Shimmers and sparkles in the sunlight. It's bewitching. See how this shield has engraved the image of a massive ringed planet? In ancient times, this ring was thought to be the curse that caused space travellers to forever end up right back where they began, but nowadays the ring has come to represent a joyful return home after a long journey. There's also customary to give this shield to someone you love in hopes it would bring them home to you safely. When I was little, I'd look at pictures of the planets and imagine that the rings around them were roads you could travel on. Of course, once I got to space, I learned that those rings are actually made up of dust particles, so I've never been so disappointed. A jelly donut on the verge of exploding. Did you know that satellites are highly vulnerable to meteors and other space debris? This shield is specifically made to space workers who protected those vital pieces of tech from damage. This shield can withstand a blow from a meteor, it can withstand everything. Someone told me that when a satellite is decommissioned, some of its lights will start to blink spontaneously as it falls to the atmosphere. It's likely a glitch. But I'd like to believe the satellite's sending one last message before burning up into nothingness. Comfortable spot for a quick nap. Emblazoned across the shield is an image of a hero beloved for leading the civilization into the stars. Soldiers who fought enemy life forms revere this figure the most. Needless to say, the shield is strong enough to be worthy of heroes new and old. The figure on the shield is wearing something quite similar to our spacesuits. This means these living beings must look something like us. I wonder who they were and what their faces looked like. Could they have been our ancestors who migrated through space to our planet long ago? The mouth is huge and trying to eat something. Floating cookies, I think. To be a great warrior, one must be able to withstand not just attack, but attack after attack. The small but powerful shield is designed to protect its own from onslaught blows like land like a shower of shooting stars. Endurance is strength. I often encounter comets and meteors on the job, and collisions are bound to happen. I once had to make a crash landing for that very reason. I like to look back at these events as unexpected adventures, but at the time they're pretty harrowing. Could be easily mistaken for some kind of jewel and sold for a hefty sum. I'd like to find more of these. It's said that there is a sword in hand, one could triumph over any enemy. It's said the blade was given this hue to inflame the warrior heart within. I must say, my heart is beating faster, and yes, my blood has begun to boil. Yes, yes, let the battle begin! Even though it's awkward to handle, I assume it's a weapon of some kind. I like how lightweight and user-friendly it is, but I'm not sure how effective it would be against most threats. Either way, it's a lot of fun to play with. I like the way it looks like it's plunged into a fruit. This sword is known for bestowing on its owner the power to make allies of forest spirits. Clearly it was given this odd green hue in anticipation of forest combat. The colour does seem rather bright for any forest we know of, but maybe forests here are very vibrant? That must have been pretty hard to see this sword in the forest as it would blend in the foliage. Applying apathetic correlation to a weapon is more than just practical, it's brilliant. I'm always amazed at the creative solutions that flow around in the minds of others. Looks a lot like grass. Clearly this ancient sword was forged in battle on some sort of an ice planet. Just look at it. The deep hue colouring is evidence it once had powers that work best in below freezing temperatures. I could swear all these eons later it's still cold to the touch. I visited a few icebound planets while delivering cargo throughout space. Based on my experience, I find it hard to believe this material could withstand such a severe environment. I think it's likely this object is used for another purpose. It's fun to stab fruits with this thing. This sword was once wielded by a hero still on the battlefield, cutting down enemies. It said the sword's bold killer drew the enemies in and distracted them. The hero made easy work of them as they stared, transfixed by his blade. My son used to have a toy sword in a similar colour. He was obsessed with it and brought that sword everywhere he went, including the dinner table. That is until I explained it was dishonourable for a hero to attack a weaker citizen wielding only a fork. Interesting colour. I'll never have to use a fork again. This sword's sunny sparkle is sure to catch the eye of your opponent during battle, and that's your chance. As they blink away the brightness, first the pointy end of their weak spot and finish them. Cowardly? That's up to you. History is written by the victor. With all these different coloured swords, I assume the armies on this planet colour-coded their troops. An entire unit with matching weapons and uniforms would have been a sight to behold. I'm sure this colour especially stood out. When a shaft of sunlight hits the handle just so, its beauty overwhelms me, and it's like I've been transported into a painting. A rare and precious boat that does not float is once used to protect a village's future. If by some miracle the boat remained slightly buoyant in water, it meant that the village had the approval of the gods. Sadly, the boat's shoddy construction makes that seem a rather unlikely outcome. They say it's possible to float this unfloatable boat with the help of divine intervention. That sounds a lot like luck to me. I've had my fair share of bad luck, but at least I've been fortunate enough to survive. Anyhow, my chances don't look good. I thought I'd take it out on the water, but it sank as soon as I boarded. A sacred fish carried to amuse and comfort the ancient gods. They would submerge the fish in the heavenly spring, and while the hours were away, pretending to catch and feed it. It would seem the gods had blessed themselves with way too much free time. Much more used to seeing fish painted in profile instead of from the top down. I suspect this is supposed to float on the water, but it's quite startled to encounter a fish like this under normal circumstances. This fish is too hard to chew. Inedible. This object rotates with tremendous force if spun along its centre axis, just as its name implies. Its design is inspired by the rotational structure of space. Much like with space, you're forced to ask yourself, when and where does it all end? The movement of the universe always seems slow to me, but it's a matter of perspective. Maybe the movement of this object is how a higher power perceives it. We're also small in the grand scheme. I get dizzy thinking about the epic scale of space, or is it just the space spinner? My eyes, they can't stop spinning. So fun! Someone put a great deal of work into crafting this particular replica of an avian creature, clearly every inch. Each crevice has been fused with the sweat and prayers of its creator, but all that hard work and dedication has paid off. Behold! The aura that emanates from these folds foretells of great things to come. Perhaps happiness truly does arrive on the wings of a bird. Attaching an intangible wish to a tangible object seems to be a universal habit. I wish for my family's happiness, but I haven't quite found the right talisman to attach to it. My family must be wishing for my safe return. I hope they have better luck. Not the most comfortable word to write, but I like its colour. A sculpture representing the colour charred skin cast off by the immortal phoenix. The red paper is clearly inspired by the colours of flaming wings, although immortality is an impossible wish for any living creature. This bird is imbued with a fervent desire for a miracle. This bird reminds me of a mythical creature famous for granting immortality to those brave enough to seek it out. I have no interest in living forever. Or maybe the idea of risking my life for the sole purpose of avoiding death just seems a bit wonky to me. Why not enjoy the time you have while you have it? Anyway, this is a nice shade of red. I was disappointed to learn that it can't fly. Shame. This golden paper sculpture is modelled after a bird known to invite good fortune. Laden with luck, it's sure to make many a wish come true. It's as if the desires had within this universe are endless, and this bird may spread happiness for millennia to come. To have a charm that's solely devoted to financial luck comes off as vulgar and gives me an icky feeling. On the other hand, money is a necessity, and that's an inescapable fact. Well, there is one escape, more money. Wouldn't that be nice to have a bit more? Maybe we could sell this for a profit. These balls were an integral part of a ritual performed during New Year's festivals. Each ball is imbued with people's hopes and dreams, and if caught by the ritual pole, these hopes and dreams are bound to come true. What a joy it must have been to witness such a beautiful tradition. I'm deeply moved when I imagine ancient peoples entrusting a small, smooth ball with their hopes and dreams, and passing it down through the ages. It'd be a comfort to know that my dreams won't die with me, but will somehow transcend time. A bit into it thinking it was a fruit. Sadly, it's not. This ritual pole was used during an ancient festival held at the start of each year. If the ball landed on the sharp end, people's wishes come true and they would dance in celebration, though it's commonly believed that people danced either way. There's so bemused by the idea of catching a dream, but it's difficult to achieve in practice. I haven't been able to catch the ball with the spike upright. Perhaps I need to try an easier angle, but that would diminish the challenge and thus the quality of the dream. You may be able to poke something with the spiky part. Made from paper so impossibly thin it appears to be the handiwork of a higher being. Be careful not to lose sight of this balloon. Despite its size, it can float with the faintest breeze. Just one gust of wind might carry it above the clouds beyond your grasp. Don't worry too much if it deflates. Simply put my way into the top hole and the original shape is restored. The material, though paper thin, seems to repel water. Such an inspiring creation. Only the most advanced civilization could conceive of such a work of art. It's like a metaphor for both the fragility and durability of life itself. The sound of it getting crumpled up sends shivers up my spine, in a good way. This portrait shows a half-man, half-fish deity worshipped by ancient sailors who was known for being both kind and cruel. One minute he'd test the sailors by sending bad weather their way, the next he'd save them with a blast of air from his horn to their sails. I once had a trump card, a premium license given over to the first-rate space navigation officers that allows you to try bypass the arduous license renewal process. But I'm sure I lost that qualification with this recent accident. Guess it's back to annual visits to the license renewal planet on the edge of space. The lines are always so long. I've always wanted to play the trumpet. What an unsettling portrait. Just look at that devilish face, not to mention that clown-like get-up. Is this? That's also a joke, okay. And that odd grin, what is he up to? No good, I say. And no, there's nothing more unnerving than when someone smiles at you and you aren't sure why. Does true evil really exist? I can't say for sure, but I've seen a smile like this before. It often graces the face of the president of Archetype Freight. Usually when he's asking me to work overtime unpaid. So I guess I can confirm that true evil does exist. I like the look of this character. Seems like a fun companion. The symbol looks like a container of some sort, perhaps the one that gives life itself. I get a sense of vitality from it. It almost says the more of these you have, the more power you have to overcome adversity. But be careful, I'm sure they're not easy to obtain. Some might look at this and see a symbol for life, but this treasure better represents courage. The two are closely related, of course. Power and wisdom also have roles to play, but without the courage to take that first step, your journey cannot begin. The symbol reminds me of mock bottoms. I'm hungry again. There can be no doubt the symbol here represents power. Look at everything about it seems strength, surely in the right and even wrong hands. Its power would be immense. Perhaps it's best not to approach it unless you have to. There's physical power and then there's mental power. Anyone who's witnessed an argument between me and my wife can clearly see who's quicker on their feet in the heat of the moment, and that doesn't bother me too much. I just wish I had the same fortitude and wit to stand up to the president. All I see are empty plates in need of some food. I feel certain the shape here seems to represent wisdom. Just look at its arching symmetry. It's elegant but not ostentatious, complex but not overly ornate. It brings to mind scholars with numbers in books and scientists working towards conclusions. Possessing wisdom isn't always a good thing. Sure, you can examine a subject from multiple angles, but you can also get stuck in a maze of thoughts. Am I envious of people who can just act on instinct without overthinking every last detail? Let's see, I don't. Maybe. Box art for a makeshift fan even features a picture of a salad. Also fans my appetite. Look at these symbols all lined up. Yes, I feel my heartbeat quicken, and yes, I feel this rush of warmth. There must be love. This kind of love says, cherish all things. Love yourself, love your enemies, love everything. It's a tall order, but I will try. If my travels through space and my time spent observing various life forms have taught me anything, so love can take many forms. Some creatures get the nutrition they need to grow their eggs by eating their mates, but that's an extreme example. I've had a lot of sweet fruits like the ones shown here. My mind wanders to dark places when I look at these symbols. All I see are gemstones, and ill-gotten gemstones at that. Perhaps they're stolen jewels, confiscated by police and laid out like this as evidence. The stink of crime is in the air. The love I feel for my family and the passion I have for my work are so very important to me, but this so is money. Love and passion are all well and good, but you can't appreciate any of it if you go hungry, and you'll go hungry in this universe without money. A collection of jewels such as this would sell for a lot of cash. I don't know what it is about these symbols to put me at ease, but they do. Maybe a good idea to hang this sheet up at the workplace when the stress starts kicking in. Of course, without stress, how will I get my work done? Quite the conundrum, no? In my line of work, it's crucial to stay on top of your to-do list. When things are busy, it's easy to get sloppy and let things slide, but that's when consistency matters most. There's nothing like that rush of joyful relief you feel when crossing off a task. It looks like a veritable garden of crunchy sandwich fillings. What can I say that has been said 1,000 times before? Obviously, it's gorgeous, and oh, how it glitters. Still, it's not every day we get to see a gold nugget of this size. Will the wonders of this strange world ever cease? I certainly hope not. It appears to have the same composition as gold on my planet. I've heard that some heavy elements like gold are created during rare collisions between neutron stars. But to think the same element exists on a faraway planet reminds me, space is so vast. When I see this, all I want is more. Rolling the stones so that it lands on the specific symbol you want is no easy task. 12 sides is a lot of sides, why even try? But when you do it, last the symbol you get, last get the symbol you hope for. What a thrill! It's sure to keep you trying again and again. I've lived through some harrowing events, and the trick to surviving in space to prepare for every possible situation. This is technically and literally impossible. Sometimes you just need to roll the dice, hope for the best, and let the universe do its thing. Only useful when there's only 12 or less options for your next meal. With this many sides, how is a totem not just a sphere? Give it a roll and it seems like it will never stop, but when it does, well, there are so many numbers it could land on. What does it really matter which one? Best just go with the flow. Having to choose one out of 20 possible scenarios during a voyage through space would be an object lesson of randomness and very unfortunate. On the minuscule chance it should ever occur, the only solution would be to throw up your hands and laugh. Fun to watch because it rolls so well. The mysterious stone is quite heavy. Once it's rolled, relentless in its pursuit of fate. 6 sides and 6 paths await you. Where the right roll lands, so goes your life. Now can you master work of fate that is your work of art that is your fate? When I gaze at this stone, I can feel my fate being forecasted. I must know what's going to happen to me. I'm sure it sees that I'll be hailed as a brilliant visionary and brave explorer when I turn to Hockatate. I'm not sure which is luckier, 1 or 6. This tool can be helpful when finding themselves faced with a especially hard choice. Simply roll the stone and leave the decision to fate. When the roll ends abruptly, will you take the decision fate picked for you, or will you wish you decided for yourself? When exploring, I'm often faced with a difficult question. Which way do I go? North, south, east, and west? I feel like this could be useful in those moments. Of course, one roll would be too random. It'd be best to roll it 100 times and take the average result. Climb at your own risk. The citizens of this planet will have wished upon this look wafer for a long time. You see, the strange bird pictured there is said to live a very long life. Additionally, the bird seems to be facing a supernova, the final stage of a star's existence, to live for billions of years like stars do. One could hardly even imagine it. I hope that one day celebrate a high-numbered birthday, but I don't think there'll be any large birds in attendance at the party. Just think of how much trouble they could cause. If space has taught me anything, it's to plan for the worst-case scenario. The bird looks like it's a lot of meat on its bones. Starting school, getting a new job, people in ancient times pictured this look wafer at moments of big change in their lives. Flowers do bring to my new beginnings, so it makes sense we all want to blossom, don't we? Springtime also reminds me of the day I moved out of my parents' house. At first, everything was fresh and exciting, but I quickly realised that life on my own was a lot harder than I expected. I also realised I should thank my parents for all they'd done for me. Puts me in the mood for snacking. The ancient people of this planet use this look wafer during wedding ceremonies. They did so because the moon is the object one stares at when they think about someone they love. Or at least that's what I stare at when I have love on my mind. Alas, at this very moment, I have no one to think about. When my son was little, he thought the moon was just a powdered donut in the sky. He would cry and cry, I want to eat the moon. Apparently I was the same way. These days he loves to look at the moon through the telescope. Guess the apple doesn't fall far. White and round. I'd eat it. The ancient people turned to this lookway for when things weren't going well for them. It served as a reminder that no matter how much it rained, the storm always eventually passed, and the same goes for bad times. These too always blow away on the breeze. I love rainy days. The perfect time to catch up on paperwork, relax a bit, and dream about my next big adventure. That is, if I have any energy left after entertaining my kids, who can't go outside to play when it's wet. Yeah, I'll take what I can get. Reminds me of the time I lost my lunch after drinking some rainwater. I had a story about a company that was in decline, but when they hung this wafer above the entry door, their performance shot up like ashes from a phoenix. Maybe if I hang this picture, it'll light my fire upon my appraisal business. Maybe this object would have increased productivity if I could take freight. So would a better spaceship. Maybe it's my fault for stopping miraculously surviving such dangerous situations. The President might realise we need to upgrade our equipment. I bet this piece would sell for a lot of money. And we're done. That took me like another hour and a half. Do drop by any time you'd like to peruse the treasure catalogue. Yeah. I'll also do this, but next time. Also, I guess while I'm here, I might as well upgrade Ochi to do Super Mega Dash forever. Well, looks like it's time to head home with Ochi. You know, everything you rescued, they're all grateful for what you did. That's the spirit. Let's get started then. Super Dash. Infinirush. You put everything you had into that training. What a good boy, Ochi. Yes, you are. Now I have a special treat for you. Keep up the good work. Remember, no slacking. Yeah, basically, as long as you're running, you just run forever. So if things are in a straight line, it works well. I did go, what? You're joking? No one could have investigated all the areas that fast. Oh, but I did. You're like a full-fledged ranger now. Maybe I can talk him into doing the hard work from now on. Right. So, I guess next time... Ice are technically the lowest. I will read the botany for all the creatures. There aren't 239 different creatures at least. So it won't take as long. It seems I do have excellent judgment. We realize top-notch people both in reality. His dash, he's running as fast as possible. He's speaking very quick. In recognition of your great achievements, I'd like to offer this praise. Keep in mind, as part of to you. You can always find me in the pits. So I get a chance to some caves together one day. Okay, so final thing to do then is talk to the Piclopedia. I couldn't be happier. At last, the Piclopedia of my dreams is complete. This extraordinary book is sweet yet ferocious, adorable yet dangerous. It's the most exceptional book of its kind. This is it. A record of love for all nature. We wove this together through hard work and dedication. Reflecting on the little darlings we've encountered so far makes my heart beat triple time. Let's read it. I had the pleasure of hearing about creatures from both Olimar and Louis. There are other disparate notes and sections are brimming with love and enthusiasm. Be sure to read them in their entirety. Sure thing. Let's picture herds and flocks and schools of wild critters, okay? So there's 230 treasures. There's only 125 monsters. So... Scientific name, Pansadus pseudooculi russus. Red bug, active during the day. A miniature reflection of a mature bull boar. When you see this little mimic stomping around its stubby legs, you'll fall in love with a remarkably clever beastie. Such a skilled tiny trickster could mislead anyone. It's born to be adored. Although initially identified as a juvenile bull boar, groundbreaking new research indicates this creature is in fact a member of the breadbug family. Close relative of breadbug, it escapes predation through mimicry. Unique adaptation of the bulbul's crimson coloration allows the species to safely commingle. Such effective adaptation and obfuscation by a prey species is rare, indicating this clever creature is a master of mimicry. For a blissful bisque, mince the entire beast family finely and stir in with heavy cream, artichoke hearts, and a pinch of black pepper. Heat slowly until piping hot. Rich and creamy. Oculus Kageyami lava, first molt. Grub dog. Active during the night. Among all of the naturally charming dwarf bulbulbs, this one might have the most attractive and well-balanced conformation. When night falls, the eyes of these fascinating creatures emit an intense glow, whether to mesmerize prey or to help it spot others of its kind. It's an intriguing adaptation. I could stare into those shining eyes forever. A bulbob larva after its first molt. Due to its pale coloration, it was assumed to be a mimic when it was first discovered. It was later confirmed to be a true dwarf bulbob. To avoid predation from adult bulbobs, it spends the majority of the daytime hours hiding underground. It becomes more active at night when its paler coloration is more difficult to see. In this state, it's difficult to discern what species of bulbob any given juvenile may be by appearance alone. It's only after a bulbob's second molt that they start to display more distinguishing species characteristics. Peel off the skin, starting at the tail end, then slice thinly, and boil in a pot of heavy salted water. Serve immediately. Oculus Kagami Rusus, grub dog. Bulbob. It has wide, googly eyes on protruding stalks, a mouth meant to swallow prey in one large gulp, and powerful red and white polka-dotted hindquarters. It's fierce, and yet it's somehow quite endearing. Be wary of getting lured in by its disarming mien. Or mien. This large organisation has... Why is reading so fucking hard for me? This large organism has the familiar mandibles and cranial morphology of the grub dog family, as well as the characteristic bulging eyes. As with most grub dogs, the creature's cranium comprises half of its total length and girth. Showing a scarlet abdomen with white spots, this creature is primarily nocturnal, choosing to prey upon smaller creatures returning to their nest. Originally classified as the spotty bulbob, further research has classified this species as the basic bulbob. Subspecies of varied colours have recently been discovered, but academics are divided into two rival camps as to how to handle their classification. Plump specimens are best spit roasted whole, stuffed with a lime and a slab of bacon, based frequently to ensure a magnificently moist haunch. Jumbo. That word sets an image in your mind. Being larger than others of its species means its heart is proportionally bigger too, so its devotion to its family also grows. When it savagely bites, not only doing so to protect those it cares about, it's only doing so to protect those it cares about. The most loving critters can sometimes also be the fiercest. Oculus Kagami Rusus polyploid. During reproduction, after an egg is fertilized by a sperm, any excess chromosomes are usually discarded through a process through meiosis, but occasionally this process fails to occur and a bulbob individual will develop irregularly due to this chromosomal abnormality. Specimens like this one are stronger than the average bulbob and can exhibit more aggressive behaviour. However, they're not able to procreate as they will never reach sexual maturity. It's a large creature, but the meat is tender and flavourable. It's impossible to eat in one sitting, so store some portions for later. Coat the fattier meat in cooking oil and freeze. Leaner cuts should be smoked. Mansaurus pseudoculi orangium. An imposter posing of the offspring of an orange bulbob, it resembles the orange bulbob in every way, not just in the obvious shape, but also down to its sharp senses alert to each sound and movement in its vicinity. What a lovable little impersonator. Just as dwarf red bulbobs mimic the appearance of the bulbob, it was theorised that a variant mimicking the orange bulbob must also exist. Recent field work has confirmed this theory. Although difficult to prepare, this exquisite creature is more than worth the effort. Great for heaters. If you approach it while it's sleeping, it'll immediately wake up, leap to its feet, and peer around nervously with such finely tuned senses. No wonder this bulbob can get a bit sleep deprived. Though its big bloodshot eyes look surprisingly cute. Oculus Kagami orangium. This bulbob species boasts a garish colour pattern with a deep orange body and black spots. The orange bulbob's yellow bloodshot eyes make it clear that this bulbob is excessively edgy and high-strung, making it much easier to wake from deep sleep than other species in the grub dog family. This bulbob's meaty flanks make for deliciously savoury steaks that shouldn't be missed. This little darling is always with its beloved mother, but when it grows up she'll drive it away, though it may seem cruel. She helps it develop the confidence to survive on its own by forcing it to fend for itself. Such practical creatures can teach us a lot about learning to get by in the world. Oculus terribilis doticum larva, second molt, grub dog. A spotty bullbear larva in its third stage of development. This creature's body structure is nearing maturation. However, unlike mature bullbears, it is yet to claim its own patrol route, unless it is dependent upon its parent for guarding direction. Remove it and stuff with sage and finely aged prosciutto, and broil until golden brown, the ultimate crowd pleaser. One glance, you'll never forget them as long as you live, those unmistakable bold lips. A most distinctive feature, the likes of which I've never seen elsewhere in the universe. When I gaze upon them, I wonder if the lips serve double duty as a way to feel the world around it, since this cute little cuddler has no fingers. Oculus terribilis doticum. A mid-sized subspecies within the grub dog family, the spotty bullbear's unique feeding habits set it apart from the other grub dogs. It patrols a set path, searching for prey instead of passively feeding on creatures that wander at a limited territorial range. When entering spotty bullbear habitat, it's wise to proceed with extreme caution until the bullbear's patrol path has been clearly identified. For an unrivaled green curry, peel away the spotty bullbear's skin, pulverise the juicy innards and stew until curiously fragrant. The ice crystals on its back are finely detailed and delightfully iridescent. As a juvenile of the species, it sometimes overproduces that sparkling layer of crystals. One of its parents will then snappily crack away at the ice so it doesn't weigh the little one down. My heart melts when I see such loving family dynamics out in the wild. Oculus stomagulus larva. Second molt. Much like more mature specimens, the juvenile frosty bulbob is able to create and carry ice on its epidermis that promotes extracellular freezing. However, they take an entire night to regenerate their ice, which is why they're often accompanied by adults. Juveniles display a smaller number of spots than the adults, causing some to believe this is actually a species of mimicking breadbug. However, the results of further analysis prove this was not the case. A sweet and savoury meat that pairs well with a simple green salad. A creature that thrives in the coldest climates, its ice-coated haunches shimmer like a living jewel in the frigid air. You can admire the way it sparkles to your heart's content, but don't get too close. You'll get frosty frozen on the spot if you touch it. Oculus stomagulus. Or stomagellus, maybe. A bulb with large amounts of ice and frost covering its midsection. It's unusual to find ice such as this attached to a living organism. It's cold enough to freeze small animals and regenerate any ice mass that gets broken off. The bulbul species is interstellar stores of sugars, amino acids, and organic acids provide it with a plant-like resistance to freezing, making it possible for the bulbul to touch the ice without freezing itself. Sear the rich and fatty meat on both sides in a dab of butter, then sprinkle generously with fresh thyme. For those who prefer leaner cuts, I recommend the tip of the nose. When I see this blazing beastie, I get a rush of excitement. It's easy to lose track of time when staring fixated at the flame-enshrouded form of the fiery bull blacks. Its appearance brings to mind ancient molten landscapes from an era before our earliest ancestors. Oculus vulcanus. Bodily excretions of a highly flammable waxy substance interact with the cell structure of this grub dog's skin, causing a chemical reaction that produces extremely high temperatures. The skin benefits from a spongy cell structure that diffuses the surface heat, protecting the creature's inner organs, due to the astonishing amount of heat produced by this beast, and should be observed with great caution. No stove, no problem. The sizzling beast practically cooks itself. Remember to thoroughly extinguish the steaks prior to eating. Its narrow snout has an amazing prehensile tongue. It sets its sights and slurps its target right up. The sweet little bean uses the marvel of evolution with great skill. Any creature with a dexterous tongue like that is unlikely to ever go hungry. Oculus longolingua. Instead of the gnashing jaws usually found in related species, it uses its extensible vicious tongue to capture prey. Even before it opens its mouth, it's recognisable by its tapered snout and black spots against its white back. Some theorise it evolved its long tongue to snatch prey drawn to high-blooming flowers, but a recent finding confirmed that until its second molt, this creature feeds with its teeth much like other grub dog species. It will begin to use its tongue once it reaches adulthood. Pat the tongue dry, then coat all sides with a spicy dry bulb of your choice. Grill over high heat until the outside is perfectly crisped. A toddling infant that anyone would love, with the body and delicate skin of a newborn. This cute little button is sensitive to all stimuli. Whatever you do around it must be done slowly, gently, and quietly, as adorable as this baby is. You might be tempted to embrace it, but don't. You could squish the fragile darling. Oculus kagami lava, pre-molt. As its name implies, this creature is a bulbul in an early stage of development. Its distinct bulbul coloration is yet to appear, but it already exhibits other uniquely bulbul characteristics. It is capable of hunting nourishment independently without the help of its parents. This meagre creature offers little meat, but its eyeballs are a local delicacy. Try them with okra and a dollop of sour cream. This striking polka dots along that expansive hide provide the very image of royal splendour, while that regal presence, essential for queenly quality, might throw you off your guard. Her grand lumpy figure has more than just visual impact. When provoked, this charm will roly-poly over and squash any threats, approach with the utmost caution. Oculus kagami matriarchia. Hypertropic gravid. Initial observations place doubt on the capacity or capability of the grub dog family to support a strong ant or bee-like social structure. But recent studies show the family is capable of such complexity for brief periods and certain external parameters are met. The egg sac of the largest female grub dog within a given range swells to dramatic proportions in response to environmental changes such as the sudden depletion of prey species. These females temporarily take on the role of pack matriarch. Also in pack formation, it has been observed that nearly all males not involved in species reproduction undergo natural sex changes. Characteristics of such specimens are quite intriguing indeed. For sophisticated delicacy, make a pâté de foie gras from this massively obese creature's liver and spread it over a sesame cracker. Emperor bull blacks. It has broad moss-covered flanks and its head like a desert, complete with big drooping jowls and small googly eyes. This creature appears to be quite moody, but it does have a competitive or cooperative streak. The way this temperamental bulbous giant cohabitates with others of its kind is quite surprising. Oculus supremus. The largest member of the grub dog family is normally found buried underground. The camouflage allows the predator to spy smaller creatures and use its long adhesive tongue to capture prey. To prep the tongue for cooking, marinate in olive oil and chop it to cubes. Stir in a pot with carrots, potatoes and chives, cover and simmer over low heat for several hours, accompanying this mouth-watering rustic stew with a hearty roll. Sovereign bull blacks. The value a living creature has within its ecosystem has no relation at all to how big or small it is. That being said, this massive mountain of a critter is truly majestic. Not only does it have the courage and means to lay waste to any opponent, it also has a roar that can make the boldest traveller start to tremble in their spacesuit. Oculus supremus advanced stage. A number of bull blacks of extremely advanced age will no longer display the pack behaviour commonly exhibited by younger members of its species. Instead of as an individual ages, it leaves the herd and exhibits more solitary behaviours. It feeds by using its strongly developed legs to leap upon and crush its prey with speed disproportionate to its massive body. To determine the age of any given specimen, you can count the rings of hide calcified in the form of a carapace. One ring roughly every year the creature lives, or every 1 year one ring forms. Individuals with over 100 age rings have been discovered so far. The sovereign bull black's back is often covered in moss and pterodophytes, or pterodophytes, it might be a silent P. On a few occasions, specimens have been found with a rare species of mushroom called a bulbarel growing on its back. For a light appetizer, pluck the ferns off its back and lightly cook to remove any astringent flavour. The tongue, eyes, lips and meat and fat are very tasty and can be prepared in a variety of ways. Mature specimens have a more highly developed umami flavour. You'll recognise it by its plump, bottle-shaped torso and round, bright-eyed mouth. If you've ever seen such an adorable creature, but no matter how cute it seems when observing this species, you best remain behind it, otherwise you could end up in its path when it spits a gout of flame and get cooked right up. Sus Dracarys. This creature expels a volatile phosphorus compound from its snout that combusts upon contact with air. Its fire-breathing ability is dependent upon the air-to-fuel ratio in its mouth, catalyst reaction within the expelled compound, and purification of the compound. This is highly unlikely such a complex process could cause the spontaneous explosion of a fallen blowhog. This process is also perhaps to avoid risk of spontaneous combustion in the belly of a live specimen. However, one should still treat a fiery blowhog with great care during transfer. Roast this flavourful beast for several hours, letting it stew in its own succulent juices. Don't worry about overcooking this beast. It's scorch-proof. Though it looks a lot like its flame-spewing counterpart, remember that the blue around the mouth is for water and red is for fire. Keep that in mind, you can avoid being unpleasantly surprised. A watery blowhog shower to wash away all your dirt and worries at the end of the day doesn't sound so bad. Sus Lugians. A variant species of the fiery blowhog, the watery blowhog lacks several of the genes necessary for the production of fire-producing catalysts and thus expels jet of the non-flammable liquid. This subspecies appears to have only recently evolved, however the hereditary traits of this variant are dominant and highly robust, so its population is rapidly increasing. The species of unrivaled moistness gives it a mouth quality that's incomparable. Or incomparable. Sus Nivis Ventis. What's that? You think the different types of blowhog will look the same? You need to look a bit closer. For example, this little fellow has light yellow eyes and an aquamarine body with turquoise lips and blue nails. All comes together to create a unique appearance designed to give anyone the chills. This species has the ability to condense atmospheric carbon dioxide within an organ called a cold sac. The cold sac creates dry ice and its vapours then expelled as icy breath. A close relative to this species, the fiery blowhog, can keep its internal body temperature from rising because the phosphoric compounds it expels only ignite when they make contact with the air. In contrast, the snowy blowhog maintains internal body conditions below freezing, and its other internal organs are protected by thick layers of fat and the extracellular freezing that occurs within its cold sac. Sprinkle lightly with salt and eat while the ice bag is still fresh and crunchy. Just one bite will give you the most satisfying brain freeze. Sus Dracarys hypertrophic. Massive gouts of flame blow out from the gigantic body with astonishing force, enough to make you think of a volcanic eruption. This critter exhibits the power of nature's fury. One can be truly overwhelmed by the sight of a titan blowhog's raging torrents of fire. Due to a hormone abnormality, this fiery blowhog specimen has grown to a regularly giant size. As a result, its mouth and the organs that regulate its fire-breathing abilities are significantly larger, so the firepower of this specimen greatly exceeds that of its normal counterpart. The fire it produces is actually so strong that the stress it places on the creature's internal organs is magnified, thus reducing its overall lifespan. This specimen is also unable to reproduce. Creature too large to easily carve. Bigger is not better in this case. Sus Nivis Ventis hypertrophic. Or hypertrophic. So you got hyper and hypotrophic, right? Like hypertrophic is big and hypotrophic is small. This creature blows out an unending gale of freezing blizzard-like winds. Talk about lung capacity. With this hulking darling around, we could cool down the hot summer days in an instant, although it does exhale carbonic acid. Maybe that's not such a good idea after all. This specimen is actually a snowy blowhog, that lethal expeller of icy air. However, it's grown to a gigantic size thanks to an endocrine abnormality. Unlike the titan blowhog, this condition does not sentence the blizzarding blowhog with a shorter lifespan. In fact, its lifespan is actually much longer than that of the average snowy blowhog. The organs that produce the dry ice also enlarge this specimen, perhaps in order to make reproduction or production more efficient. Scrape the interior of its elongated nose with a spoon for a quick dessert of meaty shaved ice. Add a drizzle of sashimi-grade soy sauce to take it up a notch. Setting its unwavering sights on the target, it makes a ferocious mad dash at full speed. Even if you hit it really hard, you won't slow down this bold beastie. It single-mindedly carries through its actions with an unwavering focus that inspires me to improve my focus on my own tasks. Sus Magdentum. Similar to an ancestor species of the fiery blowhog, this creature has a pair of sharp tusks it uses to charge enemies with vigorous violence. It demonstrates its aggressive nature when it pursues its prey and when it's attacked by a predator of its own. In the case of the latter, the tusked blowhog will attack its attacker, causing them to balk while it can dash away to safety. This species also has an extremely sharp sense of smell, which it uses to set the pheromone-like scent of its favourite food, underground mushrooms. Stew with root veggies, wild greens, and a bit of miso for a mouthwatering and rustic flavour. Drain all the blood beforehand to avoid that gamey smell. This little creature will spew a giant stone ball, some call an Odama, which it feels threatened. A reliable cultural document assures me that similar items were used as weapons in ancient wars. Worms? What? Wars. Maybe this creature is using it in the same way to fight the war for its survival. Granitus chuculinae. Lava. This specimen is a lithopod larva. Lithopods, like flint beetles, use internal metabacteria to aid chemical digestion. These metabacteria can only survive in certain environments, such as within the body of certain insects. So lithopod larvae do not contain any metabacteria immediately after hatching. Larvae feed on partially digested or regurgitated by mature lithopods, ensuring the larvae contain metabacteria they would not normally have acquired. Carefully remove any grain of sand, peel out the exoskeleton, slurp heartily, or deep fry it too. Or you're eating it raw. Its giant shiny back carapace is one of the precious stones of the natural world. When it fits its ebony When it lifts its ebony wings, the briefly visible flesh beneath creates a striking colour contrast, a living work of art that transcends the imagination. Granitus felus. Males of this species are known for their horn-like blowholes. When females reach maturity, their blowhole closes and they lose the ability to launch rocks. At the start of breeding season, the females lay eggs on rocks launched by a male. The rocks then become food for the growing larvae. Though once mistaken for adult armoured cannon beetles, this species is actually a naturalised non-native species that migrated here from another continent. The horned cannon beetle can breed with adult armoured cannon beetles, where only about half the eggs will actually hatch. This hybrid species has the potential to seriously pollute the gene pool. Furthermore, it exhibits aggressive territorial behaviour, sometimes launching boulders at young armoured cannon beetles, which has driven the latter species to the verge of extinction. Drop into boiling water and let it cook until the shell turns red. Remove them part and peel. Sprinkle the drained meat with rock salt. Whether or not there's snow on the ground, then this surprising sweetie comes around, you can have a snowball fight anytime. But don't expect it to go easy, and you're in for a one-sided defensive battle, and you might end up looking like a snowman by the end. Granitus faustatum. Lava. Like other members of the lithopod family, its internal bacteria specialise to form ice compounds from ambient moisture, which it then expels as projectiles. It technically doesn't rely on cold temperatures to create this ice, which is formed by pressured internal fluids that act as a coolant. When the projectiles rapidly expand, they absorb ambient heat, lowering the air temperature enough for the moisture in the air to freeze. Peel back the shell and sprinkle the tender meat with a dash of salt before slurping it up raw for a refreshing dessert. Pour fruit juice over the snowballs. A beautiful armoured bug that sprinkles or sparkles like a diamond. The sight of its busily tromping around, the way it sucks in air and spews out snowballs, everything about it is remarkable. For standing transfixed at its stunning appearance, you'll end up covered in snow for sure. Granitus faustatum. Upon reaching maturity, the blowhole on its head closes, leaving in its place the pointed crest of the Arctic cannon beetle shell. In order to get enough food in nutrient-deficient environments, adult specimens start breathing through their mouths. Some experts are positive that this adaptation caused the species to lose territorial competitions with the armoured cannon larva, driving it into colder environments. Though this beetle has increased suction strength, it must ventilate via a spiracle on its abdomen and open its shell to avoid rapid body inflation. Boil the meaty legs until fully cooked, then drizzle with a generous amount of lemon juice. Once the juice has seeped its way into the muscle fibres, suck the meat out of the shell with one big slurp. This little one's primary food source is secretions from ambulivadices. Ambulivadices? Like Pikmin. To fill the bellies of so many sheargrubs, there must be a healthy population of ambulivadices creatures in this world. It's through sheargrubs like this that we get a glimpse of the hidden secrets of the planet. Himeageia mandibulosa F. Mandiblard. The males of this species are purple and black creatures with tapered mouths, while the females are lighter in colour and lack an armoured exoskeleton. As with most mandiblard, these creatures have regressed to the point where they have lost both legs and wings. They can be seen crawling around on the ground and are believed to feed on their vegetable extracts from the congealed fluids of expired Pikmin. For an unforgettable quiche, slice this creature up and mix with 4 eggs, 2 vine-ripened tomatoes, diced zucchinis, and general handfuls of feta and Swiss. Bake until crusty and golden. This beast is most flavourable if caught and cooked just after laying its eggs. Himeageia mandibulosa M. Mandiblard. With its powerful jaws, the male sheargrub can secure more food than the female, but it doesn't keep it up for itself. Right now on the ground under our feet, mated sheargrub pairs are sharing food with each other. What a generous, snuggly grub. This specimen is a male sheargrub, having lost both legs and wings. The male burrows into the soil and waits to ambush small creatures that pass by. This beast's mandibles can be dangerous, making creatures such as Pikmin easy prey. To put several specimens in the bottom of a casserole dish, layer with sliced avocado and top with cheese. Bake until the meat is cooked through and the cheese is lusciously browned. Mama sheargrub. Himeageia mandibulosa. Neotenic. Since it's exceptionally large, when it scrambles to move or wriggles minutely side to side to dig its whole body into the ground like a drill, it can serve it all in exceptional detail. The way it moves is quite enchanting to watch. If only we could super duper size all creatures like this. The mama sheargrub would typically molt when it reaches maturity, then dig itself into the ground and prepare for egg laying. However, certain types like this specimen exhibit neoteny and retain the appearance of a juvenile of the species. If this species locates an abundant food source, they won't leave it. Sometimes they'll stay at that spot for years, steadily growing to gigantic proportions like this one. Though this specimen has the look of a juvenile, it has fully developed reproductive abilities and can achieve impressively high birth rates. Its offspring, however, are the same size as a typical sheargrub. Best enjoyed when big and round and full of eggs. Salt lightly then grilled, the squishy, sticky mouthfeel will have you coming back for more. Himeageia valaris, sheargrub. It may be small, but it's full of vim and vigour. It hovers in midair, then zips straight to its target, and once it has prey in its jaws, it locks on tight and won't let go. The shearwig, a cunning and fierce survivor, has a death grip on my heart and soul. Unusual for their genus, flying mandiblards have retained no wings. However, only the adult males of the species can fly. Females of this species spend most of their time span underground. They do emerge for a period after maturation to spawn, but they never metamorphose. Grate this beast into a zest, then whisk with sugar, cream, and chopped dark chocolate for a lusciously indulgent mousse. It's a true culinary coup de grace. Cheerfully, if you find any of these busy little bouncers happily hopping about, try jumping in with them. If you do, they just come for you for cuddles. They're such sweet little love bugs. So Prictis rubro. Himeageia valaris was that one. The sensory hairs growing on this creature's orange body segments can detect body temperatures, movement, and carbon dioxide levels. It clings to its prey with its claw-like front legs and sucks their blood through its pointed proboscis. Researchers found that the shear flea can store energy created by contracting its bellows-like body in the elastic proteins located at the roots of its hind legs, allow it to repeatedly jump very high. Its reproductive rates are rather explosive. A small group of egg-laying females can boom into a population of over 100 in a month's time. Salty, sour, and sometimes sweet. The flavour changes depending on which living creature it's fed from most recently. Joust mite. Trilobitins reversa, a burrow-nit. The eyeball-like pattern on its shell reminds me of my father's eyes staring at me if we buried him in the sand at the beach. We took him out immediately when he gave us that look. It makes it easy to imagine what an effective deterrent those staring eyes must be to a natural predator like birds. Others within this family wear their shells in their bellies, but this one's shell functions more like a helmet. Its wings have atrophied into uselessness, so instead it burrows underneath the ground and pops out only to pierce prey with its needle-like proboscis and drain their bodily fluids. Larval joust mites have been underground for years or even decades in some cases. Boil in the shell with a pinch of salt until bright red, then serve piping hot with tartar sauce. Tribulitins reversa volanti. With a countenance like a little helmet-wearing soldier, it zips up to set its sights from the sky, then strikes its target. This captivating critter is truly a pro. It's unfortunate that when it flies up in the air, you can't see the clever false eyes in its shell or its charming face anymore. It's a close relative of the original burrow-nit species, but this variety of joust mite still has the use of its wings. Oddly, it still makes its habitat below ground and employs the same tactic of lying in wait before emerging to strike. The helmet protecting its head is functionally as hard as steel due to waxy secretions in its pores that absorb and redirect any shocks it sustains. Remove shell, roast over a low flame, then grind meat. Whisk paste into olive oil until emulsified. An extra dash of cumin lends some earthiness to this spicy salad dressing. Scarpanica kesperins, scarpanid. If you're swept up and then tossed away by these long dangling arms, I think you better understand what it feels like to be a Pikmin. A little courage is all you need to give it a try. Consider it a learning experience. The scarpanids originally lived on the ground, sporting poorly developed vestigial wings. The species developed enlarged antennae that can be used as makeshift wings. Scarpanids are attracted by the sight of large groups of Pikmin in cavalry formation and will swoop down to seize them. However, Scarpanids do not eat Pikmin after they will drop any seized Pikmin for a short time. The reason for this behaviour is unknown, but I look forward to further future research in this area. Remove the wings, marinate a well-rounded steak for several hours in a chipotle marinade, then charboil to perfection. Skitterleaf. Rus pseudorabacans. Skitterling. In both its vibrant spring colour and precise shape, this cunning crawler looks just like a leaf. It's the perfect camouflage. It only becomes an issue when this sometimes careless critter forgets to look for a hiding place with abundance of other green leaves lying around, then it becomes quite easy to spot. The skitterleaf is a relative of the pond skater that sheds its wings and adapted to life on the ground. With no residual traits of its airborne path, the skitterleaf can neither fly nor skid across the surface of the water. The wings have since evolved into the leaf-like structure on its back, which serves to hide the skitterleaf through mimicry. It appears quite effective as few predators can see through its clever disguise. The superb amalgamation of juicy leaf and leafy greens ensures the skitterleaf will be the new spinach. Rus mortifilurea. Skitterling. Desiccated skitterleaf. This one is a master of disguise, provided the season is right. It's a fun little game. Try collecting a bunch of dried leaves and shuffle Mr. Desiccated skitterleaf in with them. If you pick out a normal leaf, you lose, but if you pick this clever critter, you win big. Clever critter, not clever critter, is a different thing. You win big. Feeling lucky? The skitterling variant that resembles dead leaves. Its legs have developed in specific ways. The front claws capture prey, while their flat hind legs are suited for running and swimming. Its highly tuned senses keep it still for any creature but Pikmin. Once it gets its claws on its prey, it doesn't easily let go. Recent researchers reveal that its camouflage has a second purpose beyond hunting. Scavengers are fooled by its disguise into carrying its legs, thereby expanding the population. No preparation needed to enjoy this flavourful beast. Its natural crunch gives way to an intriguing mouthfeel. That perfectly polished crimson colour, like something hand-finished by a true master craftsman, is a feast for the eyes. The Amandarachnia nepalmans. Dweevil. This brilliant colour is actually made through layer upon layer of very fine fibres being stacked together. Nature is the most skilled crafter. Members of the Dweevil family are known for carrying objects of astounding size on their backs, then mimicking them. The fiery dweevil is one species in this family. Generally, this is a very gentle insect that feeds on grass nectars, but when faced with danger, the fiery dweevil ignites flammable internal gases, juts out its jaw, and spews scorching flames. As this clearly makes it a rather dangerous insect, it is best not to linger directly in front of it. The search for a gourmet high-protein salad topping alternative to bacon bits is over. Grind this spicy dweevil into tasty micro-chunks, then toss them generously over your salad to add instant flair and flavour. Mandarachnia volticula. We don't wake up every day feeling as good as we want to, but the bright fruity colour of this little charmer sure makes me feel like I've got my vitamins for the day. You might be able to loosen up your stiff muscles with this dweevil's therapeutic electric shocks too. Members of the dweevil family are known for carrying objects of astounding size on their backs and mimicking them. The anode dweevil is one species in this family. They seem to have no particular preference for which objects they carry on their backs, as they will carry anything they can lift. They boast an internal organ that generates electrical charges that the anode dweevil releases when it senses danger. Raw anode dweevil makes for an unforgettable sushi treat, but if it's not prepared by an expert hand with exacting precision, consumption could result in a jolting electrical explosion of an apocalyptic proportion. It's bewitching to behold the way it skitters along on those long, slender lizard. It's bewitching to behold the way it skitters around on those long, slender lapis lazuli blue legs while carrying treasure on its back. If, in an excess of excitement, you reach out a hand to touch it, a startling splash should deter you. Be calm and quiet around this beastie, Mandarachnia aquidis. The hydrodrival is one member of an insect family known for mimicking objects by carrying them on their backs. Several points of differentiation of other members of the species have been confirmed, such as body colour and behavioural patterns, but none of these suggest major deviations in the creature's genetic structure. This makes it clear that it is a relative of the family. When attacked by enemies, the hydrodrival spits out bodily fluids in response. Spacesuits corrode and oxidize when they come into contact with this liquid. Inedible. Effects of consumption include uncontrollable arm flailing and enthusiastic dishwashing. Achoo! It's always important to keep your cool, but my proximity to this frosty darling may be making me a bit too cold. Just one blow from this critter as it skitters about in its icy long legs are quite chilling indeed. Mandarachnia glacies. Drevals have varying body colours in response to their feeding habitats. Each species feed on different types of plants and small animals, so the symbiotic bacteria that creates their pigmentation differ as well. The ice-blown Dreval lives in cold habitats and spews frigid gas, so the workings of its symbiotic bacteria are dulled and it retains its natural colour, which is white. It has been confirmed that in more temperate climates where food that the fiery Dreval eats is readily available, the ice-blown Dreval's coloration is much peachier. Soak the legs in fruit juice and freeze. Serve as a refreshing ice pop. Is this just another different colour of Dreval? Not at all. You see here a fashion leader of the critter world. There was once a purple one as well, but this year's trendy colour is green. Be sure to bring protective gear to see it through. The skittering sweetie can produce a toxic gas if threatened. Mandarachnia venenum. The venom Dreval is one member of the Dreval family, which is known for mimicking objects by carrying them on their backs. These insects often carry the carcasses of other life forms on their backs. Apparently, this is not for the purpose of transporting them as food, but instead as another example of their mimic behaviour. The venom Dreval produces two different chemical compounds within its body, which form poisonous gas when mixed and expelled. This gas is only used for self-defence. Exposure to even extreme heat doesn't seem to rid this creature of deposits of potent gas. Probably best for everyone if you avoid eating this hazardous fare. Clavofictusfera. Or arachnid. It has an agreeable personality, and as long as the meal doesn't get caught on its web, it will sit there, curled up in a cuddly ball and waiting. You have to throw some food or even yourself as bait if you wish to see it moving. What a leisurely method of hunting. These spider-like creatures have distinctive yellow stripes on its black carapace. It spins webs in high-traffic areas and waits for prey to blunder into them. Unlike its relatives in the arachnoid and Dreval families, it's ambisexual and has 8 legs. Some theorise that its gynandry was meant to aid in reproduction, though of course it cannot reproduce on its own. There's another theory that the species in fact 2 organisms are progenitor stuck together, but since no one has ever found a 4-legged single-sex specimen, this remains speculative. Pluck off the legs, crack open and save the meat inside. Dip them in soy sauce first for a nice mix of sweet and salty. Pseudoarachnia calvitum, or calvitium, arachnoid. If you lie down and look up while this halting critter is walking over, you'll be treated to an impressive view of its giant round body soaring past like an orbiting planet. Of course, you may get squished flat by some of its massive feet and become a star yourself. A shaggy longlegs that has lost its hair. It has similarities to the beady longlegs, but it doesn't secrete wax from its exoskeleton and thus lacks its cousin's unique... Oh, beady longleg. Okay. Unique patterning. The absence of wax also allows small insects to climb its legs without slipping. Its central orb splits horizontally, but researchers have yet to determine the significance of this difference. Not as tasty as it looks. Completely inedible. Having a body made up of living cells and metabolism and the ability to produce offspring might be considered necessary traits to determine if something is truly alive, but this rapid-fire cannon blows away conventional definitions. It is a machine and a creature? What a fascinating possibility. Pseudoarachnia navarronia. Arachnoid. This species of the arachnoid family fuses with machinery at a crucial point in the maturation process, giving it the ability to fire energy bursts from the launcher beneath its orbicular torso. However, the man-at legs itself is not in control of this weapon. Instead, the mechanical portions of the structure appear to automatically acquire and attack targets. The man-at legs has a gentle disposition as a member of the arachnoid family, has no natural enemies. It's particularly difficult to understand why this species would develop such awesome offensive capabilities, leading to rumours among the scientific community that there's a machinery that approached the arachnoid and proposed the symbiotic relationship. Although the meat is a bit on the metallic side, the oil makes a methyl gravy or lubricative vinaigrette. Groovy long legs. Pseudoarachnia discopedes. Arachnoid. With mesmerizing lights that pierce through the darkness in a low groove that stirs your soul, how can you not get your dance on? As a creature or a machine, who cares? Everyone can join this party. Word of caution though. Be careful you don't dance right under one of its feet. The species has some remaining organic internal organs, but its carapace and eyes are made up of inorganic material. All 19 of its eyes are actually photoelectric sensors that the species uses to precisely locate its prey. This creature is mostly tendon, so often gets stuck in your teeth. It smells like burnt plastic or possibly metal. Don't mind me. wonder if I can get it to turn yellow. I killed it. Okay, let me just fight it for... this one's the only one I'm going to do this with, because I just like the song. Bye. Meh. Okay. Sorry, that's enough fun. Carry on now. The species has some remaining organic or internal organs, but its carapace... Okay, that's fine. I read that. It's all thing good. Scarbum electrodia. Scarab beetle. With this little darling around, outer space's power problems are solved. These generate enough energy to light up the night and help people live comfortably on the most ragingly hot or frigidly cold planets. I said it ragingly, a bit weird. It'll cost to feed them, but that's a minor detail. The specimen is representative of an insect hive, but uses electricity in addition to glycogen for its energy. Much more dangerous in Pikmin 2 than any other game. Although difficult to confirm due to their microscopic size, tiny hairs in this creature's legs cause the friction that generates the electrical charge. This electrical charge is processed by the creature's internal battery structure, and then stored as an electrical field. As this field reaches critical levels, surplus electricity is emitted, resulting in a low voltage current that is transmitted between the specimens. It can shock other creatures in the immediate vicinity. Considering this process, it can be surmised that the largest impetus to pack behaviour is not so much for the synergic effect of producing as a pack, as it is to take advantage of this most effective means of group preservation. Drain the electrical charge before boiling, though it is possible to eat an anode beetle while it is charged. Doing so may result in an unpleasant tingling sensation. Pili envelopens, flint beetle. This skirting little one is a good luck talisman you'd be happy to encounter. If you're fortunate enough to come upon one, make a wish before it leaves. The way its iridescent carapace changes colour depending on the angle you view it from is so distracting you often forget a wish for something. Or to wish for something. Flint beetles are known to hide in the grass until approached, at which point they jump out and scurry around. These creatures can keep undigested food pellets in their stomach to sustain them through winter, but given the right stimulus, they will spit them out. Recent research has revealed that these pellets are enveloped in a membrane that seals and preserves them in a sterile, airtight environment. If kept at room temperature, it seems that this pellet membrane will keep its contents fresh for up to 6 months. The membrane may be made from the same substance that gives the exoskeleton of the flint beetle its beautiful sheen. An essential flavour accentuating ingredient in gumbo and jambalaya. Also delicious in soups, broths, and marinades. Pili flagellum. Well, that reeks. It reeks so bad. These uncouth little stinkers are always passing gas whenever and wherever, but it also means they're easy to track down. Of course, nobody can stand to get close if they do find one. It's a brilliant defence mechanism. While life forms that excrete foul musks to warn of danger are not rare, the doodlebug is the only species known to release flatulence when active above ground. Interesting enough, since it's merely releasing gas created by the decay of the contents of the creature's intestines, it does not have a special muck-producing organ. Or musk-producing organ. This means the creature is in fact merely flatulating. Spectral analysis of the rank gas indicates it contains not only methane, but hydrogen sulfide as well, making the flatulence a grade 13 biohazard. Looking for a flavour that surprises and delight your guests? This piece of remedy will surprise your guests, but it won't be delightful. Pili oricus. The golden shine of this gleaming carapace really is gold. It's in this little darling's nature to collect gold from the soil. As you might expect, it's extremely rare to see one in person. I'd never hurt it, so I hope to have one appear before me one day. This variety of beetle consumes subterranean minerals. Due to the fact it rarely emerges above ground, sightings of this particular species are extremely rare. While minerals are this beast's primary source of food, the beetle itself does not have the ability to digest these minerals. Instead, metabacteria living inside the beetle's stomach chemically breaks down the minerals. The resulting purified metal is discharged, but rare metals such as gold and platinum crystallize onto the iridescent glint beetle shell, resulting in a beautiful laminated shimmer. This precious treat is exceptionally rare. I could sell it back at home for a fortune. Then fortune, Joey, please, for a fortune. Then I could use the cash to upgrade my kitchen, buy galactic class ingredients, and even star my own cooking show, The Insect Gourmet. Mitavius infiltratus, my type. The cheeky mitite lays its eggs inside the eggs of other creatures to provide its offspring with an easy first meal when they've come wriggling and scriggling out. It's spine-chilling, but you can't blame the newly hatched larvae after all. You might enjoy an egg or two yourself now and then. These parasitic insects feed on eggs. Upon reaching maturity, they excrete a special pheromone that attracts females of a particular species, enticing these females to swallow the mitite's whole. Pikmin, however, seem to dislike the scent. Flash fry with garlic and red chilies in a hot pan and sprinkle with grated gorgonzola. Some dinner guests may find the legs unappealing, so it's best to remove them before serving. Hero Desiderit Crystallosum. Or Crystallosum? Evil. Watching it move around on the very tips of its tippy toes is like watching a ballet. If you offer to be a dance part for this little spiky toad sweetie, you'll leap high in the sky, but this agile creature will have no trouble sticking the landing. Its main offensive strategy is to launch the crystal it carries on its back, otherwise it's completely defenceless. In most circumstances, it's a peaceful herbivore whose diets consist primarily of moss. When in danger, however, it wastes no time defending its territory by picking small rocks and hurling them at the threat. In order to ensure it has a steady supply of rocks with which to defend itself, it shares its habitat with calcified crushblack larvae so it can make use of the shells they cast off. An acquired taste, but it's really quite addictive once you get used to it. No special preparation necessary. Gavidus clavamacula. Skeet escape. Clean water is a necessity for this water-walking sweetheart, and a lot of it at that. In water soiled with oils, detergents, or other pollutants, it can lose the surface tension that supports its specially evolved feet and drown. It's an extraordinary creature that could only exist on such a water-rich planet. It skates on water at high speeds, thanks to tiny hairs on the tip of its feet. These hairs are coated in an ultra-hydrophobic substance to minimise friction against the water's surface. The extremities cannot be used for food, but you can drink the liquid inside for a zesty beverage. Cautious critter moves in fits and starts. When it does, the muddy liquid in its transparent orb sloshes around. Splish, splash, sploosh. If I could observe this unique anatomy up close, I'd never know regrets, even if I got splattered with mud. Geratus pterobprojecta. A subspecies of the skeet escape that's adapted to life in muddy wetlands. It uses its straw-like proboscis, the inside of which is packed with densely grown hair, to capture any plankton living in the mucky water and filter out everything else. When an enemy approaches, it will threaten them by shooting out a murky substance. The combination of muddy water and gastric juices has a higher viscosity, so it can essentially bury Pikmin and a lot of other stuff in dirt. Even after draining the mud, its texture remains gritty. Chew it for long enough, your teeth will get a good scrubbing. Penastari alba prismatus. Flutterby. In the same way it stops in a petal when flitting around a garden full of flowers and bloom, it will alight without hesitation on things like a sleeping bulbul. What an audacious little daredevil. It's remarkably similar to its unmarked brethren, but the telltale wing patterns and no pair of hind legs give it away. It sticks to its own habitat for the most part, though it may fly away to reach a flower or escape a bullblacks. It will soon return to its home. The right variety gathers no nectar, but sometimes may be found carrying raw material. Remove the wings and drop straight into the deep fryer. Cook until golden until the enticing aroma starts to sting your eyes. Serve immediately. Pedestravi Journa prismatus. After flitting around all over the place, the wing beats of a little spectralid can cause a tornado on the other side of the world. Or so some have said. What I wonder is how much influence do these charmers have on our being on this planet right now? Primary morphological difference with the spectralids is the eye-like spot on its hind wings. When crossbred with red spectralids, the offspring had a 25% chance of inheriting these spots on orange-coloured wings. Could this count as a new subspecies? For a tasty appetizer, dip wings into a batter and fry. It can also be used to season stews and soups. Remember to first remove its bitter innards. Fenestravi russoprismatus. Spectralid rings have a lot of fine powder on them, but building up many different layers it gives them a sparkle with complexity and depth. This little fellow's powder also has some ultra-spicy essence in it for a zestier effect. Its red rings have several spots, unlike the lone spot on each wing of the yellow variety. Its scales contain trace amounts of ultra-spicy flakes, which are mixed into its saliva as it sucks up the nectar from flowers. The combined flakes, saliva, and nectar have refined into ultra-spicy nectar inside the creature, which it uses as a growth supplement for its eggs. Despite this, its reproductive capabilities are quite low. It is for this reason the red variant fetches astronomical prices among collectors. Spread larvae in a slice of toast for a spicy and protein-packed breakfast, or fry up the wings at any time of day for a sweet and crunchy snack. Papilfictus nividae. Snow swallow. Please don't call it a flying snowman. The sight of it flying around with its magnificent wings, scattering ice like diamonds, evokes thoughts of a snow sprite. Witness this beauty of nature and let it soothe away all your worries and anxiety. The cooling cycle in its body uses ammonia as a refrigerant to chill the moisture it absorbs from the air until it reaches a supercooled state. By then spraying it out on the several vents in its belly, the snowflake fluttertail, snowfake, not snowflake, creates a delicate cocoon out of ice to protect both itself and freeze its prey. Hooray! Its rolled up spirally proboscis evolved from an upper jaw and can catch and tie up prey with the fine hairs on its surface, though it mimics a type of swallow-tailed butterfly. This creature is actually more closely related to moths. One might extrapolate that its ancient ancestor was unable to adapt to the cooling climate and therefore went extinct. Dice finely or puree to make a meaty sorbet, add a tiny drizzle of fruit sauce for some punch. Pluck the wings and antennae beforehand, use as a garnish if you want to get fancy. Let's have a creeping chrysanthemum show, why don't we? We'll gather hand-raised creeping chrysanthemums and have a contest based on size, flower, colour, things like that. They're half animals, so maybe a behaviour category too. Of course, how would the judges even choose a winner? Each specimen is so beautiful in its own way. Taraxacum lavinia, chrysanthemum. Like Pikmin, the creeping chrysanthemum is a member of a group of creatures with ambulatory root structures. This creature is known as a mimic, but because it's actually a form of plant, this label is not entirely accurate. It uses its mimicry to lie in wait and ambush prey, unrecognised even by Pikmin despite being members of the same class of organisms. It relies on preying upon other creatures that provide sustenance, so it has no need of leaves for photosynthesis. Generally speaking, the role of plants within an ecosystem is a producer species, and thus plants are generally found at the bottom of the food pyramid. However, as on this strange planet, the line between producer plants and consumer plants is blurred. When thinly sliced, this predator's sizable bulb makes a sumptuous pizza topping. Taraxacum fungensis, or fungensis. These don't just mimic a growth of mushrooms for the fun of catching you by surprise, they also use the opportunity to spread poison around quite indiscriminately, but that's just this little darling's idiosyncratic method of catching his prey. We could learn from the way nature embraces such unique and varied creatures. The defining characteristics of the fungi that grow from its head differ from that of the chrysanthemum family's creeping chrysanthemum, but the makeup of its body out of which they grow is mostly the same. As a result, we can theorise that, like fellow Ambulovertices, the bulb in this species is not an evolutionary variation, but that the body is a parasite that has nestled inside a group of mushrooms. Because the hosts are mushrooms, the startle spore cannot photosynthesize. Instead, it gains nutrients by catching its prey with highly poisonous fluids or by absorbing the nectar in the ground left behind as creatures killed by its poison decompose. If you can successfully use the tongue's poison gland, you'll enjoy a rare opportunity to appreciate the umami synergy of the mushroom and meat combo. Pansaurus gluteni, breadbug. It looks like your breakfast table's long-time staple, a loaf of bread with perfect colour and buttery shine, but just looking at it, I swear the aroma of baking wafts past my nose. If you've never seen your bread loafing about like this, if you observe them for a while, you might catch them dragging things around with their mouths. It's heart-meltingly adorable. The adult breadbug competes for many of the same food sources as Pikmin, but its thick skin hide allows it to withstand both Pikmin group attacks. However, some researchers claim to observe breadbugs being overrun by massive amounts of Pikmin when reduced to food. Breadbugs are hearty and nutritious, but also bland and unimaginative. They may be palatable in a pinch, but they hold no true culinary purpose. Pansaurus gigantus, giant breadbug. Perfectly cooked, golden brown and fluffy, it must be a fresh baked loaf of bread. Oh, my mistake, this is the wildly unique giant breadbug, with the texture and vibrancy only a living creature can possess. Don't let your eyes and gut deceive you, this lumbering muffin might just take offence if you mistake it for a loaf of fresh bread. This gigantuan species of the greater breadbug family is a torso so perfectly square that it almost seems like it was formed in a mould. For a brief period after birth, the giant breadbug competes for food with smaller breadbugs, but upon reaching maturity it seeks to have much larger prey. This is the primary reason for two species with similar feeding habits can coexist in the same habitat. Hordes of Pikmin appear to pose the only plausible threat to this massive creature's life. Although cooking this colossal beast is a mountain of meat, every ounce of it is flavourless, only suitable for intergalactic all-you-can-eat buffets. Salamandra fulsarum, juvenile. Gildamandui. With one little gold-coloured stone on its back, it toddles about, lantern flicking cheerfully. It doesn't intentionally deceive Pikmin or our senses, it just responds to that gold-coloured stone. Only the adults tend to be intentionally deceptive in this world or any other. Immediately after hatching, the species presents itself as a gilled tadpole-like form and grows its legs after about a week. This juvenile Gildamander specimen is estimated to be about 1 month old due to the presence of gnaw-like growth on its back and the fact that it has already emerged onto land. The living ore is subsistence similar to treasure within it, a peculiar scent, and has an effect on both sensors and Pikmin. However, the lantern organ on its head is still undeveloped and can only emit very faint electromagnetic waves. For this reason, juvenile Gildamanders often hide out of sight to avoid Pikmin attacks. Heat the golden crystals on its back until they melt into a caramel sauce, flip the creature upside down and bake until the skin develops a crunchy, candied crust. Salamandra fulsarum, Gildamander. Notice the gold sparkles on its back. In order to survive, the delight of a creature spends a mind-boggling amount of time collecting these special gold stones. Though it isn't real gold, it can confuse the senses. That's another marvel of the natural world for you. The ore-like growth on its back is a coagulated bodily fluid that includes a substance similar to sparklium, which can make our mechanical senses go berserk, to use the technical term. This living ore emits a scent that lures the creature's prey, so it's also important for their feeding process. The lantern-like organ atop its head emits electromagnetic waves that are known to affect Pikmin and onions, confusing them into thinking the Gildamander is their leader, allowing it to withdraw Pikmin directly from the onion. However, it cannot go so far as to command them in as a squad, so the Pikmin will often hide under cover and are able to avoid ingestion. The meat gives off a faint aroma similar to a hot pepper. The flavour itself is subtle and elegant. Char grill the lantern until blackened and you've got a nutritional superfood. Nasperala melona. Miniature snoot whacker. The way it catches food, protects its belly and gets up while working with the weight of its sizable trunk, all taught by its diligent parents. Instead of hand and foot, they attend to their offspring nose and foot. They prepare the child for the day it will leave the nest and eventually become a parent itself. Immediately after birth, the species' skin starts to harden and before long it reaches the same habitual toughness as that of an adult. Adult snootwhackers dexterously use their trunks to grab food from high tree branches, but juveniles consume fruits and nuts that have fallen to the ground, as well as other types of terrestrial flora. This specimen's leg and torso muscles are undeveloped compared to those in the nose, so they lack the strength to maintain their posture and easily lose their balance. Gently peel the skin back from the nose, its meat has a grassy bitterness. It tastes like cucumber. Spavola melona. Snoot whack. As you get close, it will whip its trunk around and around and smash it on the ground. It might be a chance for an exciting jump rope workout. If you try throwing a bomb at it, it will use that dexterous trunk to shoot it right back at you. There's some nose skills that can impress any athlete. The long nose in this specimen is neither bone nor cartilage, but is made up entirely of muscle and can be flexibly curved and extended. Its tough hide consists of densely covered or layered collagen lattices that cover almost its entire body, leaving only the regular skin on the belly exposed. The fully developed trunk is large and quite heavy, so the mammoth snootwhacker usually rolls it inward to carry it closer to its centre of gravity, but if its territory is invaded, it will extend the trunk and flail it around, even using it to strike a perceived enemy. Just like a juvenile snootwhacker, their nose comprises a disproportionate amount of their body weight, resulting in poor balance. If attacked from behind or from the side, even an adult of the species is evenly knocked over. The bitter flavour fades as they grow, replaced with a sweet mellow aroma. Stew the base of the trunk, grill the middle, or smoke the tip. The possibilities are endless. Algonium soleus, squish squirt. This peculiar little button has the perfect texture and coloration to pass as an egg fried sunny side up by the master chef. There's nothing about it that makes it seem threatening, and it looks so yummy I can't help thinking of a delicious breakfast when I see it. A type of primitive organism called a protochordate. In this juvenile state, it has a skeleton-like structure called a notochord. It flaps its thin tail to move and lives within other creatures' legs as it grows. As its body develops, it starts to exhibit mollusk-like qualities, but its highly exposed external stomach can directly digest prey on contact and be used for locomotion. Season with salt and pepper. Mononuclei stellacodus. If you take the microorganisms I used to peer at through my microscope as a child and blow them up much, much bigger, this is what you get. A huge single-celled sweetie. It blobbily sloshes around in search of food. This giant, we're the microorganisms. A member of the Gulix family, this primitive life form is made up of a single cell, which is quite odd given its size. Its nucleus is shaped like a bulbous star, and individuals move by using the fin at the end of its flagellum-like tail to quickly expand and contract its gelatinous body. If the nucleus is removed, its soft body loses all structure and splatters, but as long as the nucleus is still alive, the Foolix can return to its original form. Usually the Foolix will mimic nectar and wait for its prey, its gel, which includes fire-extinguishing fluids, then expand to capture and feed on unsuspecting organisms. Gently remove the jellied parts, add fruit and a sweetener of your choice, not fruit. Then serve as a gelatin dessert. Chiropeides anacondae fledgling. Snavian. It's like this wee one boinging around and pecking at its food all while skillfully balanced on one leg, truly awe-inspiring. If you get too close, it might feel vulnerable and give you a warning poke with its beak, or it might just turn to you for comfort. Due to a common phenomenon known as imprinting, this baby will recognise everything it sees or hears within a given length of time as it hatches as its parent, and consequently follows it around. However, the downy snagger has two specific conditions for imprinting. The first is its target must be tall and blue, and the second related to the sound of its cry. This means that it will never make a mistake with something as small as we are, and instead recognise it or us as food. Since it is still a fledgling, the downy snagger does not go underground to feed. Instead, it stays on the surface where there is plenty of food. It looks harmless enough, but beware. Its parents may be hiding nearby until the baby is old enough to fend for itself. Grind up the meat and cartilage, then mould into meatballs. The tender texture of the meat contrasts nicely with the crunchy, chewy cartilage bits. Chiropeides anacondae snavian. Instead of the sky, this scaly anomaly flies to the ground. When it pops its head to the surface, the way its crown of feathers fluffs. Though intended to make it more intimidating, it's delightful to behold, but be wary of lingering to gaze upon it, as you're likely to get the poking of a lifetime for that long, sharp beak. The majority of snaglet species lie in wait to ambush and capture prey, while a body type perfectly adapted to such sudden strikes, it violently attacks small surface-dwelling insects. Distributed across a relatively large range, subspecies of snaglet suited to the varying soil conditions have emerged, making the snaglet the most geographically represented species beside the bulbulb. Visually resembling the burrowing snaglet is the burrowing snarrow, the range of which partially overlaps with the snaglet's range. While the two may appear similar while pulled for the ground, they can be distinguished by the presence of an absence of tail and wing markings, and the snarrow can move about. Slice the serpentine torso into thin medallions, screw on a metal rod with hocotate onions, and barbecue over an open flame. Waddlequaff. Gourd feather, Sluppus gordicus, Chiropeides anacondae, and Sluppus gordicus. It possesses a bottom of the stomach and will swallow down anything and everything unfortunate enough to end up in its path. It will even consume things larger than its own body without missing a step. The best part is its goofy little head that looks just like a fuzz-covered gourd. Its overdeveloped respiratory muscles allow it to suck in large volumes of air through its long, thick beak while feeding. Its feathers are too small to use for flying. The current theory is that it's due to this deep position in the ecosystem being quite secure thanks to lack of natural predators and little competition for food in its habitat. However, the expansion of Pikmin territory recently its numbers have begun gradually declining. Breast, thighs and wings can be baked, roasted or fried. The rest of the carcass is great for flavouring a rich soup stock. Concrustus emberio, shell cake. Scorch cake. In a way it looks like a kind of tasty treat, but in actuality its burning bivalve relative is a fierce hunter, squashing its prey with a fiery flourish. The beauty of its popping, crackling flames and dynamic cartwheels it can perform in battle is a spectacle to behold. Related to bivalves, it uses its internal muscles to dexterously manipulate its upper and lower shell. This ability allows it to squash eggs in small ambular redises like Pikmin. thus returning nectar to the ground. It then feeds off the microorganisms and moss that benefit from the nectar. To further facilitate the growth of its food, the scorched cake will secrete oils from its body through its shell and onto the ground, and it then sets the area on fire, perhaps as a way to improve soil fertility. Remove the internal meat and place directly on the shell while it's still smouldering to cook. It almost smells better than it tastes. Von Crustus Ampero. Shock cake. Living creatures can sense your intent and emotions, so if you face them and with your love in your heart, they'll know it. When you love it and are loved back, even the occasional electric shock isn't so bad. That's right, instead of play biting, the sweetie does is play shocking. It can zap away shoulder stiffness and fatigue in a flash. This species has muscular organs that can create electricity by using ion gradients with densely layered rows of electricity generating cells, which are arranged in an asymmetrical series. It uses its plug-like protrusions to instantly shock its prey and then squashes it. The squash prey acts as fertilizer, improving the quality of the soil so that the microorganisms and moss that the shock cake feeds on can thrive. Saute in butter and cover with a sauce made from the green liver paste. Anyone with a highly developed palate will enjoy this slightly bitter flavour palate. Freeze cake. Concrustus cryone. The way its blue-white shell is woven through with cracks means it looks like a porcelain coaster. What's more, it's cold enough to keep your drink chilled. Of course, this remarkable critter is very much alive and will flip-lock your drink right over. By emitting frigid air from one side of its shell, it can freeze and squash any prey that approaches too closely. Food can be hard to find in extremely cold climates, so one theory is that this species has developed some kind of mechanism that allows it to store its prey for long periods of time. The meat of the icy side of the shell is quite muscular, while the other side is nice and fatty. Two great tastes in one. Fungivorous elasticis. Sporovid. Puffstool. Come, let us ponder the puffstool. This devious little bean releases spores that has a hallucinogenic effect on Pikmin. At the first inhale, affliction sprouts, and then joining closer, they breathe in more and more of the confusion-inducing spores. Soon they think of nothing but the puffstool and they jump around, boing, boing, but... A type of ambular fungus. The current working theory is that the puffstool emerged from a more common species of fungus that gained animal-like characteristics over time, including the ability to walk. And the Pikmin 1 version was the worst version, because it turned them into like zombie Pikmin. Flip upside down and cook cap over a charcoal grill, low and slow. Once it starts to sweat, it's ready to eat. Parasitis pseudofungi elasticis. See how it toddles about on the wee little footsies as it goes for a stroll, scattering extremely toxic spores along the way? This creature's a walking nuisance, but there's an odd kind of charm in that bothersome nature that makes it hard to leave alone. Much like the puffstool, the toxstool is neither animal nor fungus, but a mix of the two, or an ambular fungus. It doesn't serve as a producer or consumer role in the ecosystem, but functions instead as a decomposer. It primarily parasitizes other living organisms and blankets them with its spores. However, the toxstool can infect a deceased specimen as well. Its hi-fi is able to move the muscles and control the body as if bringing it back from the dead. The way the fungal filaments grow differs based on the host organism. In some cases, they may cause the host to wander around in search of a food to facilitate a more nutrient-rich fungal culture medium. They can also just use the host as a means to scatter more spores. Bury underground for about 40 days, the poison can leach out. Its smell will make you gag, but the flavour has notes of chocolate. Parasiticus pseudofungi elasticis hostus. Picture this scenario, like this poor darling, you're conscious but no longer in control of your own body. Someone or something has taken you over. A horrifying concept, isn't it? But what if the thing controlling you couldn't live if it didn't do that? Sometimes it's simply a matter of survival. This is an example of a young bullboard body that has been infected by fungal filaments. Now a host, it unconsciously continues to seek out and ingest food, all the while scattering large amounts of spores out of the spore sacs in its back until it can no longer move. After all host body activity ceases, the specimen mutates into a fungal culture that will eventually become a juvenile toxstool. Tastes best if eaten just before the meat spoils. Once all the mould has been removed, enjoy a unique flavour reminiscent of a dry-aged meat. Parasiticus pseudofungi elasticis hostus is both. Slugger, slugger, choo-choo, here comes the fungal spore train, and my husband's spinning from the fungus on its back has toxstool spores in it. If you must observe it, do so from far away as possible, or risk getting some fungal choo-choo too. Both the nervous system and slime-producing organ of its specimen have been invaded by fungal filaments, which is why it scatters spores as it moves. It also shakes spores into other creatures, thus infecting new hosts and expanding the toxstool's habitats and range. Once the host body ceases to function, it can no longer serve as a fungal creature medium because its bodily fluids dry up and the corpus shrinks. At that point, the host body is abandoned. After removing the poison, the broth is fragrant and savoury. Don't drink too much or you'll find yourself with a crippling tummy ache. Sulvicuna vulcanis. Slooch. Pyroclasmic slooch. The mucus of the pyroclasmic slooch acts as an actual fire starter, but also seems to serve as insulation from heat. Gazing into those flickering flames at night would be a great way to relax, and the ripple pattern going from top to bottom is also mesmerising. A species of terrestrial snail coated in flammable mucus instead of the traditional shell. This creature stays lubricated through constant secretion of mucus so that fires never reach its skin. The most fascinating aspect of these creatures is their instinctive ability to avoid causing widespread fires by carelessly brushing plants. Remove tongue and discard the rest. Cook over a charcoal grill, I keep saying char grill, until medium rare. Porcellus barbavolta. Numbus. This little cutie has a long beard that makes it look a bit curmudgeonly, but if you were to try brushing it, do so with caution. This dear one will well see for yourself. Moving close to get a good look. It's a truly shocking experience awaits you. The hair covering its face works as a capacitor. It charges electricity by lowering the hair to build static, then discharges at its enemies intruding on its territory. It's more territorial than aggressive, attacking anyone threatened rather than to hunt prey. It has several qualities unique to this ecosystem. such as breastfeeding its young, which may someday give rise to a whole new taxonomy of fauna here. Pan most of the thighs with sprigs of rosemary and whole garlic cloves, finished with a squeeze of fruit juice to highlight the subtle notes of its lingering electricity. Hortulanus asymmetria. Don't know. A gentle creature removed from fierce competition with the strong eating the weak. It sits in gardens in a pool of sunlight looking content as it gazes out its big round eyes at a plant it has raised just to start to sprout. Don't tease the small-mannered beastie by breastfeeding its delicate sprouts it's tending. The imbalanced asymmetrical arms of the mammoth are among its most notable features. Feeding on seeds and fruit, the mammoth is known to actually sow and grow plant species, while other species have exhibited seed-bearing behaviour for the purpose of storage. The mammoth is the only species so far known to actually cultivate fields of plants. Inedible, tastes like chicken. How could it be edible and taste like chicken? I guess it's made of rocks. Castanium pricklius, or prickliverus, sharp shell. When it cows down to roll up, it looks like it's feeling lonely. If you get close, the needles on the body become projectiles that will launch at you. I can't help thinking it's just a plea for attention. It's okay, Prickly Bean, I'll be your friend. Its needle-covered armour is soft and quite exposed. Furthermore, it has a cowardly disposition, so when it senses even the slightest danger, it shoots out its spikes. But generating new spikes requires significant amounts of caloric energy, so this creature requires a significant amount of food. This likely explains why, when it scrounges through garbage, it sucks up not just the insects it finds, but also the trash itself. They have ingested a few of the exostopping parts too, but those could never be mistaken for trash. Cut the meat into 4 even slices, dip slices into a beaten egg, then dredge in breadcrumbs, fry over low heat. Nectara fautus, honey wisp. This cutie swims through the air with a heavy-looking nectar egg dangling below its translucent body on its way back to its nest, where offspring await lunch. Nectar is a vital source of nutrition that most life on this planet depends on, whether in the form of an egg yolk, sap, or honey. I leave it up to your imagination. This floating life form drifts effortlessly on the winds. Upon death, its physical structure instantly collapses, and as the creature is particularly elusive and difficult to catch, no sample specimens have been acquired as of yet. If we could simply recover a live sample, research on this specimen or species would likely proceed more smoothly. Although the eggs are small, the yolk has a distinctly bold and tangy flavour. Tossing a few in a pan along with the choice of meat and fresh vegetables and cook a country scramble. Sus inflator, blowhog. See those prominent spines upon its back? I like to imagine that if you looped ropes around them and hung a gondola from the ropes, you could create a living airship. How amazing would it be to travel the sky with one of these spiky sweetlings who'd float along together wherever the wind chose to take us? This species of blowhog uses internally generated hydrogen to inflate a flotation bladder and hover above the ground. The creature electrified pulse creates a sash of colour that flows along the surface of its body, making it a particularly beautiful species in the blowhog family. Precisely how it's able to internally stabilise its highly explosive hydrogen and simultaneously generate electricity remains a mystery. The puffy blowhog blows leaves and grass around to eat the insects underneath. It maintains mid-air buoyancy by using its fins and releasing air through blowholes. It's able to float effortlessly, even in the breeze. Slice this creature's feather-like skin into triangles, deep fry into crispy and salt generously. Makes the perfect scooping chip to accompany fresh mango salsa. Sus air frigidae. This frosty flyer may exhale frigid breath, but you can touch it without having to worry about freezing. Its face remains quite cool, but it expels warm air from the little holes in its side. If you're feeling chilled, you could sidle up next to this little one. This creature possesses 3 lungs, an air sac used as primary respiratory organ, a flotation bladder that gives its buoyancy, and a cold sac that stores cold air. Like the puffy blowhog, its buoyancy is a result of the hydrogen produced by electrolysis. Its icy breath is condensed carbon dioxide, much like the snowy blowhog. Different species within the blowhog family have many features in common when you look closely at the structure and characteristics of their internal organs. As the consistency of candy-coated chewing gum leaves a refreshing mentholated aftertaste. Sus decrepita. Blowhog. You can have a bit of fun with this one by giving it a good poke and watching it wobble and sway through the air like a balloon. Poke it too much though and it may spew gas and fly off. It's a mischievous little darling and the way it scatters flowers and cackles is quite charming. The withering blowhog is a close relative of the puffy blowhog, but its breath is significantly weaker. However, its breath does contain a petal-withering plant hormone that causes flowers to instantly lose their petals. Although its breath has not been studied in detail, analysis of the chemical compounds involved hold great promise for the biotechnology sector. Hang this creature on a rack and sun dry on a hot afternoon. When suitably crisp, grind the sun-dried beast into powder. Makes a great substitute for cayenne or curry powder. Cephalus totalium, jelly float. Notice the elegant way it floats in its delicate transparency. The mystical sky blue colour always catches my gaze and won't let go. Even when the drifting darling sucks up Pikmin, it doesn't eat them but gently envelops them. What a sweetheart. The native jellyfloat is introduced to the region. Unfortunately, it is currently endangered. Its habitat is being overrun by hostile invasive species. Similar in taste and texture to gelatin, this jiggling mass of jelly can be sculpted in all kinds of creative shapes. As a bonus, it also doubles as professional grade hair gel. It's a perfect cool summer treat. Cephalus vortexia. This lovely floating critter sucks up food by stretching and contracting its body. It's hard to imagine such a graceful creature could be of this world. It would be rather exciting to get sucked in with all the treasures of Pikmin to float on forever, but if that really happened, I wouldn't be long of this world for long either. Vivid pink coloration is the most notable characteristic of the floating life form. This invasive species is not native to the region, having appeared to have recently arrived on wind currents. The luminescent organs atop its head attract prey, which it then sucks up and consumes with its lower orifice. Unlike jellyfish, the jellyfloat's tentacles do not have nematocysts, so there's no danger in touching them. Like a fine cheese, the aroma of this fluid float can be oppressive, but its flavour must be experienced to be believed. Also makes for an unforgettable non-dairy spread. Amphicaris fondiferum larva. Amphituber. Walpole. While watching it swim to and fro, fatigue and time just melt away, I'm able to relax this much even on an unknown planet at the ends of the universe, because observing things aquatic beastie takes me back to Watford, my hometown when I was a child. The yellow wollyhop spawns in early spring, laying its eggs on low-hanging tree branches and shrubs growing on in or near lakes or ponds. Such unorthodox amphibious behaviour is a defence mechanism, protecting the eggs from predation by blue pikmins and water dumples. The wollyhop's wild hopping near the shoreline in early spring is thought to be a method of driving predators away from the walpole eggs. Walpoles can be eaten raw, but they're much more flavourable when steamed or grilled. Also heavenly risotto. Feel free to experiment with this lush ingredient. Amphicaris fondiferum. Don't think of it as unexciting. The creature's simplicity is quite refreshing. Should you raise one from a walpole, you'd certainly learn to adore it. The adults of this species can be a bit standoffish, though. This magnificent specimen is remarkably bright coloration compared to the rest of the Amphituber family, as well as 3 lateral spots. The species seem to have lost some swimming efficiency with the evolutionary adaptation that granted it greater jumping ability. The yellow wollyhop inhabits aquatic shallows and shows an instinctive drive to jump on and squash smaller creatures. Coat in a thick batter and deep fry for a down-home flavour you won't soon forget. Amphicaris albino. With a distinct palate, almost like it was painted by white face paint, it gives off an air of performing mime. This cutie can jump with quiet refinement, never moving its plump jowls at all. It's graceful and expressive in those unexpected ways. It's believed that juvenile wollyhops were once carried by underground currents into caverns, where they thrived in the dark habitat. This troglodytic species of wollyhops coloration results from generations of cave dwelling and lack of sunlight. Comparative differences between the size and shape of this wollyhop and other species are thought to be the result of natural selection at work, choosing traits better suited to life in a subterranean environment. Wollyhops are best ground up, shaped into a patty, and flame broiled onto a grill. Slap on tomato slices, lettuce, onions, and ketchup, then slide the patty between a sesame seed bun for the ultimate beast burger experience. Chili hop. Amphicaris frigidae. Slick and bulbous with a refreshingly frank face, that's one classy hopper. When it lands after jumping, it spills out cold air all around it. Mischievous and cool, this little fella needs to leave some personality for the rest of us. When squashing prey with its mighty leap, the chili hop secretes a bodily fluid made up of ammonium nitrate, urea, and water. This causes an endodermic reaction and rapidly freezes its pain, making its attacks all the more lethal. After squashing the prey, it gets sucked up through the chili hop's belly. Since the species can store its food in a slightly chilled state without eating it for a while, it easily adapts to environments where prey is scarce. Remove the tender meat surrounding the eyes and stew with soy sauce. The collagen fibres are simply melt in your mouth. Delicious. Master hop. Amphibious Frondiforium. Advanced age. Wriggly elastic skin is the proper fit for this bounding beauty. Slippery, smooth, and shiny sleek. Its skin is soft as a baby's cheeks, though you might want to be wary of getting close enough to touch it. Just watching it move will make you yearn for skin that's more radiantly lustrous too. It's widely believed that yellow wollyhops and other related species can continue to grow until they start breeding, but after that their growth rate plummets. However, in safe environments, ones that lack natural predators, for example, some individuals of the species may forego reproduction altogether and continue growing until they reach gigantic proportions. The yellow wollyhop's telomerase enzymes are particularly active, which prevents their body's cells from aging. Under the right conditions, it's not unusual for some individuals to reach over 50 years in age. Meat can be consumed at first dehydrated with a lot of salt, but the eyeballs and the legs are the best part, not the logs. Ichthyocephalinus, grub dog. This odd creature lost its vision, but it evolved a very sharp sense of smell to compensate. Even if you sneak up behind it very quietly, it will still detect you. But with a mouth that opens up big and wide, approaching from the front isn't advisable either. A resident of freshwater pools and marshes, the aquatic creature regularly feeds on insects that lie under the surface of the water. It shares a nearly identical skeletal structure with its close relative and terrestrial cousin, the bulbob. This may offer clues to the evolutionary origin and suggests that it only recently emigrated to an aquatic habitat. Deep fried dumples without batter for all the flavour with half the fat. Narrolingus piscatum, ellipse. These form a group and then swim gracefully along together as though joined in order to dance. Are they a family or travelling as a school? It may be enlightening to watch them with a submersible camera. They very quietly so they don't notice. Many assume it's undeveloped due to its large eye and lack of fins, but this is simply its normal, fully grown form. Though its dorsal and ventral fins have atrophied, the long caudal fin helps to compensate for this. It can leap high enough out of water to catch low-flying prey. The scales comprising the round patches along the sides are known to turn light pink during breeding season. Sliced raw and served as sashimi, the marbled fat gives this dish a deep umami flavour. Piscipenus pardos, prickle puff. To watch it swimming dreamily along and spot it again walking plip-plop in tidal flats, the contrast is so great it can only admire its adaptability. You can't be joined in by its cute round little peepers. Much like a rose, the prickle puff has very sharp thorns. Its hidden spikes evolved from scales that were once on its forehead. The prickle puff uses them to charge and chase off unknown creatures that enter its territory. Its liver and ovaries contain powerful nerve toxins accumulated from ingesting shellfish and algae with trace amounts of poison. These traits not only function as alternative pheromones, but also seem to keep predators at bay. However, once it's dead, the Pikmin have no issues carrying the creature back to the onion, where the poison is broken down to valuable nutrients. Remove the poisonous internal organs and slice thinly and serve as sashimi. The firm meat is bringing umami flavours. Pairs well with a light, refreshing citrus vinaigrette. Opisthuridai Eakabula. Or day. Waddlepus. This accomplished napper can snore away a whole day, but just watching the peaceful look in its snoozing face contains a feeling of contentment. Also, if you get up close enough, it can blow bubbles that envelop you. Have a fun float. It's like dreaming. Its eyes and stubby feet make it look like an octopus, thanks to the name. But it's closer in anatomy to a starfish. It sleeps during the day, but will stay alert for approaching predators, which drives off by puffing itself up and releasing bubbles. Closer research suggests that the true purpose of the bubbles is to protect its eggs during spawning season. Perfect for make-ahead meals. Marinate the boiled meat in balsamic vinegar and chill for a few hours. The longer you let it sit, the richer the flavour. Aristocrab offspring. Racuraces asurio, hatchling. It pokes its little eyes and just out a bit of the sand and stays very still, waiting patiently for us to come by. Even if we know they're hiding there, it's best to act surprised and give them a good shout of alarm. That's the best way to help them feel successful in their endeavours. A juvenile peckish aristocrab. Small in size, its white piston is only half grown. Because of this, it often hunts by hiding underground and lying in wait to ambush its prey. Generally, crabs pass through the larval stages Zoea and Megalopa. Latin is hard. As they approach juvenile crabhood. Instead, the peckish aristocrab is born with a body shaped like an onion, absorbing its nutrition through the ground and sprouting legs as it grows. Perhaps it's a close relative of species in the Amblyovidaceae class. Throw a mountain of aristocrab offspring into a pot for yummy and simple miso soup broth. Click, click, click goes this crab's pincer as it tries to impress other crabs. The crab with the biggest claw will be the most popular. Being popular means not having to work as hard to claw their way to the top of the crustacean hierarchy. The natural world is a lot like our world in that way. Baccharis acervio, onion shell. Its unnaturally large claws used for catching prey, for self-defense, and most surprisingly for its mating call. Most aspects of the aristocrab life revolve around it, which may explain why they become fearful and docile when the claw is damaged. It would also account for the claw's remarkable regenerative capabilities, which can restore it completely in a single night. It is also known to blow bubbles when under attack. This is a result of it venting from the wrong discharge valve when under extreme stress. Great for hot pot. Remove the shell and cook legs in the hot broth. When they turn nice and red, pull them out and slather in liver paste before eating. Grub chucker. Cerbaevasora, crab lips. The mouth on top of its head is somehow chic and ostentatious at the same time. Combined with the way it carries its claws like it's ready to give you a trim, this cutie looks like the charismatic beautician of the creature world. The way it tosses its food into the air shows rather poor etiquette. This bipedal creature walks upright, so its motion is noticeably slow, but the long reach of its pincers is useful for catching prey, tossing it into the wide mouth on top of its head. When young, this mouth stays closed, and the grub chucker lives on things like shellfish, nuts, and fruits, eating them using the small trophi located behind the feelers below its eyes. As it grows, its sincipital mouth opens, and it can start eating larger quantities of food. It has few natural enemies, primarily due to its height. However, it's often found in dimmer wetlands or underground to protect the soft top of its shell from the sun's rays. Pluck off the lips and serve with lemon and salt as an appetizer. Coat the arms and legs with plenty of miso for a full course dinner in a shell. Camabaras rustica, crawmad. Here we have one of the cleverest of creatures that has many different nest holes that all connect below ground. Using its network, it can move from hole to hole to sneak up on prey or evade predators. A smart little darling indeed. Looking at the ways its eyes and sickle-shaped legs characteristics of squillers, one would think this is a squiller relative. In fact, it's a relative of the hermit crab. These species, however, have migrated from seaside life in a shell and instead inhabit burrows in the ground. While its legs appear sickle-like, they are pincers that evolved into a fin shape. This beast feeds on small creatures that pass by its lair, dragging them inside to eat them. Chuck from the shell, bake on high heat to a crispy, then dip in a pot of melted milk chocolate, lips smacking sweet. Camabaras subterranid. Its peepers aren't just big, they're capable of seeing things our eyes can't. This bug-eyed darling can identify all sorts of unknown objects if first if it showed us what to look at. How useful could that be? Like its cousin, the hermit crawdad, it makes its home in the burrow rather than a shell, and does abnormally overdeveloped eyes with which to detect prey in cloudy water or low visibility mud. These enormous eyes can perceive circular polarized light as well as the ultraviolet and infrared spectrum. It's well protected from predators, allowing to live for upwards of 50 years and go to immense size by repeated ecdysis. When grilled, serves as an excellent filling for an offbeat po' boy, or po' I don't know what that word is. If you have any left over, add to a liver paste to deepen the flavour. Derrieris capillum, arm rackid. With the red carapace curved like a jointy sun hat and its tail sporting vivid yellow tufts, the critter is a natural illustration of good fashion, but its face and personality exhibit only true ferocity. It opens its mouth wide and charges with alarming speed. The juxtaposition of artistic exterior coupled with an aggressive attitude is intriguing. Its body is covered in a hard carapace and an extremely ferocious personality. It spread its sharp fanged jaws to catch its prey. The crested rump pup suffers from poor vision, but it uses the fine hairs in the lower part of its tail and the ball-shaped sensory organ at its top to detect faint quasi-electrostatic fields emitted by other organisms, and it sure has other ways to sense its predators and prey. The tip of the tail tastes almost fruity, with notes of sweet and sour, pairs well with soft ripened cheeses. Ostrum mandamuscae, snare shell. On sand hills or in the sea, whenever it may be, it never moves from its spot. It will sit and wait for someone to wander past, someone being prey, preferably. That could also be someone who knows the value of the brittle shell or the pearl it holds and nestles inside. Using the pearl that takes its shape inside its body as bait, the creature lures prey into its interior and traps it within its shell to feed. It's also worth noting this pearl may just be an amalgamation of outside materials wrapped in a viscous gelatin or gelatin exterior. On the frequent occasions when it cannot gather food for itself, this creature also contains nutrients with its symbiotic algae within its body. When the symbiotic algae within its body photosynthesizes. For this reason, it can often be found when its mouth open, or with its mouth open, or on shoals or sandy beaches that might get a lot of sunshine. My brain, I'll tell you what it is. My brain is sort of like processing the words and just sort of go, yeah, and I sort of skip words or skip sentences, and then my body's like, well, that doesn't make sense. When I get to the end of the sentence, it's like, well, that's not right, and I have to go back. In English class, when I had to do reading, I'd always do this, and my teacher would tell me off. I read too fast, and it's hard for other people to catch up, and I also misspeak all the time. But I think it's just because I'm nervous. I'm a nervous reader. I don't like it. Heat in the shell over a strong fire to bring out the umami-rich juices. Finally mince the mantle and toss with noodles. Top with sesame seeds. Molluskid minionicus. Mollusking. Cute little marble-like eyes, a smooth undulating body, a big curvy mouth, a tongue that extends and separates into 6 parts, skills like fruit from a plant. Sit a moment and take it all in. Sometimes it's fun to simply appreciate how a creature that can do so much damage can still be such an adorable addition to our universe. This species of creature is yet to complete its evolution from bloom-capped bloister to the more advanced ranging bloister. Compared to the latter, this creature is substantially smaller. The fact its mandibles do not protrude as significantly in the ranging bloisters is due in part to the fact that, like most mollusks, its vital organs are located deep within the creature's carapace. The flower-like appendage on its back is actually a gill. It prefers a watery habitat from which it can capture unsuspecting small prey with its sticky tendrils. Pans sear with herbs and oil until lightly crusted on the outside and rosy on the inside, complement the savoury flavours of a light and buttery creme sauce. Molluskid florare, mollusking, bloom-capped bloister. With a peaking carapace and undulating mouth, it goes around cleaning up everything in its path. It's the organic vacuum cleaner in the natural world. If you startle it, it'll open up its top like an umbrella, which can be quite a surprise to whoever's watching. The origin species from which the ranging and toady bloister evolved. It still carries a large shell on its back. The exposed head and legs are covered by a layer of tough muscle, so it barely moves even when attacked. The fatty muscle that controls these undulating motions was eaten fresh. All that quick movement means the meat toughens quickly. Gastropoidiculus oculi. Polyocular slug. Bog swallow. It pops up out of the mud often with no warning, say hello. With a body like a hose and a big round mouth, it sates its appetite by feeding on the mud itself. Its 6 bright eyes means it's sure to see the fondness we have for it 6 times better. Hope it eats up all that unending affection. The species prefers to inhabit cloudy, stagnant water like that in swamps, and it spends most of its time buried in mud and hiding. Using its 6 eye-like sensory organs, it can detect minute movements in the water and vibrations on nearby land, or then forcefully leap out of the water and suck up its prey to feed. With its entirety cartilaginous skeleton and somewhat primitive features, like its round chinless mouth, it appears to be some sort of primeval creature. Leave it out overnight to drain the mud from the carcass, when ready to eat, cut into rings, then grill of a high heat. The more you chew it, the more flavourful it becomes. Amphibios-sapiens. Water wraith. A living thing is a living thing, even if it transcends our understanding. This unnerving creature is translucent and has no physical body to actually speak of. Yet, somehow it clutches its rollers with zealous devotion. It's both eerie and fascinating, don't you agree? All that is known about this creature stems from the few sightings deep underground. All reported sightings feature the same core set of details, a giant viscous form with a clear, hazy sheen, not unlike hard candy. One theory holds that it may be the ectoplasmic incarnation of a kind of psychic phenomenon, but as is usually the case with such theories, it's very difficult to prove. All witnesses report being suddenly overcome with fear upon sighting the creature, approaching a state of panic and near insanity. In fact, every report contains an inordinate amount of extremely vague details. Which has led to suspicions. Is it sweating? Don't know. Exhaustion and fear have caused some supernatural phenomena to be viewed as a living creature. Inedible, known to cause mass hysteria, followed by leg spasms and internal thunderings. Magavum vaporus. In the night above ground or the dark passages below, you'll suddenly notice an egg. If you leave the egg alone, a being of terror is born from it, a mysterious fiend dragging itself along. But a fear like this misunderstood deer may be trying to communicate with us. Perhaps its tale is a sad one. The smoky prog body is constantly deteriorating, so collecting a living sample has proven difficult, and research into the species has progressed at a glacial rate. However, by examining the genes adhered to the smoky prog's eggs, it's confirmed that they are, in fact, mamuta eggs. The discovery allows for the possibility that mamuta do not develop properly and hatch become smoky progs. Oh, Mamuta that do not develop properly and hatch become smoky pogs. If, hypothetically, a Mamuta were to remain above ground at night and absorb glow sap, that might impact the nutrient levels within its egg's yolk. That change could lead to the embryo's inviability or break down its enzymes, then maybe. Egg tastes best when smoked. The flavour of the belly and the head is pleasantly warming. Canis perditum. Ancient sire hound. A coat that's dense and rough like a primeval forest, essential like wet canine and shockingly tasty body temperature. Clearly a dog in every sense. The long history of dogs being companions with reliable triggers an instinctive reaction through our entire bodies. If we're left on this planet, this massive creature, I'd be content. If we harvest mesenchymal stem cells from this gigantic canine creature and cultivate them with glow sap, the generated serum should return Ochi's leafy tail to normal once administered. These results would indicate that 99.9% of the canine creature's DNA matches Ochi's, and that only the difference between Ochi and Moss would be the natural presence or absence of a leaf tail. If these two theories prove to be true, it would suggest the possibility that this ancient creature is a common ancestor to two canine species from vastly remote star systems, and that perhaps there are even more hidden secrets out there that could hint at fascinating yet inconceivable truth the universe has yet to reveal. The ultimate ride, plush and comfortable. I wish I could bring it home with me. Moss. Ochi and Moss are two peas in a pod. It's quite unprecedented that space dogs should meet such a similar creature on a far-off, unknown planet. Pheliconis amicaris. Or Pholicanis. You could even call it miraculous. Could they be siblings separated at birth? No, it's just not possible. As far as I can tell, the Moss has been a leafling pup since birth, and some of her DNA resembles that of the Pikmin. That is one point which she differs from Ochi. When Ochi transformed from a standard space dog into a leafling pup, I started to theorise the Pikmin are, in some capacity, propagating their DNA into other organisms. The phenomenon in which all these castaways, including myself, became leaflings is very likely caused by being absorbed into the onion. Perhaps that process is also some sort of Pikminification of the body? Pikminified organisms can't leave this planet, so the Pikmin may have been motivated to carry out this process in an effort to kill a permanent leader. Of course, this is all a theory. Convenient for procuring ingredients, compact with a tight turning radius. Red Pikmin. Pikminidae rubrus. Pikmin. These puppy little darlings are vivid scarlet red, as you can tell by their appearance. These critters are very passionate. In fact, they're such hotheads they're immune to fire. Even their displays of affection are ardent. They'll beat their tiny fists on you in abundance and enthusiasm. Pikmin are part of the Ambulovaricus class, which consists of creatures that exhibit both plant and animal characteristics. A Pikmin will instinctively follow whoever plucks it from the ground, so it's quite common for them to form symbiotic relationships with another species or accept a leader of a different species, as it serves the goal of propagating their own species as a whole. The red Pikmin is the most common Pikmin species. It can be identified with the nose-like protuberance on its head and its highly aggressive behaviour. It also has quite a few surprising and unique qualities, for example its immunity to extreme heat and fire, despite the fact it's a living organism. This can be explained by looking closely at its skin and muscle fibres, which are made up of flame-resistant cellulose. Looks like a picnic carrot. I bet it tastes good, but I'm practicing self-restraint. Yellow Pikmin. Pikminidae oribus. Pikmin. Look at the extraordinarily big pointy ears in the adorable yellow Pikmin. I doubt you can whisper a secret they won't hear. Try throwing one over, they can easily retrieve objects from places you can't reach. Also, electricity doesn't faze them at all. They're shockingly useful little guys. It's generally believed that the Pikmin body was originally the root of a plant that has evolved over centuries, if not millennia, developing structures analogous to muscles, neural networks, and similar to those of a brain and more. However, yellow Pikmin possess a perfect resistance to electricity, a force which actually poses extreme danger to other organisms. Oddly enough, this species of Pikmin actually seems to enjoy electricity, though flowers even bloom when they're exposed to electric current. This fact would lead one to believe their natural neurotransmission methods are quite different from our own. The species often uses the ear-like laminae on their heads to soar to great heights and dig holes. When I look at it, all I see is ears. Pikminidae cerula. I wouldn't be overstating to say that watching these Pikmin navigate the water with the grace of a fish is one of the most lovely things to behold on this whole planet. But if you really want to see them swimming, you need to offer them some live bait. The accepted theory is that Pikmin evolved from terrestrial root vegetables, so being able to breathe underwater and subsequently drown. Yet the blue Pikmin possess a gill resembling a mouth on their head, which enables them to be active underwater, while on land they leaf and flower like other Pikmin species, and they breathe through the stomata of their skin, indicating they must be naturally amphibious. Pigment proteins on the surface of the body essentially perform the same photosynthetic process as cyanobacteria, for example, which is what is giving them this striking colour. I look at their mouth and just want to put my hand in it, just see what would happen. Rock Pikmin, Pikminidae hibisaxum. Might be rugged and craggy in appearance, but their well-polished skin is cool and smooth to touch. These dark, shiny stone bodies are built for defence. And so they're capable attackers too. And did you notice those stubby little legs? Aren't they the cutest? This species is definitely a member of the Pikmin genus, but its body does not share any of the plant-like traits that Pikmin are known of. Instead, it's composed primarily of stone. Stone is actually the closest host to a parasitic subset of Pikmin species nicknamed Hermikmin. Similar to how a seed can sprout and push through the cracks of a rock. This Pikmin root stretches into the stone, storing its vital organs in an interior cavity that resembles a crystal geode. Because this species displays characteristics common in parasitism, one could hypothesize that the rock onion and rock candy pop bud stockpile stone that will eventually host the rock Pikmin. I think I broke a tooth on one of these. Pikminidae velorosa, or volorosa. These peculiar little flies look like they're wearing goggles. Don't be put off by their odd appearance, though. Places that seem like dead ends, such as treacherous roads, lakes, swamps, and sheer cliffs, are nothing to them when they're not carrying anything. With the flaps of their tiny wings, they flit through the air like fierce fairies. The wings on the back of this flying Pikmin species closely remember the wings you could find on a flying creature. It's possible that an ancient winged onion somehow absorbed a flying creature's DNA, which then resulted in the precursor of the winged Pikmin transformed into species we recognise today. If this theory is correct, then onions might also be serving the role of messenger, transmitting new traits and characteristics to their Pikmin. Once I had a dream that I was abducted by a winged specimen. He said specimen, yeah. Pikmin a day, Habaglacius. With the frigid air welling up endlessly from inside their icy bodies, they can freeze anything at all. If you throw enough of them in a pond, they'll freeze the surface so solid that you can walk right across it. They're just like little ice wizards. Pikmin supposedly evolved from plants, yet they're also Pikmin species with a body made of ice, known as ice Pikmin. How is this possible? The answer to this question lies in the fact that ice Pikmin are parasitic by nature, and the ice serves as their host. The composition of this ice is the type of ice is predictably mostly water, but it resembles saline solution with faint concentrations of trace sodium ions, potassium ions, and calcium ions that function as neurotransmitters. Interestingly, the ice exhibits no visual signs of melting or dripping when exposed to sunlight. This is due to its low temperature core, which continuously create more ice in order to maintain a consistent size. A kitchen essential used for freezing ingredients and storing leftovers. Pikminidae venalbius. These tiny white Pikmin dart back quite swiftly. Their bold red eyes are charming as they are startling. Like a flower that has sharp thorns, these cute little ones are possessed potent poison. Such small critters need to be tough to survive. White Pikmin are born through a colour changing process within white candy pop buds which only grow underground. The poison within its body is a type of ditterpain alkaloid similar to a toxin often found in certain plant roots. If ingested, it can lead to vomiting, respiratory distress, and complete organ failure, ultimately resulting in death due to cardiac arrest. Though strong, this poison also has medicinal uses, sometimes going by the name aconite. Pikmin are ambulivetices and can evolve from plants. It's probably still the wrong way to say that. But it seems some species retain more of their plant-based evolutionary heritage than others. Not meant to be ingested, best used as bait. Pikminidae yokozunum. It's a profoundly heavy feeling holding living in your arms. It can be overwhelming to realise this thing is really alive. That said, these little ones have a destiny to them that makes them extremely heavy, or density to them that makes them extremely heavy. Throwing them at all is difficult, but don't worry, they're strong enough that they can hold you. Slightly larger in size, purple Pikmin can weigh up to 10 times as much as other Pikmin species, and when thrown to the ground, their impact creates gravitational waves that can actually warp space-time. It's astonishing. The density of their muscle fibres is also much higher than that of other Pikmin, allowed to transport 10 times as much weight as their average-sized counterparts. Their rich purple colours are derived from strong polyphenol antioxidants. Like white Pikmin, they are born from underground candy bot buds, and no related onions have been discovered so far. But I think somewhere deep underground among the relics of the past, a purple onion is waiting to be discovered. I found it! Very heavy, tenderizing the meat would be way too difficult. Lilium Pikminiporta. Candy pop. The majesty of nature, the mystery of life. I feel these stale cliches can't fully express the extraordinary symbiotic relationship between Pikmin and onions. Is there a connection here of affectionate nature, perhaps? There's still so much we don't know. Sometimes it lies dormant, much like a bulb, but dig it up from the ground, provided the right stimulus, for example, a good hard shake, and it will activate, sprouting 3 root-like legs. It serves a role similar to a nest or an incubator for the Pikmin, absorbing pellets or the bodies of dead creatures for their nutritional value, and then propagating Pikmin the same colour as itself. Onions also seem to greedily attempt to replicate certain characteristics of the matter they absorb by combining with or absorbing other onions, sometimes of the same type. It's been confirmed that just like Pikmin, an onion has muscle fibres in its body, and though it is unable to walk, it's capable of a small range of motion. However, when one breaks down, the biological matter is absorbed. A fuel similar to bioethanol is created. Onions spray this fuel out of the mouths of their underbellies and are able to fly using their flower-like propellers for stabilisation. If you look closely, you see its legs are sprouting a dense layer of hair. Bulbous Lilium. Candy pop. Dice finely, great, saute in oil. I can barely stand the grumbling in my tummy right now, but when you see one of these things shiver or twitch, you realise it's a living thing and we should treat it with consideration as such. While it doesn't sprout or create Pikmin, its specimen is still a type of onion. A bulb like this can be divided in 7 segments. It's highly nutrient dense and contains strong energising and analeptic effects. The compounds responsible for this characteristic smell resemble onion growth hormones. When absorbed by an onion, it fulfills a critical role in Pikmin proliferation by increasing the total number of Pikmin that can be withdrawn from the onion at any given time. Just like onions, it contains muscle fibres, but flower-like have no animalistic qualities to speak of. However, if you place one near an onion, it may start to try to move a bit, as though it's trying to roll over so it can be absorbed. Saute in oil to add a fragrant spice to your dish, but eat too much and you'll smell like it for days. Flora expellus. Candy pop. There's no special candy pops that give you more than you put in, though. Wait, what's the black one? Oh, rock. It's grey. The longer I look at it, the more I feel a strange urge to throw something into it. It's coming to the intrusive thought I once threw a bomb into one, and when I did, patooey, it spit the bomb right back out. I can't imagine seeing someone like response in that. What looks like the interior of a flower is actually an insectivorous leaf that developed into an organ. This organ releases a sweet scent from the central pistil, luring small insects into its interior and trapping them. The DNA of these captured organisms is directly absorbed by the plant's cells, which might indicate the species is attempting to evolve at an astounding speed. But in most cases, the cells essentially self-destruct. The bud then releases Pikmin seeds of the same colour and the plant withers. Muscle fibres extremely similar to those in an onion are found in these species, so one could hypothesize that candy pop bud is an under or undeveloped onion. However, there isn't enough details to confirm this theory either way. Way too spicy for a salad, no matter what colour bud you use. Amplus nutrio, pellet weed. The pellet craven its petals change colours like a some-form chameleon, allowing to match the colour of nearby Pikmin. It's almost as though it's inviting us to come harvest it to make more. Even though it appears to be helping out, it's really just using us to spread its seeds. In the stem of the pellet posy, one could observe the muscle fibre unique to half-plant, half-animal species, such as the Pikmin and candy pot bud flowers. So the pellet posy is a species that can be considered as a close relative, although the ability to crystallise nectar is unique to the small group of the pellet weed family. The fact that these plants reach maturity so quickly and their pellets contain such high concentrations of natural nutrients in the soil explains why the Pikmin and so many of the other nature species so rely on these pellets for sustenance. On a quest for the perfect hors d'oeuvres, so cook this plant in a wood fire oven. Be careful to only serve the tender pellet. Burgeoning spiderwort. Picflora bacchae conditus. Pellet weed. This fruit, unlike a pellet, is juicy and pulpy. What's more, there's not just any juice inside it. There's a super spicy spice in there. Eating spicy things can be a way to jump to heart's taste buds. Perhaps the Pikmin in this world like to spread things up as well. Slow down, Joey. Like the pellet posy, while nectar is the primary source of nutrients, this burgeoning spiderwort produces fruit with high amounts of a super spicy compound. Both this plant and the pellet posy are part of the pellet weed family. The spiderwort does not crystallize nectar because of the different fungi that parasitize its roots. Instead, it produces alkaloids that contain these extra frequent compounds. The alkaloids are then extracted and collected by way of the plant's fruit. Whether or not a plant produces super spicy or super sweet compound seems to depend on the type of fungus with which it interacts. Dry the fruit and grind to a fine consistency, perfect for adding a touch of spice. Pikminidae supravelum. Here you are, far from home, stranded on a strange planet with a night even more dangerous than the unforgiving day, but at that night, the faint, gentle light giving off of those gloriously glowing little beams brings hope to our adventures. The shine is a beacon of light that we recognise in our hearts. Although we've been named glow Pikmin, we're not entirely clear whether or not this species is actually a type of Pikmin at all. These creatures possess the same fundamental behaviours of Pikmin, like carrying things, propagating and fighting, but they also share special characteristics, such as the leaf at the top of their head. Yet they do not spawn from an onion, but a luminol, and they are only active at night underground. During the day, they revert into seeds and enter a resting state. What's even more surprising that they exhibit no signs of life. When a glow Pikmin dies, if that word can even be used, it does not expire in the typical sense. Instead, it just becomes a form of light, or perhaps a photon returns to the luminol. Putting aside my scientist hat for a moment, it seems to me that this creature or entity might not be a living organism at all, but some manner of spiritual substance. It doesn't smell alive. Collux Eternium. Nature is a high-risk, high-reward type of environment. The luminol braves the danger, risking self-destruction to emit a light that lures creatures so it can propagate more glow Pikmin. Using glow pellets, but is that all? Could the glow sap also be luring us? Besides the fact they serve as incubators and nests for glow Pikmin, we know very little about the luminol's ecology. When nocturnal creatures die, luminol can break them down into glow pellets through its strong absorbing enzymes. This matter, when condensed, becomes glow sap. One might assume glow sap is then an extremely dangerous substance, but it's hardly any negative effects. In fact, I've had it administered to me personally as a curative medicine to break down glowing leaves. Luminols will only appear in places where an onion is located earlier in the day, and since they propagate glow Pikmin, one could surmise that they're rhizomes from those onions. Perhaps using its dissolving powers, it returns the nectar that supports the ecosystem back to the soil. Smells a lot like an onion. The green juice is particularly delicious. And that's it. How could you possibly pull yourself away with these charming creatures? Come and see for me when you're ready to take another look. Okay. And with both of those done, it's time to end the series. Thanks so much for watching. I'll see you guys next time for something completely different. We might also be either right at the end of the year or in the new year, so let's look forward to a decent 2024. See you then. Goodbye.